Hi, welcome back guys. This is your friend, the Broccoli Fanfics, back with amazing fanfiction. This is the series of What If Deku Had Cartoonish Power. Now before starting, please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel if you want more videos like this. Now let's get into the fanfic. Today would be considered the most memorable day for the young woman known as Midoriya. Many months of hard work and blood, sweat and tears have now bear fruit. It was a good thing too, since she wasn't sure how much longer she could handle it. In the end, it was all worth it, as she held her little Izuku in her arms. While she did have to spend some extra days at the hospital, that did not stop her. In fact, she will take any excuse for her to look after her baby boy. That is until the novelty quickly wore off after a few days. Now she was just irritated. The only thing that made this day just a bit damper was the fact that her husband was not around to witness this joyous occasion. She would have to let him know how she was later on when she gets back from the hospital. Really, it's understandable that she has to do all this extra precaution business, but come on. There were no complications according to the doctor, and she wasn't at risk of any type of health concerns after the birth of her child. So really, it would be great to get out. She voiced as such to the medical staff. However, the doctor did not agree with her. Mrs. Midoriya, I understand that you want to spend time with your newborn with the comfort of your own home. But please understand that we want to be absolutely sure that nothing will come up when you get discharged, which will be within the next week. But I feel perfectly fine. Also, I don't know if we can be able to afford staying in the hospital more than necessary, which was true for the most part. Although she went into labor much earlier than expected, the ride to the hospital was practically smooth sailing. She certainly didn't feel anything when she was getting prepared and given medication to help with her contractions. Well, that is true, ma'am. There weren't anything serious that had occurred when you were checked in, but there was some things that we could not figure out, the doctor said nervously. Wait, what do you mean by that, doctor? Inko began to panic. Don't tell me that there's something wrong with my baby. Oh heavens no. I assure you that he has been given a clean bill of health. It's just that there was a bit of an anomaly when you were given the medication. The doctor explained. You see, the medication was to help with the pains that would no doubt come with the process of childbirth. But then your stomach began to what? It began to move around. A lot. As in a lot of movement that would not be normal for a newborn to have the energy to do. It was as if the baby itself was trying to punch its way out of the stomach. You were still trying to push and was still under the influence of the anesthesia that was provided, so it wasn't felt as painful as it should be. The doctor chuckled when he saw the shocked expression on the mother's face. Don't worry, your insurance will be able to cover most of the costs. We just needed to make sure that the baby didn't do anything inside that would harm you in the long run. Inko looked at her son, who was all wrapped up in his blanket with his big green eyes and happy expression. Wait, big green eyes. I see that you notice how he has appeared to have developed eyesight much earlier than expected. This was another reason why we wanted you and the baby to stay a bit longer. When we examined your child, it showed that he has developed much of the brain as well as other features much earlier than expected. The doctor was now beaming with excitement. At the time of birth, he has already had the appearance of a baby a few weeks into his birth. Furthermore, results suggest that he does not have any aging deficiencies of any sort that would explain this sort of phenomenon, which means that he already has a head start from the rest. The green-haired woman was surprised to hear such things about her child. Izuku, who was just brought into this world, already has a head start, and with nothing explaining it otherwise. That can't be physically possible. Unless, do you think that it would be a side effect of his quirk? Inko wondered. It's still too early to confirm such theory, but it is within the realm of possibility. If it turns out to be the case, then I would have to say that your child might have a very strong quirk on the way. A strong quirk. It hasn't even been the end of his first day, and already Inko felt proud of her son, tears lightly glossing her eyes. She was glad that her son would not be bullied or left out anytime soon. She heard stories of the few people who were deemed quirkless, and every time she would be sad how they were badly treated and abused. She would not know what to do if her son were quirkless, nor did she want to think about the implication. Thankfully, she wouldn't have to find out. She snuggled closer to her son, who babbled happily in return. Either way, thank you very much, doctor. Thank you for helping and bringing my child to my arms. The doctor bowed in response. Of course, ma'am. I'll leave you alone with your child. If there is anything else you need, please do not hesitate to ask. I will thank you, doctor. The doctor gave a curt nod before leaving the room, leaving Inko to her child. She gave a small kiss to his nose, who responded with more happy babbles and little hands wanting to grab her nose. She giggled at her son's antics. Well, aren't you a lively one, my little Izuku? I can't wait to show you to everyone, especially your father. Sigh, I just wish he was here to see you right now. She gave a small frown. I know that this would help our financial situation and move into a much livelier neighborhood, but seems the mood swings haven't exactly gone away yet. I just wish he was here with us right now. Wow. She wept while she lightly brought the baby closer to her, waterfalls or tears streaming her face. It was there when Izuku deadpanned at her mother's antics. If there was anyone else who was in the room at the time, they would have marveled at how the child seemed to actually understand his mother so early. Slap, followed by an incredible amount of shock when they would see Izuku slap the absolute shit out of his mother with a cartoonishly large hand, before retreating back into his warm little blanket. Inko was caught off guard by the sudden hit. GOCK. What the? Who? Huh. Seems as if she did not notice her son earlier. What in the world was that? She looked around and saw nobody in the room before seeing her child, and immediately regretted being carried away when she saw how much her outburst scared Izuku. Oh no, don't cry, Izuku. Mommy's sorry, she didn't mean to scare you. She lightly rocked the little bundle to calm him down. SHH. It's okay, honey. Please don't be scared. Fortunately for her, Izuku began to calm down after a few minutes and looked up at her mother with small tears in his eyes. There we go, Izuku. I'm sorry I scared you. Please forgive me. The little Midoriya stared at his mother, before looking away with a pout of all things. Inko let a gasp. No, don't be mad. I'm sorry, Zuzu. Please don't be mad. She begged with wide eyes. Little Izuku took a little peek, and was surprised to see his mother also pout with the widest eyes he ever seen. He began to lightly shake his head, seemingly too young to be feeling conflicted. However, no amount of denial could ever compare to the patented Midoriya puppy eyes. Ooh, I can't stay mad at her, he seemed to be thinking. In the end, he decided it was no use resisting, and began to babble happily again. The mother in question gave out a sigh of relief. Oh, thank goodness. I don't know what I would do to make it up to you. Then she noticed Izuku reaching out with his little hands and leaned in close. Oh, is there something you want, Izuku? Are you hungry? Izuku lightly shakes his head no before placing his small hands to her cheeks, smooch and giving a light kiss on the nose. Ah, why is my so darn cute? Inko was having an increasingly hard time keeping herself from squealing from absolute joy at her son's display of affection. Again, if anyone else was in the room at that moment, they would have had to pick up their jaws from the floor at such amazing feats that the newborn had accomplished. Rational thinking, advanced motor skills, the ability to seemingly understand others and respond to them in kind, all while only being a few hours old and without any prior teaching. This was the most incredible biological phenomenon. Even miracle that a child would have the capacity to do such things in such a short amount of time. But Inko didn't care about that. She was just glad that she was able to spend quality time with her little bundle of joy and sunshine she had the fortune of calling her son. Now she is counting the days that are left before she could take her baby home and show him off to everyone. She would make sure that her son would live a wonderful and happy life. Aldera Junior High School, the primary school for the young, hormone-filled little wonderful teens that lived in the small town of Musutafu. Yes, this is the typical Japanese school that, for some reason, appeals to Westerners. The place where normal school activities takes place. The place where the many young ones of the town work to become the next line of normal, productive, disciplined, and delightfully composed members of society. BOOM, crash, crack, BLAM, slap. Well, at least it was before lunchtime. The sudden noises had startled the principal from his work at the office, now littered all over the floor along with the rest of his belongings. He wonders how the place trembles each time an incident occurs, but then realizes what reality he is in. Then he berates himself for the idiotic nature of his question. Don't worry, everyone else thinks you are a moron as well. Screams and yelling can be heard past his door as the frantic pitter-patter of students got the hell out of Dodge. One teacher decided to burst through the door to his office to help him hear it up close. The poor man is sweating violently with his clothes in extreme disarray. Sir, we have another situation in our hands. You need to get to the cafeteria now. The principal could only pinch the bridge of his nose in exasperation. If you can hear very closely, he is contemplating which god he pissed off to the point of being given this much of divine punishment. That, or how he was close to consider early retirement. Not sure, don't quite care. Either way, he would have to call the parents, and the authorities, and his therapist, along with several contractors. Again, thank God for Quirk-based insurance. Meanwhile, in no man's land, at a cafeteria, the area was one would expect if someone decided to start a food fight. Took it too far, then proceeded to fix it by making it an actual fight. All in all, it was absolute hell. Chunks and bits of food and beverages were pattered everywhere, along with pieces of tables and chairs. Burn marks and human-sized holes were outlined in the walls. The other students caught in the crossfire were tending to their wounded and fleeing from the battlefield. Run away. Those two idiots are at it again. Save yourselves. My leg. If you ask me, those who got away before the fight broke loose were the lucky ones. Crash. And now another hole has been placed on the wall, courtesy of one smiling Izuku Midoriya. WOOO. Now that's what I call getting more bang for your buck, am I right? He called to his blonde-haired compatter. Now then, my fellow bomberman, care to surrender before you PFFT blow a fuse? The one smoking blonde, named Bakugo Katsuki, was not amused. Grrr, I've had enough of your shitty jokes, Deku. He propelled himself with his explosions towards the greenete, ready for another attack. Seeing this, Izuku quickly pried out of the hole and braced himself. Just as the blonde was about to throw the punch, he stomped the floor. THWWWACKKK. Ding ding. A wooden board uppercut sent Katsuki through the ceiling and is now sailing through the air. Seeing his foe unable to battle for the time being, Izuku celebrates his hard-earned victory. Another win for the green people. Izuku jumps for joy as he presents himself with a medal he pulled out of nowhere. From this day forward, the future students of this fine establishment will learn about the great war that has transpired in this establishment. He looks to the ground solemnly, and the sacrifices that many had taken to ensure victory over the tyrannical nukazoid that threatened our way of life. A manly tear was shed, especially that foreign transfer student, Gary. He will be missed. Whoosh. Now Izuku was dressed in a Scottish Highlander outfit, from which he then pulled bagpipes from his kilt. "Aye laddie, I shall play a song fittin' for your bravery." A bad rendition of Scotland the Brave began to play. Believe it or not, this was not the first time that this had happened in Aldera Middle School. The rivalry between the two knuckleheads had been around ever since their quirks manifested themselves. Let us take a look into their past, shall we? When their quirks were discovered at the age of 4, they were really excited about it. I mean, what little kid wouldn't be when they found out that they can blow stuff up with their hands, or make things out of thin air? Suffice to say, the parents of both boys were overjoyed. That is, until the two began to argue about whose quirk is the better one. "I'm telling you, Deku, my quirk is the best and strongest one," yelled Bakugo as he let out explosions from his hands. "You're nothing but a Looney Tune reject." The other kids and parents at the playground were looking on with slight amusement and concern. Izuku, for his part, just laughed, unfazed at his friend's statement. "Gee, is that what you think? I'm pretty sure my quirk is better than being a short-fused little firecracker." The other kids laughed at his insult. "Oh yeah, at least I'm not some crappy mama's boy," shot back Katsuki. Izuku gasped, clutching his chest from the audacity of that statement. "How dare you say that? My mother is a beautiful and respected woman and should be treated as such. I'm talking about you, dumbass." Whoosh. Izuku was now dressed in a scientist uniform, his curly ruffled hair now white on the contrary. "Hair Bakugo, don't call me that, Deku. The majority of all living organisms are created with the chemical and biological ingredients that our progenitors have given us during the time of our creation. As such, an insult to me is an insult to Mammon." Izuku then rushes over to Bakugo. "Now Zen, let us try an experiment, ya." "The hell you thigh gahh. Ah, the atomic wedgie. Such a classic move, don't you think? Oh, I see. It appears that the material of your underwear are very elastic. That a discovery." Now the whole playground is doubling over in laughter, the adults not even bothering to stifle their own. Bakugo was not going to take this humiliation lightly, and he was going to make sure about it. He fixed his boxers after he dislodged them from his head, then began to pool sweat in his hands. "Oh, I'll give you something to think about, egghead." Boom. He blasted Izuku point blank, sending him crashing through a tree. It wasn't enough, and soon clang. He smacked headfirst into a lamp post, where he then slipped off and landed into a conveniently placed trash bin. Keep Japan tidy, as they say. Izuku quickly got out, now covered in garbage. He sent a glare towards the laughing blonde, who was now the only one laughing. Whoosh. He was now dressed in a soldier uniform, now grinding his teeth. "Oh, that's it. This means war," he snarled. He ran towards Bakugo and gave him a sucker punch. "Prepare to meet your maker, maggot." Both boys were now on the ground, grunts of pain and punches now covered by a large cloud of dust. This alarmed the other parents in the area and rushed in to get their child to safety while the two boys were being separated by their own. At the end of the day, they were both given a very stern lecture for several hours. This was also the time where Mrs. Midoriya found out about how the more traditional method of discipline would go well with Izuku's quirk. Izuku would now have a fear of frying pans and rolling pins. We now return to Izuku's musical Highland Hysteria Hour, already in progress. The music was cut short as the principal came to the cafeteria along with the rest of the front office staff. They all had varying amounts of disgust, shock, and overall stress stitched on their faces as they saw the aftermath of the carnage that had occurred in the place. The principal specifically is looking at a certain green-haired student, now dressed in a janitor's uniform, his face hidden beneath the cap. Izuku was casually mopping the floor, seemingly unaware or uncaring of the new arrivals. "Aye ye there, boss," he greeted with a gruff New York accent. "Just doing my business here. Nothing to see here." "There most certainly is something to see here, young man." I want you and Bakugo in my office. Now, seeing that the jig is up, Izuku threw his mop to the side. You'll never take me alive, teach, he yelled as he went running towards the nearest exit. See kids, when it comes to saying things like that, it is important to know that it could be jinxing yourself. Which is why the universe decided to grant Izuku's wish crash and have him knocked unconscious by a falling Bakugo. Normally, one would be worried about a kid falling several feet from the air on top of another kid, especially when it happens in a school. The teachers just consider it another day in Aldera Middle School. Really, nobody thinks about anything serious when those two are involved. Even when the authorities arrive on the scene, the people of Musutafu never worry. This is mostly because there is only one person who would be insanely idiotic to have this many policemen on the scene in a relatively quiet town. I mean really, not even the heroes even bother to join in due to previous engagements with the problem child duo. Needless to say, the two boys really earned the titles of the troublemakers of Musutafu. And going by the cycle of troublemakers, the two are now in the still messy office. The boys are seated, one with a big grin and the other with a withering glare to said smiling boy. The principal is at his desk, taking some aspirin while a detective stands beside him. Detective Tsukachi took a deep breath, rubbing his temples in a vain attempt to calm down his headache. Boys, this is the 4th time this month that we had to intervene in one of your shenanigans, he explained with a stern voice. The amount of paperwork is enough to drown me till the end of next month, and many heroes are this close to just considering you two low-level villains just to have an excuse to get you guys to stop. What? That's bullshit. It WAS sent me. It was the one-armed man. Shut up, DEKU. This all your fucking fault. Liar. It was you who ruled the cafeteria with an iron fist. What the fuck are you even talking about? FREEDOOMMM. Will you two shut up? The boys were silenced by the detective. If I hear any more from the two of you, I will personally make sure you both end up in a juvenile prison. Am I understood? Yes, sir. Whatever. Goody side again. Now I have already contacted your parents and are now on their way to pick you boys up. I suggest that you two stay put until they arrive. The detective turned to the principal. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to get back to the office to sort this whole mess out. The other officers will be around to get statements on the incident and to make sure things go smoothly. Very well then, detective. Thank you for the assistance. As the detective made his leave, the principal spoke to the other two. Now that we have that out of the way, he started, not even bothering to hide the irritation in his voice. We will all wait until your parents arrive. There is something that they need to know, and I feel it would be best to make sure that they arrive to give the news. Well, crap, I think we all know where this is going. So do the two idiots, as they began to break into cold sweat in their seats. How Bakugo managed to produce cold sweat I do not even know. Mama Midoriya was not having a good day. While there are many others that come quite close, nothing could beat this day. It all started when she got late to work because her alarm clock didn't go off. As those in the workforce would know, she was later chewed out by her superior. Also, she was being hit on by a lot of the patients during her shift. In case the readers didn't know, Midoriya works as a nurse. Now, she may not be Miss Japan or a model like a certain friend of hers, but she was no slouch in the looks department either. With that said, being a nurse uniform and with her kind demeanor did attract a bit of attention. Most of them unwanted, of course. Just as when she thought she would get a bit of relaxation during her break, she gets called into the office from her boss. When she heard the news about the police contacting her to come and speak to them about her son, let's just say that she was allowed to go early by a frightened boss and was now driving towards the school with the speed of a speeder and the rage of a critical parent. The amount of police cars that she passed by did not help either, nor the amount of news reporters that were there as well. She arrives at the parking lot, where many reporters were asking questions to police and people involved. Once they saw the mother out of her car, they quickly rushed over to her, microphones and cameras at hand. Inko, for her part, was doing her best to not outright scream at them as she quickly shoves them away from her. Several officers, seeing her predicament, come towards her and escort her towards the school. Once she arrives at the principal's office, she sees Mitsuki arguing with her son while the principal hides his face with his hands. As for the other one, hello Izuku. The boys jolted from the utter rage barely concealed in her soft voice. Would you like to explain to me why I was called from work? Was told that my son was fighting another student in school, and now the place is temporarily closed due to the extent of the damage. Izuku quickly got out of his chair to face his mother, giving the most cute face he could muster. Oh mother, how lovely to see you again. I see that you look wonderful as always. Playing. A good smack to head with a small frying pan was enough to shut him up. Both the principal and Katsuki jumped from their chairs, afraid of the mother's wrath. Mitsuki, for her part, just watched the whole thing with amusement. Izuku, there is no need for that. Now behave yourself while I speak with the principal, okay honey? Yes, Mu Theater. The poor boy was still seeing stars, literal stars mind you. Inko took her son's seat. Thank you, dear. Now then, is there anything that you wanted to share with us, sir? The poor man wanted to get the hell out, but decided against it and sat back in his seat. Well as you and has already been informed, your son was involved in a fight in campus with the gentleman sitting right next to you, which has resulted in thousands of yen in damages. That's not to mention the parents of some of the students that were caught within the fight itself is demanding that we take legal action against these two. The parents are also threatening to sue. Sue us? Can you tell me the name of these parents? I think we can sort out an agreement, interrupted Mitsuki with a glare of her own. That's not necessary. The police have already taken care of it and will be contacting the both of you to make sure you can settle things out of court. I guess that's that then. And not quite, replied the principal. Explain, demanded Inko. Well, we all know that this hasn't been the first time that this has happened at school. At first we were overlooking it because we saw the potential that the boys have in being successful in the long run. However, we can no longer be able to do so and we will have to apply punishment as deemed fit. Wait, you don't mean? I do. The principal gave a grave look to the two families in the room. Katsuki Bakugo and Izuku Midoriya, you both are hereby expelled from this school. What? That's bullshit. This is all your fault, Deku, you shitty clown. B1GAH. Now this got Izuku from his delusional state before being tackled. Hey, what's the big idea, short fuse? Get off me. Like hell I will. I quote LL kill you. Go choke on your own sweat, Pomeranian. The two mothers quickly got their boys separated before they would cause any more trouble. Smack, clang, and that was the sound of the mothers making sure they wouldn't do it again. The ride back home was silent for the most part. If one were to ask Naomasa Tsukachi if he regretted being in the police force, he would say no. If someone were to ask him if he regretted being in charge of keeping an eye on a certain individual because of his tendencies, he would still say no. If someone were to ask him that after he saw the literal stacks of paperwork he had in his office desk, he would advise you to get the hell out, which is what he did after he kicked out a junior officer that was giving him a report. He spent the rest of the day doing paperwork with no way of getting out of it. That is, until the universe decided to throw a bone to the guy. Obviously by bone, I mean Yagita Shinori. Naomasa did not even bother looking up from his paperwork when he knocked. Come in. The number one hero peeked his head out the door into his office. Hey Naomasa, you said you wanted to talk to me. Yes, as a matter of fact, I do. Anything to get an excuse to hold off this paperwork for a while. Yagi whistled at the amount of paper on the detective's desk. Whoa, you've been busy. Did you get an increase of crime in the area? Believe it or not, no. Naomasa finally looked up and gestured to the stacks of paper. All this is from a single incident that just happened just a few hours ago. GOCK. Yagi quickly wiped off the blood he spewed in surprise. Wait, are you serious? Afraid so, my friend. I've been at this for a long while now and I haven't even gotten halfway. I swear those kids are going to be the death of me. Wait, kids, are you telling me that this was all done by a bunch of kids? No, just two. Naomasa corrected. The kicker. This isn't even the first time I had to do this. Digging through the drawers in his desk, he pulls out a considerably large file. He gives the file to Yagi. The first incident happened around 12 years ago, when they were fighting in a playground. It started out as simple roughhousing, but then it went too far and made massive damage to the property itself. Ever since then, I've been assigned to take care of each occurrence, and every time it's been headache after headache. Yagi looked into the file while the detective explained the situation. The first thing he sees are two simple portrait-sized photos of the two boys, both in their early teen years. One was a boy with emerald hair, green eyes and symmetrical freckles in each cheek with the biggest smile the blonde ever saw. His eyes were wide with what seemed to be immense excitement, and seems he was okay with what was going on. In fact, he looked even proud of being in that photo, proud of what is up for debate. On the other hand, the other kid looked like he wanted to be anywhere but there. He had blonde, spiky hair with red eyes and with the look that would rival a decent villain with the amount of rage bleeding into the photo. There was also a bit of smoke coming out from the background, which was weird. Turning the photos around, he found their names and ages written on the back. Izuku Midoriya and Katsuki Bakugo. So these are the two troublemakers? He asked the detective. Naomasa gave a slight nod and rested his elbows on his desk. That's correct, Yagi. Although with this recent one, they really are going to be in hot water this time. Yagi looked up from the file confused. What do you mean by that? Don't tell me they were arrested. They weren't, but I was informed by the principal of the school where the incident took place. As of right now, they have been expelled and outright banned from entering for any reason whatsoever. As for the parents, they would have to pay a certain amount in fines, as most of the damage were thankfully covered by the insurance company. The blonde hero spat out more blood in shock. The two of them managed to get in that much trouble, and with so much damage. How the hell does he even put up with this? As surely there has to be some sort of reason why the two are always at each other's throats. If there is, then they haven't said anything about it yet. We already tried to get the two to see a therapist, but that only led to the therapist herself being sent for help. My god, Hube. Naomasa let out a deep breath and pinched the bridge of his nose. I've been looking for ways to settle their little quarrel, but I'm running out of options here. Which brings me to you. Me. Yes. He motioned the file Yagi was currently holding. Based on their information I found in their files, one of the only things that they have in common is their love of heroes. Both are the biggest fans of All Might, and have even been seen putting their fight aside for things involving heroes at times. So you want me to talk to them as All Might? At first, yes, but then I realized you don't really met the type of person who solves problems with words. So I was kind of hoping you could find someone who was willing to come and try to talk to these two. Yagi took a moment to contemplate the idea before handing the file back to Naomasa. Very well then, my friend. I will go ahead and make a few phone calls. I am sure I can find a few heroes who are perfect for the job. The detective gave a tired smile. Glad to hear that. You have no idea how much you are helping me here. The blonde-haired Skeletor smiled back and they both said their goodbyes. Once Yagi left, the detective looked at the remaining stack of papers still on his desk. He hopes that his friend finds someone to help him. Otherwise, he wasn't sure if he was able to continue with this routine for much longer now. Maybe after this he would go for some good alcohol. That always helps him unwind and forget the woes of today. Wait, he just realized something. Since the boys don't have to go to school anymore, that would mean they would be left wandering around Musutafu at some point, and he would have to file paperwork for every single fight they get involved. Why? Slam. Nagi, wait. Boredom. The state of being weary and restless through lack of interest. It is that dastardly being that seeps into the mind of every living soul, draining its victim of its life force and willpower. It is the very thing that scares even the laziest of people and the most creative of minds. Hell, even the author himself had to remedy himself through the use of forced writing and cheerful music. For Izuku, he very rarely gets bored, but when he does, he makes sure that the whole world knows of his suffering. 7003 BOOORRRRRRRRRREDDD, wailed Izuku, clinging onto his pillow like his life depended on it. The young boy has himself sprawled all over his bed, with the All Might sheets in complete disarray. Actually, his whole room is All Might themed, the only exception being some 50-second style furniture and his collection of cartoons in the corner. It's a good thing that his clothes aren't All Might themed as well, because it would be an awkward conversation to explain why he would have All Might undies. I mean, really, are you really willing to wear your favorite hero on your crotch? Weird questions aside, Izuku quickly sat at his desktop. He was thankful that he was not banned from using it, since he was grounded by his mother ever since the incident that took place about a week ago. From there he just spent his time rewatching old cartoons and practicing with his guitar, as well as watching videos of hero fights that recently took place. He is a bit irked that he wasn't there to personally see it, but does not want to incur the wrath of Midoriya and her brutish pan of punishment. Quickly getting that horrid image out his mind, he opened up a video that would always lift up his spirits when the times were tough. This video in particular took place during last year's UA Sports Festival, when the finals took place. The final match between two students in the hero course, Tamaki Amajiki and Mirio Tagata, was a sight to behold in Izuku's eyes. He remembered how the way the two used their quirks along with their considerable fighting prowess. It was unlike anything he'd ever seen in a match like that in the previous years before that. His near-insane smile was practically glued on for the duration of the match, remembering when he literally burned his notes into his notebook, smoke and all. That was nothing compared to what happened near the end of the fight. As both fighters were now exhausted, Mirio decided to try to catch the gloomy guy off guard by appearing behind him with his clothes off. Ha ha ha, no need to be so cheeky there, Tintin. HLHLHAA, he called out, banging his fist on the table. The first time he saw that, he nearly died of suffocation from so much laughter. After looking into it, he found it had to do with his quirk, which was some sort of transparency effect on objects. In retrospect it made sense, but you can't blame him for that not being the first thing that came to mind. The reporters who made the article about it certainly had a field day for weeks at the poor teen's expense. Izuku, what did I say about staying quiet? Izuku fell back on his chair from the sudden outburst from his mother in the kitchen, then quickly stood up straight in front of the door with shivering nervousness. Sorry, mother. I'll be good, promise, he answered with a nervous smile. Good boy. I love you, my little Izuku. I love you too, Mom. More than anything else in the world. Me too, but remember that flattery will get you nowhere, she said in a sing-song voice. True, but you can't blame a kid for trying right. Hey, yes, Mom. Once he was sure that she wouldn't burst through the door, he let out a sigh of relief as his head hung in sadness. Say what you will about our crazy green-haired problem child, but if there is one thing that he would not do under any circumstance, it would be to make his mother really upset. Hell hath no fury like a mother scorned. He silently wept comical tears in his room. The things I do for love, he muttered miserably. We've been there, kid. We've all been there. Inko sighed as she began to boil water for the tea. I absolutely adore my son. but sometimes I can't help but just wish that he takes more consideration about what he does. She then takes a seat at the table, giving a small smile to her guest. Either way, I can't thank you enough for taking the time to tutor my son, Ms. Fukukato. I understand how stressful it might be with your already busy schedule. Oh, not at all. In fact, I kind of wanted to find an excuse to meet him, haha. That was really just understating her statement to say the least. Also, you can drop the formalities. Call me Emmy. Ever since she found out about the kid through a certain homeless man-looking hero she worked with from time to time, she wanted to know more about him. Looking through the public records and Quirk registration forms, she found that Izuku had a very unusual but powerful quirk. Apparently, Izuku had the ability to bend reality to his will, rendering many laws of physics and other fields of science practically pointless. It was very concerning for her to see that, because she wondered how a boy his age would be able to handle a quirk so powerful such as that. But she then became amazed at his skills and creativity when she looked through the incident files given to her by a very tired detective Naomasa. The boy was able to control his powers to an extent using nothing more than cartoon logic. It was simple, but very effective as demonstrated in the files. However, it seemed as though he has a hard time trying to reel in his emotions when using them. That might need to be addressed. It was a good thing she brought the file when she came to visit the Midoriya family. Okay then. Now a little bird told me that a certain young man was expelled from school and needed someone to come in and help teach Izuku. The cops figured I was the right gal for the job, and so Emmy spread out her arms. Here I am. She then leaned in as if she was gossiping, although I do have a few questions about Izuku regarding his quirk. Inko was confused, such as, well, for starters, how did Izuku learn to control his quirk like that? Better yet, how did you guys figure out his quirk in the first place? Well, it wasn't easy, I can tell you that. Inko rested her head on one arm, remembering all those times when Izuku was just manifesting his quirk. When he was born, the doctors were already baffled at how developed he was so quickly. I mean, when he reached the age of 1, he was already able to learn many things that would be near impossible with other infants. From there we figured that he had some sort of body enhancement quirk, but then her expression became more strained. Then what? Emmy asked with slight worry. I hope I didn't bring any bad memories up, did I? Inko was quick to reassure her. Oh no. Not at all. It's just, well, this was when the incident started happening. Incident? I thought that the incidents didn't happen until he was 4 years old. Well, those only covered the incidents that had police involved. Back then Izuku wanted to learn more about his quirk, and he did a lot of experimenting in his room. One day he would be stretching his tongue out as far as he could, then releasing it back into his mouth. Then he would literally inflate himself like a balloon and just float around the house before deflating. Even went so far as to try to see if he could breathe underwater by acting like a fish. Yeesh, he sounds like a handful. No offense. None taken. I didn't want him to hurt himself doing those things, so I told him to not do anything he wasn't sure of. So he goes with the crazy idea to try a few things from old pre-Quirk era cartoons. Inko let out another sigh. Turns out it went better than expected, and starts watching even more cartoons, and it soon became a hobby for him. He even learned how to play guitar and use it as a weapon from a cartoon he watched once, where it starred a horse who was a cowboy. PFFFT, really? Yes. The two women shared a laugh at that. Who knew this boy would learn so much just by watching cartoons? Once they calmed down, Inko got up from her seat to get the tea ready. Well then, when will my son start his tutoring? Well, he won't start until next week. However, I'd like to talk to him, so we get to know each other a bit before starting. Can you call him over here, please? Sure thing, Emmy. Izuku, there is someone to see you. What? Slam. Izuku bursts through the door with annoyance. I already told that wise guy Naomasa th. He stops himself as he realizes who is sitting at the dining table. Emmy flashes a closed-eye wide grin. Hey there, sport. Nice jammas, she calls out, giving the stupefied kid a thumbs up. GOCK. Izuku just now realizes that he was wearing a large All Might onesie. Quick, you can still salvage this. These pajamas, these pajamas are hand-me-downs. Suori, whatever you say, bud. Now then, you're the guy the town's been talking about, huh? You know me. Well, of course. Who hasn't, right? Now come on, get over here and have a chat with your new tutor. Gasp, you're my tutor. Really? Woohoo. Izuku threw his hands in the air, bouncing in excitement WHOOOSH, before zooming into the room and out again. Emmy was caught off guard seeing Izuku quickly appear in front of her, fully clothed and with a notebook handed out to her. Can I get an autograph? Pretty please, with sprinkles on top. You're a quick one, I'll give you that, she said, signing on the notebook that was filled with very detailed information about her and her quirk. Seems this little guy has more smarts than what he lets on. A goofball, but by no means an idiot. Inko gave a deadpan stare at her son, who was looking at his notebook as if blessed by the angels themselves. Okay Izuku, you can stop bothering Emmy now. We need to have a talk. From there the conversation really just boils down to scheduling the tutor sessions, as well as mandatory babysitting hours as said by Emmy. For the smiling hero herself, it seemed that she would very much enjoy her tutoring with Izuku. With the idle chit-chat over and the tea finished, Enko allowed her son to go outside with his soon-to-be tutor. Well then, if I'm going to spend time with her, might as well have her know the rest of the gang, thought Izuku. With that goal in mind, he made a few phone calls as they made their way through town. Located within the coastline of Musutafu lies a place called the Dagaba Municipal Beach. This was once a beautiful beach that was a hit with the locals, and many flocked towards the area for fun. Now it's a dump. Don't really have much to say than that. Meihatsune was currently roaming around the heaps of trash looking for scrap metal, throwing them haphazardly into a small cart. Mirio, on the other hand, stood atop of a very large heap, looking out in search of his friend. Both received a call from Izuku telling them both to wait for him, not really giving any further information. Then again, he spoke really erratically. Guys, you are not going to believe this MS joke is in my house and is going to be my tutor and says she knows me and I got autograph and meet the beach right now and we'll be there in a bit, okay thanks bye. Yeah, try understanding this in one take. Imagine trying to figure out what he said at that moment. Good luck with that. Geez, I know Izuku wanted to meet with us for something, but would it kill him to slow down on his directions? Clatter, clatter. Mei gets up from her scavenging to look up at the muscled blonde with a wide smile. Oh come on now, Miri. You wanted to see him again too, you know. Clang, she says as she throws more metal into the cart. Besides, this is practically the only place where he could cause a ruckus and nobody would care. Who knows how long such a place would last for a guy like him? Sigh, yeah, I guess you're right. Still, it would do him a lot of good to try to chill down for a bit, you know. I feel like one of these days it's going to backfire on him. Haha, I think it already did, with the expulsion and whatnot. But look on the bright side. There's a bright side, Mirio asked. Of course, Mei punched the air, determination in her eyes. Now that he doesn't have to deal with that place, he can test out my babies for as long as I want. The perfect guinea pig for an inventor like me, haha. Mirio gave a deadpan stare at his pink-haired friend. Of course you would only think of that, Mei. Mirio wasn't friends with Mei until he became friends with Izuku, which was shortly after the UA Sports Festival. While Izuku did come on a bit strong, he grew to enjoy Izuku's antics and became fast friends. However, they weren't really able to hang out as much since he still had to work on his school assignments, not mentioning the internship he currently has with Nidai. They would still keep in touch, and would often find his green-haired buddy in a news story involving some outrageous situation. Given that Sir Nidai himself is one of the few heroes who actually enjoy hearing about these shenanigans. At the very least, Mirio didn't have to worry about his friend becoming more than an annoyance, if the frequent chuckling was anything to go by. Mei was a whole other can of worms. Meihatsune had met Izuku much earlier than Mirio, following an aftermath of a recent incident between him and Bakugo. It was like any other day where she would just go to the beach and gather materials for her gadgets until, boom, she was startled by the sound of an explosion happening nearby. Looking up, she found a certain singed figure heading towards her before quickly diving for cover. Look out, BELLOOWWWW. CRNNNSSHHH. The poor boy crashed into the piles, causing an avalanche of trash which overwhelmed the inventor in the process. It wasn't long until both managed to get their heads out of the sea of metallic residue. From there was when she managed to take a good look at the boy. The boy was also doing the same thing, staring at her. They stayed quiet for about a minute before the boy decided to break the ice. Heh, looks like I ain't the only one down in the dumps, eh, Pinky? Never before she would think about a time she laughed at something so stupid. And from that moment, she decided that this boy was to be her friend. Izuku was the first person to even consider about helping me with testing my babies when I first met him. With that quirk of his, I know damn well that I'm going to milk it for what it's worth. So of course I am thinking of that. What, and you don't care at all for his safety? Mei holds up a rusty crowbar with slightly violent intent. Now don't you go and try to mince my words here, mister, she hissed. I consider him a good friend and business partner, as well as a volunteer test dummy. I tried asking you, remember? Yes, I do remember that. I also remember how that little gadget almost killed me in a fireball. Then you know how much I value Izuku. That doesn't sound so reassuring. Hey guys, Izuku, you're here. Mei discarded the crowbar to the sea clang. Oh, what the hell, Mei? Oh, it hit Mirio, never mind. Mei promptly ignored the blonde. Izuku ran towards the two with his traveling buddy closely behind. Seems he is a bit eager to get here, looking at how winded his tutor is right now. The poor woman was on her knees trying her best at regaining her consciousness again. Izuku, gasp, I know how. Wheeze ... much you want to see. Gasp, them again, but at least ... let ... me ... catch you bleh. Thud. The three quickly ran over to the lady on the ground with concern, or maybe with slight morbid curiosity. You can never tell with these kind of things. Holy crap, she practically ran out of steam. Izuku, what did I say about using your quirk moderately? Sorry. I guess I was a little excited. But don't worry, whoosh. She will be in good hands, said Izuku, now dressed in a doctor's uniform. Dr. Tagata, prepare the patient for treatment. Nurse May, get the medical tools. Izuku, she's suffering from dehydration. We need to get her to a hospital. Slam. Midoriya was silenced with the blunt force of the table, now laying under it while unconscious. May set to work helping the young woman get on top of said table. Okay, patient is ready for treatment. Izuku gave a slight nod as he rushed towards the ocean. Once on the shore, he pulled out a metal bucket and filled it with water in one swing. BWOOSH. Rushing back to the patient's side, he prepared himself. May took a step back outside the splash zone. Clear. SPLAAASH. BLAARGH. Ms. Joke jolted back into consciousness before losing her balance, falling out of the table. Coughing out the water, she slowly got back on her feet and looked at Izuku. Okay, she said, slightly confused. Any reason I am wet? And she immediately looked at her surroundings. Why is there a guy under this table? And why are you in a doctor's outfit? May took this as her cue to introduce herself. She moves to Izuku's side, now gaining the tutor's attention. Hey, teach. Sorry about the confusion earlier, but this guy really doesn't know how to keep it together when it comes to meeting new people. May offers her hand for a handshake. The name's May Hatsum, Izuku's friend, genius, and inventor extraordinaire. The older woman smiled brightly at her introduction. Emi Fukukato, but you can call me Emi. You know, when I was told that Izuku has friends, I was a bit skeptical. She looked to the side sheepishly, lightly scratching her cheek. Sorry if that seems a bit rude, but after hearing about the guy's little misadventures, I was worried that he was hanging out with the wrong crowd. As if. May draped her arm over her buddy's shoulders. Those street thugs already tried to recruit the guy, but he was too much of a wild card to even get close. Matter of fact, even the local Yakuza tries to get out of his way. Emi's mouth hanged open in shock. Wait, what? Miyamasa didn't tell me that. I even looked into his files and everything. May gave a playful scoff at that. That's probably because the green bean over here causes so much trouble he can't keep up with it. I mean, really, whatever crap he has in those files are just their own little version of it. I remember this one time where he, Alright, that's enough out of you, grease monkey. Izuku shoves May to the side. WHOOSH. Dressing back to his casual clothes, he goes back towards the table and drags out the still unconscious Midoriya, then hoists him over his shoulder. Now if you gossip girls are done with the yarn spinning, I know a place where we can get ourselves some nice grub. Who's with me? As long as I don't have to pay, I'm in. Well, I am hungry after all that running, but Emi pointed at Midoriya. Shouldn't we do something to help him out first? Izuku looked at the hunk of tintin flesh on his shoulder. Oh, right. Wait for it. Why it for idiot. Whoosh. May, prepare the table. We have another patient that needs steam, stat. After reviving Midoriya, the group went to a local fast food joint where it served burgers. Unfortunately, after a while the staff had to inform their fellow customers that they were out of meat for the time being. The people there wouldn't have to guess very long about it after seeing a mountain of food on one of the tables, courtesy of a hungry Izuku and his guests. Midoriya and Emi just stared at the other two with a look that can only be described as one that desperately tries to register the absolute ridiculous scene happening in front of them. May, for her part, was trying her best to not make much of a mess while eating, which she was failing miserably due to the fact that she was using a cross-head screwdriver to stab into her chicken tendies. Izuku, however, Emi could not comprehend about how a young man like Izuku would be able to inhale the monstrous amount of food that was on the table itself. Burgers, French fries, curly fries, salads, chicken tenders, and whatever sides or items he had was close to touching the ceiling. At this point, it was safe to say that all the people was just staring at him. Maybe I was a bit gung-ho about this after all, Emi thought. Everyone, including the employees, were so engrossed with the boys eating that they failed to see a middle-aged businessman walking towards the counter with a strange bag on his side. An American to be exact, working overseas and on his lunch break. He seemed tense, as if he was just about fed up with his day and just wanted something to get his off of it. Hopefully they were able to serve him a nice, juicy burger with fries. That would really hit the SB. But no, a few days before the meeting with the Midoriya household, a very peppy Emi was on her way towards the Musutafu precinct shortly after work, where she would talk about a certain assignment she could help with. While she isn't by any means against it, she couldn't help but feel as though there was something strange in regards to the assignment itself. This became apparent when she received a phone call beforehand from someone within All Might's agency, asking specifically for her expertise. Knowing that her primary quirk is making people laugh, and the fact that no one else wanted to take the assignment spoke volumes. The phone call itself was enough to raise a few flags. Ms. Joke, I beg of you, Please, please, please take the case. The distraught voice from the other side says, I have already gone through all other contacts from the directories and everyone else is either unwilling or unable to do this. Crash, crack, smash. Detective, please control yourself. A loud sobbing noise could be heard in the background. Where did I go wrong? Tell me, where did I go wrong? Another voice comes on in the background, now that of a teen. Ooh, I think you need to aim a bit higher. Also, I am loving the new beard. Going for a rugged manly man approach, Chief. Blam, blam, crash. Get out of here, Midoriya. Boing, boing, woohoo, woohoo, hoo-hoo-hoo. Somebody stop me. The first voice comes back on, sounding like he's also about to come to tears. Please, please tell me you'll do it. Please. This would have been enough to just hang up now and save herself the trouble. To just walk away and save herself from the absolute insanity and outright wackiness that would befall her in the foreseeable future. But after having second thoughts, she just couldn't. 1. This was someone from All Might's agency, meaning that whatever it was she was going to get into was important if it caught the attention of the #1 hero. 2. Literally no one else wanted to do it, which means that if she took it and managed to accomplish it, it would bolster her hero career immensely. Finally, she would be lying if she said that she didn't have a bit of curiosity about the kid. I mean, the guy was on the local news almost every 2 weeks, if not more often if you include the newspaper and internet. With someone like Izuku, there was bound to be attention sooner or later. Although not sure if that's for better or for worse on that one. She figured she would find out sooner or later. And with that, she arrived at the station where a slightly tipsy Naomasa gave her the rundown on the assignment. Become a tutor, babysitter of one Izuku Midoriya. Make sure he stays out of trouble. Report on anything suspicious that occurs with him around, and to make sure he never ever gets close to someone named Katsuki Bakugo. Pretty straightforward stuff, to be honest. Surely, this wouldn't be too bad, right? Back to present day. Today was a somewhat weird day for Emi so far. Nothing much really happened in the morning when she received the files from a hungover Naomasa. During her visit at the Midoriya residence, there wasn't really much out of the ordinary, although the green-haired kid certainly gave quite a first impression. The fact that he was a total mama's boy was adorable. No wonder the kid was so behaved in the house. Unfortunately, his good behavior quickly left right after he set foot outside. Today was a hell of a day to not take her car. She ran after the little speedster and quickly found him at the beach. She then recalled passing out later, then recovering from being splashed in the face, then seeing him and his friend taking care of another friend who was also found unconscious. Now, she and a guy named Mirio were looking at a pink-haired gremlin stabbing food with tools and a well-casually dressed Izuku literally inhaling the entire meat stock of an American-style restaurant. Both already lost their appetite a while ago. Inhaling the entire meat. Little. Sorry, was just reminding myself of something. Moving on now. Suo ... Does this happen often? She asked Mirio, who was quietly sipping some soda. Not really, only when he's really hungry, he replied, quickly reminding the two gluttons for their manners before continuing. At first it was difficult to do so without worrying about his budget, but then one of the heroes took an interest in him. Well, this is new, Emi thought. Really? I thought none of the heroes wanted anything to do with him. Mirio gave a sheepish look at the statement. Most don't, either because they couldn't handle his erratic personality or he would simply outshine them. He then quickly shifted into a bright smile, but then Sir Night-Eye decided he would be the one to support him. Sir Night-Eye, not to be rude or anything, but he doesn't seem to be the type of guy to help him of all people. I might need to speak with him later on about this. Yeah, you would think that, but it's actually quite the opposite. When I first started my internship with him, it turns out he is a sucker for comedy. He would always watch the news whenever Izuku came on, and he never fails to get a laugh out of him. They both looked at the eating duo, still devouring everything in sight. Mirio continued with his explanation. Well, Izuku and I became friends shortly after the sports festival. When he found out about my internship with Sir Night-Eye, he immediately began hounding me for a tour. When I told this to Sir Night-Eye, he began hounding me for him to come visit his agency. I finally caved in. And not only did Izuku come for a tour of the place, he also got to be on a patrol route with the both of us. Unbelievable. Oh, you better believe it, Ms. Laugh a Lot, exclaimed Izuku, peeling out from the mountain of food. Me, Tintin, and All Might's little helper were out there in the streets, fighting crime and having a grand old time. Speaking of time, FWISHH. He quickly swipes Miro's soda, ignoring the indignant hey. Flug. EUURRRRRRP. Time for a refill. FWOOSH. Izuku now arrives at the soda machine, pulling out an outrageously huge cup of out nowhere. Looks at the reader. Remember, kids, drink moderately and responsibly. Okay then, putting aside the strange PSA for a minute, we find a middle-aged man just entering the restaurant. You were wondering when he would show up, eh? With a hint of nervousness, he goes to the register where he quickly sets a black, strange bag on the counter. The lady on the counter doesn't seem to notice this and promptly greets the man. Welcome, sir. How can I help you today? Why, yes, hello. I would like a bacon cheeseburger combo with large fries, no salt please. This would have been a typical day if it wasn't for the fact that the man was quickly darting his head around every moment, as if someone was looking for him. It was also another big red flag as he made sure the bag was close to him at all times. I'm sorry, sir. We are currently out of meat for the time being. What? Yells the man, leaning forwards and startling the woman as well as bringing himself attention to the rest of the patrons. What do you mean you are out of meat? Oh, our last customer ordered a large serving of food and we are not able to get any shipments in until next week. Next week? This is outrageous. I have been spending all week working on a project of mine, and I wanted to spend the day celebrating with a nice juicy burger. Is that too much to ask? The man quickly grabs the woman by the collar, bringing her face to face. Well, is it? And no, sir. That's what I thought. He then shoves the employee to the side, before turning his attention to the wide-eyed patrons. Now then, who is the idiot that ordered so much damned food? WHHIP. All fingers point to Izuku, who was still too busy filling up his soda. Mei was too busy eating, not really knowing or caring what was going on. Mirio and Emi, however, had the decency to look worried and slightly embarrassed at the man, although he didn't notice it. Hey you, green-haired brat. Huh? Izuku turned towards the voice. You talking to me? Yes, I'm talking to you. Who the hell do you think you are, ordering all that food? Izuku set his large cup to the side and went into a thinking pose. Well, there are a lot of things that I am and am not, but for the sake of simplicity I would say you. He struggled to find a word, before turning to the folks at his table. What's that word that describes when they really like eating, but not in a good way? A glutton. Being a pig. Nom nom nom. Morbidly obese. Nom nom nom. Being hungry. That's right. Izuku focused on the man again. Hungry is my final answer. Why, I mean that's not the point. The man is steaming now with rage. I demand you compensate for this outrage. Compensate? Well, I don't have anything to give you at the moment, but WHOOSH. Izuku now stood tall, dressed as the colonel. I say, there's a nice chicken joint down over yonder that can really fill up that shriveled up stomach of yours, although the grub is more drier than a smoldering bearded mug of a certain number. I say, number 20. The man was not amused. So this is a joke to you, is it? Well then, how about I make it more serious? Things were escalating very quickly, and Emi for her part was not going to let this go any further. Whoa there, old-timer. There's no need to start any fights here. I'm sure we can all settle things in a nice and peaceful CRRRASHH. She was interrupted by dodging a cash register thrown her way. Thankfully, the register didn't hit anyone else, but it was enough for the other patrons and employees to quickly realize the situation and began running out the exits. Mirio and Mei, also realizing the situation, got up from their seats as well. The man now started convulsing very violently as dark green ooze began to seep out from his face, quickly enveloping over his body. Tentacles sprouted out from behind and began grabbing furniture and other objects, destroying everything around it. Emi quickly switched to her hero persona. Mei, Izuku, you two get out and make sure the civilians stay away from the area. Mirio, you stick with me. Yes, ma'am. Awa. Izuku, you are already in thin ice. I am not going to have you arrested. Teach, I already faced enough baddies to know how this whole shindig works. He won't get a single hit from SLEAM, BAAM, IZUKU. Their cry goes unheard as a thrown fryer slams into him, sending him through the wall and onto the street before hitting oncoming traffic. He crashes onto the windshield of a car, causing a domino effect as other cars began crashing into each other and several other objects. Several bystanders have begun calling the police while others run away from the chaos. The screams and car noises are just icing of the cake as panic and confusion spread around the area. Meanwhile, the fight had already fired off as the slime villain threw more furniture at the two while simultaneously swiping at them with his tentacles. However, his movements were too sluggish, allowing the duo to easily dodge all incoming debris. GRRR, stay still, damn it. Sorry, not in the mood for jello right now. Leave it to Ms. Joke to have a one-liner ready. Mirio, see if you can get a hit on him. On it. POOWWWEERR. Mirio quickly charged forward, easily avoiding any hits from the monster. He quickly closes the distance as the delivers a right hook SQUELSH, only to find his fist embedded in the slime. What the? He cries out as he tries to yank his hand out of the slime. Unfortunately, the composition of the slime is too thick, making it impossible for him to move around. As he realizes this, the villain begins to ensnare him further in the slimy goop. It only took a matter of seconds before he was fully encased. The slime villain cackled madly as he begins to inch closer to Ms. Joke, failing to notice the slight smirk on her face. HLHLH. Is that all you heroes got? HLHLHLHLH. I should have known that you were incompetent, but this is ridiculous. HLHLHLHLH. By this time, the restaurant had been virtually destroyed, revealing a crowd of bystanders surrounding them at a considerable distance. They cried out as they saw the young man get caught by the slime villain, and grew worried for him when the villain began gloating. HLHLHLHLH ... and gloating. HLHLHLHLHLH ... and gloating. Okay, now I'm beginning to think he has a bit of a breathing problem. This was made more evident as it became more difficult for him to use his tentacles by how much he was twitching. That and the apparent tears he's been shedding. I'm all for laughing at your own joke, but there's no need to force it. Ms. Joke gave a big thumbs up. Now MIRIO. Seeing the signal, Mirio gave a quick wide smile before quickly phasing out of the slime and into the ground. The slime monster gave a loud cry of surprise. Oh, never mind. He's still laughing. However, his laughter soon got cut short as a naked Mirio suddenly shot out from below ground. Before the slime villain had the chance to register the fact that he was looking at a high schooler's junk, Mirio quickly gave an impressive roundhouse kick towards the eyes, managing to knock them off the main body. GYHH. I'll kill you for that. Slime villain, now devoid of vision, began to move much more erratically. Reactivated her quirk to prevent the villain from causing further damage. Ba-bonk. Oh, so now the sleeping beauty decides come in a. Shut it, narrator, yelled Izuku as he was now holding the eyeballs that knocked him in the head as he was trying to get up. Now then, what the heck is the deal with these? He held out the eyes that were in his hand. I get they were keeping an eye on me, but this is ridiculous. Well, take a look at the fight going on right now. What fight? Fight right next to you. What? He looks to the side and sees the fight that was currently going on. At the moment, the slime villain is still being restrained by Ms. Joke's quirk while Mirio switches to a different tactic as he now begins to scoop away from the main body. He puts the eyeballs in his pocket and observes the scene in front of him. Oh, I see what he's up to, thought Izuku, wearing him down till he's nothing but a single serving ... not bad ... darn. Now I'm hungry for jello. He also sees Ms. Joke slightly trembling, sweat gracing her features. Oh boy, she doesn't look too hot. Looks like she's about to pass out in a few minutes. It would only be a matter of time before she is forced to deactivate her quirk, which might give the slime villain a chance to recover. Seeing no other choice, there is only one thing to do. Welp, might as well stick around until this whole thing blows over. But first, whoosh, Izuku quickly changes into a maid uniform, now with an added apron. I need to clean up all this rubbish, says the cross-dressing weirdo as he pulls out a massive vacuum cleaner and a broom from the front pocket of said apron. He begins to sweep up the debris while simultaneously vacuuming up all the slime scattered everywhere. Meanwhile, Ms. Joke is struggling to keep up her quirk up, exhaustion now catching up with her. It proves to be futile as the slime villain's laughter now begins to die down, now replaced with deep staggering breaths. The slime villain was also not faring any better, seeing how his overall mass has decreased by the amount of slime lost from Mirio's attacks. His small slime body is in a daze, convulsing at several intervals. He cough, tough, ha wheeze please. He please no more, ha. Finally, collapses to her knees as she can no longer keep up. Mirio quickly halts his attack, rushing in to support her. Ms. Joke, are you okay? He asks worryingly. I am okay, big guy, just a bit worn is all. Good. I'll get you to a safe spot to recover. Seeing that the slime villain is still dazed by the afterglow of the laughing hero's quirk, Mirio quickly carries Ms. Joke towards the perimeter border, where the authorities and paramedics have already made their presence known. It seems May managed to get help. He will have to thank her later. Mirio calls to the nearest police officer. Sir, please make sure she gets treatment ASAP. She's suffering from quirk overuse. Yes, sir. The officer and several others quickly take Ms. Joke to an ambulance. Mirio rushes back to the scene, only to find that the slime villain has already recovered from his dizziness. OHHH, that's it. I've had enough of this crap. I'm going to make sure you don't get out of this alley. Damn it. He's reabsorbing the slime. He positions himself in a runner's stance before shooting out towards the villain. This has gone long enough. I'm going to end this fight right now. He cocks an arm back, ready to give the final blow. POOWWWERRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRRR This next part happens very fast, so this must be done with slow motion. I apologize in advance for any inconvenience. Now picture this. We see Mirio about to punch the slime villain in a virtually destroyed American restaurant. The slime villain is blind, not knowing he is about to be knocked out. Mirio is now in the process of delivering the punch, which would completely splatter the villain and end the fight. Oh, the fight still ends but in a different way. You see, just as he delivers the punch, a mop of green hair appears in his peripherals. His head turns very slowly to see a very scantily dressed Izuku coming in with a vacuum hose, unaware of his surroundings. The hose reaches the villain, which quickly sucks him up and entraps him in the case. At this point, Izuku slowly turns his head towards the voice, only to see a fist heading towards him. Mirio quickly adjusts his aim so that it doesn't hit Izuku. Unfortunately, he realizes he overshot the distance and is now in the process of crashing into Izuku. Now to our regularly scheduled programming. That right there is the sound of the two boys crashing into an office building. Nobody else was hurt, although the large dust was clearly an annoyance, as well as the comically large pile of debris that was dropped on top of them. While May wouldn't consider herself a coward or weak in any way, she knows she's not suitable for combat whatsoever. She's an inventor, for crying out loud. She wanted to make stuff to make it easier for heroes to beat up bad guys, not do it herself. Thankfully, after she was able to get the crowd away from the fight that was going to find, she immediately set out to contact any heroes that were nearby. Although by the time they arrived, the fight was pretty much over. Death Arms, Mount Lady, Backdraft, and Kamui Woods all head over towards the scene, while May herself went over to the laughing hero herself, who was still recovering from her condition in the ambulance. "Ms. Joke, are you all right?" May asked. The heroine gave the worried pink-haired girl a thumbs up, although it was a bit shaky. "Yeah, I'm all right, kiddo. Just got a bit winded out. That's all," she replied. "Also, thanks for getting the civilians out of harm's way. I really appreciate it. Don't mention it, but what the others? Are they okay as well?" The hero's smile diminished a bit. "Mirio was doing all right when we were fighting the villain, but then he had to take me over here because I was close to passing out due to Quirk overuse. Couldn't he have apprehended the villain before taking you out of there? Well, considering the fact that we are in our civilian clothes with nothing to apprehend him with, might as well keep me out of harm's way, right?" "Well, I would beg to differ, but what do I know? I'm not a hero," replied May rather nonchalantly. "Anyways, how are the others doing?" "Not sure, but Izuku took one hell of a hit from the villain. Not sure if he's okay or not." May noticed the slight worry in her voice, but was quick to reassure her in that regard. "Don't worry about Izuku, ma'am. I know him for a long time, and I can tell you without a doubt that it will take more than a simple villain to take him out. I know, or else he wouldn't have survived most of my experiments." "Phew, isn't that a really what experiments?" But before May could enlighten the female discount joker about the immeasurable progress she has made using the green-haired nutcase as a guinea pig, MYDOORIAA. A really pissed Detective Naomasa storms towards the women, a deep frown adorned on his face. "All right, where the hell is he? Where is that little detective? Are you okay?" asked May. "I am just doing dandy today. Thank you for ask. Of course I'm not okay, damn it," yells Naomasa. May was seriously caught off guard and was about to give him a piece of her mind, only for someone to beat her to the punch. "Detective," exclaimed Ms. Joke, bringing attention to herself. "I understand that Izuku not the most well-behaved of children, but I just saw him get struck by a villain and I will not have you take your anger out on him." The detective slightly deflated on her statement. "Apologies, Ms. Joke. But please keep in mind that I have been in charge of many, if not all, of the incidents that have occurred that was either started or involved by him. His quirk has already been proven to be increasingly dangerous, and he treats it as if it was just a game." "I already know that, detective. I have already read the files you gave me," she countered. "I have also read that he is also a child. Do you know how a quirk like that could affect someone of that age?" "Yes, I can see where this is going, but this does not justify the way he acts," interrupts Naomasa in a more harsh tone. "Neither does this justify the way you act, detective. I understand that you have a duty to serve and protect, but also keep in mind the reason why some crimes happen in the first place." The last statement quickly shot down whatever reply the detective was going to say. With only the bustle of authorities and civilians around them being heard, neither spoke for a tense moment. May herself was keen to keep herself quiet, both curious and somewhat afraid from what she had to say, or rather, the implications that were given about her friend. Then the detective broke the silence by asking a single word, just a simple question, without any anger nor disdain. A question asked in a quiet moment of resignation and maybe slight shame. "Why?" Ms. Joke, for her part, gave a small smile, a forgiving one. "Because sometimes they feel like it's them against the world." That answer hit the both of them harder than they would have thought, for different reasons of course. "Very well then. My men and I will stick around and get statements from the civilians in the area. When you have a report ready, please bring them to me so that I can present them to my superiors. Just make sure that he won't get into any more trouble. I can only do so much before they decide enough is enough." Ms. Joke let out a sigh of relief. "Sure thing, Chief. You can count on me." Naomasa just gave a tired chuckle, not really believing that at all. He bid his farewell to the both of them before leaving to continue his work. They were met with another moment of silence. Mei was the one to speak at this time. Hey, yeah, about what you said just now. Do you really think Izuku feels that way? About him being against everyone else? Of course he thinks that. Question is, she gives Mei a wide grin. How does he take it? Mei, for her part, returns her grin tenfold. Something tells me he's going to take it as a challenge. And what a hell of a challenge it will be. Although the fight was already over, the heroes were keen on damage control. Backdraft assisted the firemen to put out the fires that had started during the fight while Mount Lady and Death Arms cleaned up the debris, leaving Kamui Woods to assist the police in taking the slime villain in custody, which was a surprisingly difficult idea, given how much the vacuum container was moving violently. Can someone get my eyes, please? I can't see anything. Everything's dark. I don't like it here. Someone get my eyes, please. Wahhhh. Can you please shut up? Yelled Kamui Woods. With every word his body slightly jerks with every violent movement the slime villain makes. Thankfully him and the other officers were able to quickly make sure that the villain was secured and was promptly taken away. Once the police left, he went to join the other heroes. He quickly met up with Death Arms to see if he needed any help. There's no need, I'm just about done here actually, he replied. Mount Lady got most of it out of the way and Backdraft was able to put out the fires quickly, so it seems we got pretty lucky today. You're telling me? I'm just glad no one got seriously hurt. Although now I'm wondering when he will show up. Who? You mean that Mario kid? He should be with Ms. Joke. No, not him. I mean him, says Woods. I'm not sure what you mean. Wait. Death Arms took a moment to think about it, only to realize who Kamui Woods was referring to. Ugh, no, not him. I can take anyone else but him, groaned Death Arms. Oh, come on now, man. I know he can get annoying at times, but you have to admit he's pretty funny. There is nothing funny about getting a wedgie from that guy. Do you have any idea how scared I was when that happened? PFFFT. No, snickered Kamui Woods. I was too busy laughing to notice. Screw you, Morning Wood. Okay, what's going on here? Mount Lady meets up with the two arguing heroes. Did something happen here? Oh, nothing, says Kamui Woods, ignoring the death stare from Death Arms. We were just wondering when that green-haired kid will show up. Green-haired kid? Asks Mount Lady. Who are you talking about? I would like to know as well, Kamui, says Backdraft. Now cutting into the conversation, it sounds as though you and Death Arms have a bit of history with the person. Oh, that's right, you guys just got here recently. Well, see, the thing is thaw. They were all interrupted with a sudden rumbling noise coming from inside one of the buildings. Believing it to be another villain inside the debris, they all prepared for a fight. It soon became unnecessary as they saw a familiar face coming out. Or rather, two of them, I should say. Cough, cough. Oh, Death Arms, Kamui. Boy, am I glad to see you, says Mirio, emerging from the pile of debris, and I see you brought in help too. He quickly gives a thumbs up towards Mount Lady and Backdraft. Name's Mirio, second-year student at UA and hero in training. Glad to have you aboard. The two heroes give a deadpan stare at the blonde, now seeing the condition he is in. Glad to see you too, kid, but Backdraft points to Mirio's clothing, or lack thereof. Huh, is there something wrong? Mirio finally looks down and sees the state he is in. Oh crap. Izuku. Izuku emerges from the pile, slightly dazed with a flurry of stars over his head. DUWH airs the leak, ma'am. He quickly shakes his head to compose himself before massaging his head. Oh ... yeah. Mind giving me a change of clothes? Huh, or sure, let me just. He straightens his maid uniform. Then he reaches into his apron pocket and pulls out a fresh new set of clothes for Mirio. There you go, buddy. Washed and hand-pressed just for you. Thanks. As he goes on putting on clothes, Izuku turns his attention towards the heroes. Whoosh. He quickly transforms back into his casual clothes. Well, hello there, folks. I'm sorry to say that you guys came a bit late to the party. Death Arms is not amused by that statement and begins to loom over Izuku. Party. You call this a party? A massive villain attack has just occurred and caused thousands of yen in damages, and you call that a party? Well, when you put it that way, then yeah, that does sound a bit off-putting. Also hold these for me, would ya? Hold WH, what the hell is this? Izuku looked at Death Arms as if he was stupid. The villain's eyeballs? Duh. Anyways, I gotta head on over and see what Ms. Joke is doing. Later, chumps. Hey, wait a. Vava, vroom. Moment again, the heroes are gobsmacked as the boy runs away in a trail of smoke. So, says Mount Lady, anyone mind telling me what that was about? Kamui answers the question this time. Well, that is Izuku Midoriya. I would go into further detail, but we would need to have a couple of drinks for this because it's one hell of a story. Backdraft is surprised by the info. That bad, but he's just a kid. An assumption anyone makes, says Death Arms, but soon enough you will wish that you were patrolling a different area. That is if you don't lose your mind first. It's a miracle me and Woody here are still kicking. What you guys just saw today was only a sample of what happens here in Musutafu. Needless to say, it was one hell of a welcome for the duo. Poor Mount Lady. The only thing they forgot to tell her was the fact that he was a shameless flirt. Why didn't he do so just now, you ask? 3 words, Midoriya's frying pan. He'd rather not get in any further trouble today. While taking time off of schoolwork is a pretty neat bonus for someone who recently got expelled from school, sooner or later one has to accept the reality of public education, regardless of whether or not it actually becomes useful in the long run. It can almost be a guarantee that the majority of readers here have already forgotten most, if not all, lessons that were taught in middle school. Hard facts aside, Izuku was not exempt from receiving his learning while at home. There was still time before summer vacation arrives, and Midoriya was determined to make sure that her little baby boy graduates beforehand. For this, she waited until her son was done with his homework before speaking with him at the dining table. She will have no choice but to lay down the law. Hard. What do you mean I can leave the apartment to see my friends? Inko wondered about her son's lack of patience. Sigh Izuku, honey, I know you better than anyone else here in this world. If there is one thing I know for certain, it is that I know the moment you go out the door you get yourself into another one of your harebrained shenanigans. But, boo. I know. You can't help it. Ever since your Quirk showed up, you are always compelled to do something no matter what. I remember when you were just a little boy that you couldn't even sit still for 5 minutes. Still, you have been very, very naughty recently, and no son of mine is going to grow up as a delinquent. That last incident wasn't even my fault. May and Mirio said so. And they are also your friends, which means that they could easily twist their words as well. They would never do that. You're being such a... And it was in this moment that he knew. He covered his mouth to stop himself, but it was too late. Doom. At that moment he felt the cold aura of Midoriya's wrath, and quickly jolted straight in his chair. Being such a what now, Izuku? No, nothing, Mom. No, I am pretty sure it was something, Izuku. Care to elaborate? No, nothing, Mother, said Izuku, trying to defuse the situation. I have not said anything whatsoever. Nope, no, nada. Izuku was sweating bullets under the intense stare from his mother, wishing that she would drop it. Oh, I see. Sorry about that, sweetie. I thought I heard something here. Izuku resisted the urge to sigh in relief. He was not out of the woods yet. At the very least his tutor was not around to see this, or else she would have a laughing fit at the sight of the boy being scolded by his mother. That and there was no frying pan, so things are going smoothly. I'm glad that's the case. I would really hate to use this on you again so soon, dearie. And now the killing aura is back. That, and the pan suddenly appeared on the dining table. Good God, what is wrong with this woman? Now then, said Inko, how about you help me with dinner tonight? It's been a while since we had some quality moments together. You're always out with your friends. And ever since your father began working overseas, I've been dying to have more family time. Isn't being with Mitsuki enough? And why the hell did she say it like that? Poor Izuku just sat there, crying silent tears with the thought of this being his last supper. Why yes, Mommy. Maybe it's time for a scene change. Wait, don't leave me here with this. Clang, thud. That's all right, dear. You go have fun with your narration while my Izu and I have some fun. Teehee. Since when was she able to do that? Another part of being enrolled in the educational system is the overwhelming burden of schoolwork and other activities associated with it. Homework, clubs, community service, exams, projects, group projects, social groups, school parking, dirty restrooms, bullies, nerds, jocks, dolls, you name it. In Mirio's case, when one is an enrolled student of one of the most renowned schools in all of Japan, that burden doubles. Add the fact that he is in the hero course, and the burden triples. When said student is being considered to being the successor of the #1 hero of the nation, that burden quadruples. When said individual is the friend of one Izuku Midoriya, then... May the gods have mercy on what minuscule ounce of sanity is left in his system. Which is no wonder why it is nothing short of a miracle when he is able to have a bit of free time in his already busy schedule, even for something as little as buying something from the grocery store. This is even better when you get to do it alone. Hey Mariro, when do we get to see those friends of yours? Are they busy? Do they also have to do school stuff too? How come we haven't heard about them until now? Is one of them cute? I bet they are cute. By the way, what are we getting? Are we getting any ramen? I just love ramen. At least his buddies from UA are normal. That much is for certain. Mirio looked over at the bubbly ray of sunshine beside him, giving Nejire a slightly exasperated look. Nejire, I already told you before. Izuku is already in enough trouble, and I got a call from his mom telling me that he's grounded until he graduates by the end of the semester. May also has school too, so she can't be slacking off either. Really? Oh, then maybe we can plan some sort of graduation, first meeting party. We can have so much fun. We can bring food, cake, ice cream. A third person decides to join in on the conversation. A complete contrast to the happy-go-lucky girl. This one seems like he would rather be doing anything else. If any of what I've heard of these guys is true, then I am not in much rush to meet them right now. said Tamaki nervously. Oh come on, Tamaki. I'm sure he's not that bad, assured Nejire. He might be a bit of a wild one, but Mirio says he's okay. Okay, one of them have been involved in more villain attacks and accidents than the three of us combined. Heck, Mirio just told us about the villain attack he was caught up in just recently. You know, for a shy guy like you, I'm surprised how you're so riled up about him. Well, let's just say that he's a bit like you. A little too much, I would say. What's that supposed to mean? Mirio was quick to defuse the situation. Alright you two, that's enough. Let's not get rowdy here, okay? Besides, he's not the type to hurt anyone. Are you sure about that? Okay, you got me. But at least he wouldn't do it to someone who doesn't deserve it. Tamaki let out a small sigh. Well, I guess I have to take your word for it. Yeah, Mirio, you better introduce us to him the minute you get the chance. Haha, don't worry you two, you meet him soon enough. Mirio has known the two of them much longer than Mei or Izuku, as they were primarily his classmates to begin with. While they don't have the creative mad mind of an inventor nor the eccentric personality or power of a wild classy con man, they also have their own little quirks that really puts him at ease. Needless to say, he does feel a bit anxious about the two groups meeting for the first time. Mei and Izuku weren't really the first thing that came to mind when thinking about the word normal. Even their first meeting was nothing short of insane, especially when one tried to use him as a test subject and the other could literally jump out of their skin. In a world where everybody is basically a superpowered human being, that is one heck of an achievement. Still, it would be great to have the whole gang together. For all the stressful things he experienced during his time with the Double Trouble duo, he never lost his optimism nor his sense of humor. Nejire would seem like the type of gal that could get used to their antics. He could even bet his savings on her even joining in on the fun. With her bubbly personality, curious mind as well as her love of all things conversational, he was sure she would get along with the both of them. Tamaki, on the other hand, that might be a bit tricky. While he is an overall great guy, he really isn't the social type. In fact, sometimes Mirio would often wonder how someone with a hard shell like him ever got to be friends with the likes of Nejire and himself. They might be more able to connect with the moody character. After all, what better person to get to an introvert like another introvert? Either way, there is only a few weeks before the end of the school year. They'll get to meet them soon enough. Hey Mirio, yeah, do you think they will apply to UA? What are you talking about? Of course they will. Mei wants to be in the support course and, let me guess, Izuku wants to be a hero. Actually ... and no he doesn't. That stopped both of them in their tracks, looking confused. Mirio, for his part, just kept walking. ... What? While being a student might be regarded as a very stressful thing in today's world, very few would consider the fact that the educators have it worse than them. Sure, the students have to do all these assignments and projects and whatnot, but it is the teachers that have to grade every single one of them. Not only that, their job doesn't end at the end of the school year. Basically, they spend the entirety of their summer vacation preparing for the next school year. And during that time, most teachers would be extremely stressed. As for the case of a certain teacher in UA, he was not stressed. ... He was pissed. Who could blame him? First, he expelled his entire class shortly after beginning the semester because they lacked the potential and discipline needed for being a hero. Then he gets a scolding from the principal and is now required to assist the other classes and practically become an errand boy. Next, he discovers that someone has begun stealing his juice from the fridge at the teacher's lounge. Now that would have been the biggest offense so far, but then Emmy showed up. While he was annoyed and refused to even acknowledge the laughing hero's advances, this was nothing new. Until he realized that she was in UA, wearing a formal dress walking back from the direction the principal was in. As he himself is also a hero as well as an advocate of all logic and reason, he began to place all the pieces together. Emmy is wearing a formal dress, which means she was here on business. She also had a red folder with her, which means that it might have been for an individual. The folder had the seal of the Musutafu Police District, which means that individual is more than likely a problem child. Detective Naomasa is the one in charge in the district and a trusted friend of his, so he knows he's already dealing with said problem child. And by going from what the detective told him during one of his patrols, he knew that Emmy is a tutor of someone named Izuku Midori. Slam, what in the fresh hell is this? Yelled a very angry and out-of-breath Aizawa, showing the red folder to the principal. Emmy quickly came through the door not a second later, trying to get the folder back. Aizawa, what the hell are you doing? Give that back. Not until someone explains why this problem child is planning on enrolling here. Not until you give back the folder. Emmy reaches for the folder, only for the hobo hero to hold it away from her at arm's length. Actually, he's putting both Emmy and the folder at arm's length. Oh, hey, quit it. Not until you tell me what's going on. No, give it. I'm serious, woman. I'm super serial too, sleepyhead. I'll believe it when you stop making those god-awful puns. Gasp, how dare you. Emmy quickly tackled the sleepy hero to the ground, both still wrestling for the folder. Get off me, problem woman. No, I swear I'll. As much as I enjoy humans make a fool of themselves in front of me, said Nezu calmly, putting an end to the scuffle. I believe it would be best if we retain some semblance of professionalism on campus. The teachers quickly got up and straightened themselves, slightly embarrassed at the fact that they forgot that the principal was at his desk in the first place. At the very least, it took off some of the steam that Izawa was holding earlier. Sorry, Principal Nezu. Teach. All is well. As long as it doesn't happen again, of course. Nezu set down his teacup before continuing. Now then, would either of you like to share the reason for what happened earlier? Emi took the initiative before Izawa could say anything. Well, I was just returning back to the police station to report on Midoriya's case when Mr. Grumpy Pants, who, Ms. Emi, I mean Shota Emi corrected, crossed my path and asked what I was doing here, and I told him. He was not happy about it, and well, the rest is history. I see. Nezu turned his attention to Izawa. Anything else to add to that? No, sir, that is what happened. Although I would like to ask about the problem child. Ah, you mean Izuku Midoriya, correct? Yes, sir. I would like to ask why we are even considering letting someone like him take the entrance exam to UA. What? Cried out Emi. Shota, do you have any idea what you're saying? Biz fuck you, Kato. I do have an idea of what I'm saying. Ever since I've heard of him from the news and other heroes, I have been monitoring his activities along with the police. Every time he is involved, there is always major amounts of collateral damage and many people are left to clean up his messes. Not only that, but given his attitude and demeanor, it's plain to see that he doesn't even remotely care about what would happen to others. There are times where I'm wondering how someone like Sir Night-Eye and Ingenium could even support someone like him. Izawa turns to Nezu once more. Principal Nezu. I demand that Izuku Midoriya be barred from taking the entrance exams. I see. A tense silence settles between the three, with Emi and Izawa glaring at each other while Nezu just sat there deep in thought. This fuck you, Kato. Emi directed her attention back to the principal. Why yes, Principal Nezu. Do you happen to tell Izawa about what course he is planning on taking? Asked Nezu, giving a slight smile towards Izawa. The teacher always hates it when he sees that smile. Well, no, not really. He sort of took the folder and stormed over here before I could tell him. Izawa was not liking this at all. I don't know what you two are talking about, but if you two are planning to rope him into the hero course, the principal was quick to shut him down. He is going into the business course, Izawa. What? Said Izawa, completely flabbergasted. You heard correctly, reaffirmed Nezu. Not only that, but he was the one to make the choice. Contrary to what you are thinking, Izuku plans to open his very own nightclub. A nightclub. But why? Emi was quick to answer this one, because he said, and I quote, she made her best impression of Izuku. There's so many heroes out here that I'll practically be begging for a dead-end job at the agency. What better way to help the folks out there than to make sure they enjoy the peace those spandex crime fighters keep? Izawa was unable to come up with any retort after that. While he was adamant on making sure he wasn't going to the hero course, he could try to tolerate Izuku going into a different route. At the very least, he wouldn't have to deal with the problem child himself. Seems he just jumped to conclusions this time. He let out a weary sigh, letting his frustrations go up in smoke. Perhaps he needs a long rest after this. Well then, it seems I have misunderstood the situation here. I apologize for making quick assumptions about this. Haha. Not to worry, Shoto. I understand how you feel, but rest assured that everything will be quite alright. Enjoy the rest of your day. Izawa bid his farewell to the both of them before leaving the office. Again, a nice silence settled in between Emi and the principal. Emi was grateful that her sweetheart was willing to accept Izuku into UA, believing that he would have doubled down on not letting him enroll. However, there is one thing that she was curious about. Hey, Principal Nezu. Yes, my dear. Do you think we should tell him that you've already registered Izuku for the hero course exams? Nezu went to prepare himself another cup of tea, hiding the sadistic smile that began to creep on his face. I think it would be best to have a few surprises every once in a while, don't you? Don't you just love bosses? Later that night, all is quiet around Musutafu. The steady hustle and bustle of the town slowly began to die out throughout the town, the bright sunlight now replaced with the dim, flickering flash of the street lamps and business signs. The road was now devoid of vehicles and people. Things were especially quiet for the Midoriya household as they turned in for the night, their bodies now weary of a day of schoolwork, cooking and cleaning, as well as parental punishment. This is a little-known fact, but for the neighbors of the Midoriyas, they were always sure to have earmuffs ready for when they were ready for bed. Anybody who remotely knew Izuku knew that they have to have at least some sort of protection, and a blind eye to anything that was considered weird by their standards, which meant that nobody could have seen about an iron-masked face looking over the apartment, with all the apparel of a private investigator. His glowing yellow eyes scanned every inch of the building, looking for any and all entrances, exits, strengths, and weaknesses. He also looked into the identities of all of the tenants beforehand, knowing their quirks and their background, including the Midoriyas. He wanted to make sure that everything was perfect and up to date before reporting back to his superior. He knew that they would go for the boy soon, but now was not the time. One should always wait for the perfect opportunity to strike, to make their move. All that was needed was patience. So for now, he waited. Beep, beep. The masked man looked to his wrist, where he was receiving a video call from his slightly large watch. He accepted the call. BGMI. Q, come in Q. The man was quick to give an affirmed robotic grunt. Glad to see you in fine health. Q, while we haven't spoken much since your last mission, I'm afraid that we are crunched for time and therefore have to skip the pleasantries for now. Although that wouldn't be much of a problem seeing that you are always ready to get to business, correct? Another affirmative grunt and nod from the man. Excellent. Now then, I assume that you have located the boy. Another affirmative was given. Good job, Q. Now then, what I am about to tell you cannot be told to anyone nor will it be repeated, so listen carefully. Our intelligence branch recently discovered that the boy named Izuku Midoriya will be attending the illustrious UA, which you already know is the most important school in all of Japan. While he has only applied for the hero course at the moment, I have no doubt that the school will have little to no problems in accepting the young man into their campus. After all, the principal is one clever individual, given the numerous run-ins we have with each other. Their mission is to monitor any and all activities of Izuku Midoriya as well as those in his inner circle. You are to gather as much information as possible regarding them, as well anything that is important to the organization. Remember that we have spent the last several centuries looking for the individuals who were known as the descendants of the mask, and right now we are at a crucial time in which we have the opportunity to have one of them into our employment. You are to make sure that no one knows about this, for this could be disastrous should this information fall into the wrong hands. Make sure that the boy is willing to cooperate with us should the moment arise. If he does not agree to assist us, or if he becomes malicious during this time, I will give you full authority to use lethal force as you see fit. Am I understood? The man gives an affirmative grunt, now adding a salute. Good. This will be the last call you will be receiving from me in a while, so there will be no support at this time. Take care and good luck. Over and out. The transmission ends, leaving the man in complete silence once again. The man looked intently at the building again, before walking away into the street. There would be no need to confront him now. Today is a wonderful and sunny day in the bustling city of Musutafu. In fact, one could say that every day is a great day to be in town. The area is filled with many areas of entertainment and wonders that appeal to everybody, from the nightlife enthusiasts to the common folk going about their days. In Musutafu, there is always something for you to enjoy. For the scavengers and eccentric inventors, there is the Dagaba Beach trash heap. Back in its heyday, this was one of the most beautiful coastal beaches that existed, being a major hotspot for those wanting a little fun in the sun. However, due to the rising issues of littering and pollution, it's all long and gone, now nothing more than a grease monkey's paradise. This little scrapyard has all the basic needs you need to create whatever technological abomination you desire, as well as snagging some scrap metal for some extra cash. In this part of town there is always a lavish, luxurious lump of landfill that you can legally and legitimately acquire from the lazy louts of La La Land. Reserve your scrap today. Speaking of inventors, great minds only come from the best schools, and here in Musutafu we have one of the best schools in all of Japan, UA, with some of the most intelligent and capable minds ensuring the education and guidance of the next generation. Seeing as someone such as yourself is getting close to the age of motherhood, this would be a perfect opportunity to whack. GOCK. Log crash. Will you shut the hell up, you idiot? Izuku was unable to answer, seeing that he lay sprawled on the floor in Mount Lady's, or U as he later found out, apartment. With all the beer cans that surrounded the two in the living room, one could assume that Izuku was just really drunk. Or maybe it was the table that she threw that completes the look. Not sure about that. The apartment in particular looks more better, but for the most part it looks as if a woman wasn't living here at all. Woe to all the boys she would bring home. Yu was wearing her casual clothes, as she was already off duty just a while ago. It was supposed to be just a normal patrol, hopefully apprehend a villain or two and gain some popularity. It was supposed to be an impressive debut for Mount Lady, but it was never meant to be. And it's all because of him. That little green-haired brat ruined my debut. She was steaming with anger as she glares at the kid, who is still out cold on the FWIP. Oh, wait, never mind, he got back up. Yoch, well then, big lady, you certainly are not a damsel in distress. Not with those arms, he says, rubbing the sore spot on his head. By the way, how the heck are you so strong? Is it something you eat? 'Cause I heard that eating the broken hearts of men really. He barely dodges another empty can at his head, hearing the clink as it hits the balcony window. I said shut up. And it's Mount Lady, you brat. And leave my love life out of this. Izuku pretends to give a confused look, stroking an invisible beard. Really? With all the hero close-ups you do, I'd say that info is open to the public. He makes a grand gesture of reading from a sign, his arms spread out. I can just see the tabloids now. Breaking news. Aspiring hero uses paparazzi to scout out potential sucker. That'll get some recognition. Bonk. In his act of laughing, he fails to see the coffee cup as it hits him straight in the face, knocking him into the floor again. This time Yu doesn't take any chances as she begins to drag the star-seeing troublemaker by the collar and towards the door. Finally, with one strong move she throws Izuku out the open door. And stay out. Slam. She could hear the quick scream of him falling before thud, hitting the ground. If it was anyone, she would have been appalled at what had just occurred, as this would have been a murder attempt. However, with a quick reminder that the person in question was none other than Izuku Midoriya, it helped to calm her nerves. However, it was only temporary as she realized how much of a mess her home truly was. With a bag, apron, and a grouchy mood, she began to clean up, which also meant it gave her time for her to contemplate where she went wrong. Ever since she decided to move to Musutafu, it has been a roller coaster of hiccups and stress. First her encounters with Midnight, then her love life, then him. Ever since she encountered Izuku during the slime villain incident, he began pestering her to no end. At first she was flattered, as she figured it was just another fan of hers just wanting to take a picture with her or date her. But then he began to act more obnoxious and overly flirtatious towards her, which then began to annoy her. When she told this to the other heroes, they all merely laughed at her suffering, saying that he is a sucker for a pretty face. And they were glad that it was her and not them. When she told this to Detective Naomasa, he offered her a glass of bourbon and welcomed her to the club. As of now, she is still confused. She has done a lot of things that she regrets from time to time, be it failing to nab the perfect guy in high school or flirting with a teacher to get the grades up. However, the one thing she regrets the most was meeting the little known as Izuku Midoriya. Yep, he tends to do that to most people. Now, here she is sweeping the can-litter floor of her apartment with only the thoughts of a wallowing hopeless romantic. Meanwhile, Izuku is seen peeling himself off the ground, leaving behind a noticeable human-shaped hole. He glares at the apartment building while dusting himself off, before turning towards the street. Looks at audience. I've heard of falling from grace, but this is ridiculous, he says before deciding to take a stroll through the town. Now then ... what should I do? I haven't seen the gang in a while. Maybe I should give them a visit. Or I could pay a visit to my good pal Naomasa. I'm sure he is dying to know how I've been. He pulls his hair as he can't seem to make a decision. There must be a way to choose. Quickly he digs elbow deep into his pocket before taking out a coin. There we go, he says as he flips the coin high into the air. Tails for friends, heads for the chowderhead. Fling, tink, tink, and surprise, surprise. Naomasa gets to relax another day. Well then, off I go. FWOOOSH. Izuku quickly whirls out of sight, heading back home to invite his friends for dinner. He knows for a fact that Midoriya would be thrilled to have guests in the house. Besides, who can resist her delicious homemade katsudon? It was another day at work for the disheveled detective, if the paperwork was anything to go by. While the last incident was not as bad as the previous ones that he encountered over the years, he still has to fill out the reports at the end of it all. Seems that he just can't get a break, but justice never sleeps, as they say. The black suitcase, on the other hand, was the only thing on his mind, as it was recovered at the scene of the incident. Witness reports stated that before the man transformed into the creature now known as the slime villain, he had a black suitcase with him as he entered the restaurant. They also said that when he was inside, he appeared very anxious and afraid, as if someone was looking for him. It wasn't long before the nervousness quickly became annoyance once Izuku began to get involved. The suitcase was in police custody shortly after the incident and was sent to the lab to check for any further evidence. There were some fingerprints, but was later to be matched with someone who was reported dead a few days ago, meaning that the villain was more than likely responsible for the death of the individual and was using the body as a sort of disguise. They also attempted to open the suitcase, only to be surprised with the fact the damn thing was not being budged in the slightest. Still, with destruction of property as well as the numerous counts of villainy, was enough to put the slime villain behind bars for a long while. While he can breathe a little easier knowing that the villain was in custody, it was still not enough to sate his curiosity over the suitcase itself. He already tried opening the suitcase himself, but no dice. Right now, the suitcase is still at the lab, and the forensics team are in the process of sawing it open to see what is inside. As he sits in his office to finish all the paperwork, he regularly glances at his phone, knowing he would get call from them soon. Knock, knock. Hello, detective. It's me, Ms. Joke. Huh? Oh, sure. Come in. The laughing hero comes into the office with the ever-present red folder in her hand, looking over the detective in a concerned frown. Oh wow, you don't look so hot there, Chief. Have you been resting properly? Naomasa gave a dry chuckle. Do I really look that bad? Well, it's all because I'm dealing with this wave of paperwork at the moment. He gestures towards the stacks of paperwork on his desk, threatening to spill out. So unless you have anything very important to say, I'm afraid I have to ask you to hold off on that until I get this sorted out. Well, that depends on what you mean by that. Well, that got the guy's attention. What do you mean? Well, it's Izuku related. Ugh, what did he do this time? Nothing. Don't worry, he hasn't done anything like that in a while. Naomasa leaned back in his chair with a very defeated sigh. All right, let's hear it. Oh, well, well, as you know, he is close to graduating middle school and... Go on. Well, I have been looking for a nice high school for him to attend, since most of them are not willing to accept him in at all. Okay, Knowing that Izuku is such a special case for them, I have gone through great lengths to... Slam. Naomasa quickly leaned forward in his desk with irritation. Anytime now, please, Ms. Joke. And with that, the band-aid has been ripped. Izuku will be attending UA. The room becomes silent for a few tensive minutes, both of them looking at each other with unreadable expressions. Well, Naomasa's is unreadable. Ms. Joke's expression is more like the one where they are about to expect the other person to just begin throwing a tantrum and start unleashing absolute hell on everything and everyone that the person is in contact with. As soon as Naomasa opens his mouth, she begins to calm him down. Look, Naomasa, I know you and Izuku don't see eye to eye, but is that all? Okay, apparently she totally read the atmosphere wrong. What? The detective gave Ms. Joke. You serious? Look, Emmy, as much as I think that Izuku is an absolute, I have no right to deny him anything like a basic education. The reason why I gave this assignment to you is because I had a feeling that you would be able to make him think about the consequences of his actions before doing anything. I thought it was because no one else wanted to take it. That too, but that's not my point. My point is, if there is any place where they would be able to keep Izuku in check while in school, then UA would be that place. To say that Ms. Joke was not expecting this was an understatement of the century. Well, okay then. I expected you to be a bit more upset about this. Naomasa waved it off. Well, since they already accepted him, it's now their problem. Besides, Izuku was always talking about being in the business course for that nightclub he wanted to open. It was at this moment where she just realized the situation. Aw crap, he doesn't know he's going to the hero course exams yet. Then she just realized another bombshell, only worse. Aw crap, Izukudose ain't no either. She quickly wiped off the nervous sweat in her brow. Well, about that I think I should tell you th. Ring, hold that thought. Let me take this. Naomasa picked up the phone, his demeanor now changed to a professional. Musutafu Police Precinct. This is Detective Naomasa speaking. Yes, that briefcase is the one I sent to them fro. What? Stolen? What hap? Wait. Never mind, I'll be right over. Naomasa's outburst alerted the laughing hero. What's going on? Apparently there was more to the briefcase than we thought. Someone broke into the lab and stole it from under our noses. Ms. Joke quickly switched to her hero persona. Should I contact the other heroes? Only Eraserhead and Sir Night-Eye. The suspect has already left, so there is no need for any musclehead. There is already a squad there conducting an investigation, so I'm heading there to see what's going on. Naomasa quickly got his coat and hat as he headed out the door, Ms. Joke following suit. I'll come with you. No, don't worry about it as the situation is already under control. I just need you to keep looking out for the kid. Don't you mean look out for the kid? Same difference. They went their separate ways after leaving the station. While she wasn't able to tell Naomasa the whole truth about Izuku's situation, the more she thought about it, the more she thought that maybe it was for the best. The detective already has enough on his plate, and she is not going to make him even more nervous than usual. For the most, maybe she should take a breather herself. Izuku hasn't been much of a bother, but that was mostly just his mother. Make sure of that. That and the Midoriya matriarch really had a knack for her cooking. Speaking of which, she just received a message on her phone from the woman herself. Hello, Izuku is having friends over for dinner. And I was wondering if you would like to join us as well. I'm making katsudon today. Well then, it just so happens that she is off the clock now. Might as well drop by. Walking now with a small pep in her step, she went to her car and drove away from the precinct, anxious to try more of the Midoriya's fabulous cooking. Unfortunately, she failed to notice the big masked man in a trench coat, just watching her from the other side of the street. As she drove away, the man looked at her general direction before walking away, suitcase and all. Some time later, in the Midoriya household, Izuku, stir the eggs, crack, whisk, yes ma'am, sizzle, FWOOM. Make sure you don't burn the meat. Bloop, pop, yes ma'am, KSSHHH. Damn it, don't use too much oil. Sorry ma'am, slam, bam, and where the hell is the soy sauce? How the hell should I know? I didn't know the recipe I called for it. CRIDASH, DOOOM, RAHHH, GYAAAA. Knock knock knock. Kyaa. What the? Huh? Izuku jolted awake from the horrible nightmare that he just went through, looking around before realizing that he was on the couch. He let out a big sigh of relief before hearing the knocking once again from the front door. All right. Keep your pants on, geez. He yelled out as he went towards the door, revealing a casually dressed Emmy. Hey there, Pipsqueak. You gonna invite me in? Sigh, yeah, sure, come right in. He could notice the deadpan reaction on her face. Gee, you sure know how to make a woman happy. Yeah, whatever. Mom is at the kitchen right now. You can talk to her while I take a bath real quick. Izuku goes to his bedroom to get his clothes, leaving Ms. Joke to her own devices. She heads towards the kitchen, finding the Midoriya matriarch at the stove doing some final touches on the food. Whoa, what kind of witchcraft did you do to make this smell so delicious? The woman beamed in pride as she greeted the laughing hero. Why, thank you, Emmy. And for your information, there is no witchcraft involved. Just some good quality ingredients and a nice little helper to do the trick. Then you must have spent a lot of time getting everything perfect. Little Green looked like he was going to pass out. Actually, now that I think about it, he must have woken up when I knocked at the door. Inko looked off to the side in an embarrassed pout. Well, I do tend to be a bit hard on him when he helps me cook. A scream is heard in the bathroom. Understatement of the century. Izuku. Shut up and get clean. Crap. Slip. Bonk. Slapsh. Inko turns to Emmy once again. Anyways, would you mind setting up the table for me? The food is almost ready. Sure thing. Is it just us? No, Izuku's friends are also coming too, so that would make it about 7 people in total. Oh, well then this isn't really dinner anymore. Now it's a party. Haha, I guess so. The two spent several more minutes getting everything set up, eager to know what they have been up to since last time. Ever since Emmy became Izuku's tutor, the two of them quickly became fast friends and would take every opportunity to meet up and hang out while they were free. While Katsumi is still a very good friend of Inko, her modeling career really puts on a damper on her schedule. Even so, she couldn't really blame her for that. Besides, she would hook her up with some nice dresses. It's great to have connections after all. As for Emmy, she really could use a bit of company, seeing how Aizawa would always reject her advances every time. Truth be told, if it wasn't for the fact she would always do it with a bright smile and just a massive wave of total sunshine, she would have been suspected of being a yandere. That being said, he really lucked out on that one. Either way, the two would mostly talk about whatever happens to cross their minds that day, either be about Izuku or just who was the hottest male hero. Bonus if you figure out who Emmy votes for. It wasn't long before the rest came through. Slam. Hi, Mrs. Midoriya. Is the food ready yet? May, stop being so rude. Don't you know anything about manners? Does it have to do with working with my babies? Well, no, boo. Then such knowledge is unnecessary. It is if you want to be a decent human being. Olme and Mirio continued with their admittedly entertaining argument. Nejire and Tamaki both trailed behind after them. One was having a look of utter desperation while the other was continually giggling with the sheer ridiculousness of the situation. Again, take the time to figure out which is which. Inko beamed at the group. Welcome back, you two. Glad to see you can make it. She then turned to the newcomers, greeting them with a bow. As for you two, it's a pleasure to finally meet more of Izuku's friends. I'm so glad you could make it as well. We're happy to meet you too, Mrs. Midoriya. Name's Nejire and this here shy boy is Tamaki, said the bubbly girl while patting said shy guy's back. Meanwhile, the poor introvert is too busy admiring the floor. Oh, please call me Inko. Any friend of Izuku's is welcome here. Now then, Izuku, your friends are here. FWOOOSH. The greenest twirled towards her, now wearing his t-shirt and pants and in a welcoming pose, arms wide. Welcome, dear friends, my humble abode. The blondie was telling me about the two of you, and let me just say that 6. He trailed off at the end, now taking a good look at the two. Or more specifically, the one they call Nejire. BADUMP. 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 We now take a look inside the mind of the idiot known as Izuku. Observe. What is this beautiful creature, no goddess, doing here in my home? Is this one of Blondie's friends that he has told me all about? It is. Oh my, how can I forgive myself knowing that such a woman exists? Her hair, her clothes, her pretty face, and such bountiful cheek charisma. Never had I seen such beauty. And what a beautiful pair of twinkling eyes. I can feel myself being lost in them, smothered by them, become absolutely covered by them and suffocated by them until the light takes away what little energy I have left. Today I can die happily now that I have been in the presence of such a divine being. We now return with your regularly scheduled reading. Hello, anyone there? Izuku. May waves her hand in front of Izuku's face but doesn't receive any feedback. Mirio facepalms. Tamaki just stands there awkwardly and Nejire lets out a cute giggle. Inko and Emmy just looks at the scene amused. FWOOSH. Then in a whirl he appears in front of Nejire, but now in the attire of a typical Frenchman. He has one hand on his hip, the other presenting a rose to her with a sly look. "Ah, hello Zir, Mies. It is a pleasure to have finally meet you," he says with the ever so suave voice of a Japanese Klauso. "Haha, nice to meet you too, Izuku," replies Nejire as she accepts the flower. "Oh, so you have already heard of me, we? No doubt from our little teen here, correct? Of course, I've heard all about you and your antics. Also, why are you acting so funny? Are you really French? How did you change your clothes so quickly?" Izuku silenced her quickly with a finger on the lips. Now, my dear. There is no need to be asking so many questions. Why don't we just head to somewhere more private? Thwack, gak, sacre bleu. What's the big idea, Madire? Shut it, Izuku. This is no time for your jokes. Now get yourself changed and make sure you behave yourself. FWOOOSH. Izuku reluctantly switches back and trudges towards the dining table, leaving the rest utterly surprised at this turn of events. Then again, one shouldn't really be surprised when a mother is able to control her children. Just a simple fact of parenting. Now then, why don't the rest of you get yourselves washed up and head to the table when you're ready? I made katsudon today. Sure thing, Mrs. M. Why, yes, ma'am. Come on. The sooner I'm full, the sooner I can get back to working on my babies. For the last time, may have more tact. Don't worry, Inko. I'll make sure that your idiot son doesn't eat all the food again. From there wasn't much to be said as everyone was absolutely famished. Eager to go ahead and stuff their mouths, there were some interesting tidbits here and there, such as the work of the Big Three, Emmy's hero work, or one of May's inventions. Sometime Inko would tell a story or two about some of the more outlandish things that her son has been through during his infancy. All the meanwhile, Izuku would continue to flirt with Nejire. Nevertheless, it was a wonderful dinner and everyone gave their thanks to the lovely Midoriya hostess for inviting everyone. Poor woman was blushing from all the praise. As for Izuku and May, the Big Three were excited for their two idiots to join them at UA, although a bit miffed that Izuku would be in the business course. And then came the big reveal. About that. There's something you should know about your application to UA. Emmy almost choked on the immense silence that occurred afterwards. All eyes turned to her. Well, it seems that there was a teeny tiny little hiccup and, rip it again. Just like last time. Izuku's joining the hero course. COMENCE operation. Mental in 3, 2, 1. Say psych right now, MS. Joke. Say psych right now. What? Why didn't you tell us before, Emmy? IZUKU. We need to get a costume ready for you at once. What's going on? Why are we screaming? Oh my gosh. This was a mistake. I should have never come here. I am tired. I have no bed and I must dream this nightmare away. Yeah, mission failed successfully. If there is one thing that a student would never comprehend in regards to education would be the point of exams. Exams all in all are just a series of questions that they would have to answer in order to be qualified to be released into the wilderness known as the real world. It is a detestable thing that strikes fear into many scholars and trainees alike. One doesn't necessarily need to remember the subject matter afterwards after all is said and done, if it even sticks at all. Needless to say, it makes even less sense for schools to make exams specifically to enter into school. Why would someone make an exam to allow people to learn if they are trying to get them to learn in the first place? It is inconcevable. At least, for someone like Izuku that is. Although that's not really the main issue right now. Oh no, the pain of exams is nothing more than a slight little tickle compared to the amount of disappointment radiating off of him right now from not going to the business course. Now then, the reader at this point is asking, why not just talk to the school? Maybe the principal made a slight mistake in regards to the placing of potential students where they desire to enroll in. Maybe he will be able to overlook this little slip-up and switch him over before the exams. Unfortunately, when confronted about the situation, the principal only gave a slight shrug and said that there wasn't much he or anyone else could do about it, since it would mean that they would have to move a few students around to another course, which could cause problems since it would present a bit of favoritism. Which Izuku knew immediately it was complete, but there wasn't much he could do about it now. From there he would just spend his days just sulking around in his room, not wanting to do anything until the exams came. It wasn't that he didn't want to do them, but the fact of the matter is that he is basically going for something he never really wanted in the first place. If he bombs the hero exams, best chance he can get would be to get a good enough score to get into general studies. From there, he could ask for a transfer to the business course. Now that would be a good plan. Well, it was if he was the only one that knew about this. Slam. All right, Izuku, time to get out of bed. You got to train if you want to get into the hero course. Hurry, Izuku, get up. I just finished several of my babies today and I'm going to need your expert hero advice before the exams. Who the hell said that I was going to be in the hero course? Yelled Izuku as he got out of bed. That damn rat got me into the hero course exams on purpose. Now why would I so bother to even try for something that I don't want? Mirio is quick to answer that, because if you don't your mother will kill you. Okay, any other reason besides that? How about the satisfaction of hard work and the eternal gratitude you get from saving people, as well as the admiration for the younger generation? While I will admit I would enjoy that, I enjoy being able to get paid as well. Wow, greedy much. Hey, I wanted to get into the business course for a reason, okay. Alright, fine. Oh, pick me. Izuku turned to Mei, her hand raised as if for calling for the teacher. Might as well play along. Alright then, Mei, what do you got for me? How about using this as advertising material? Go on. Now with greater motivation, she puts a hand on her chin, adopting a thoughtful pose. Well, if you get into the hero course, you can do a lot of hero Y things. You do a lot of them. Get famous, come up with some crap about doing something to make the piece more enjoyable, quit being a hero, open your nightclub and bam, customers will flock to you. Well then, if she didn't sold the idea before, now she did. This was evident by the wide grin coming from the green bean. Well, that's a much better way to convince me there, Pinky. See, Mirio, this is how you win people. TFFFD. She's just saying that because she knows it will benefit her too, won't it, Mei? Mei shrugged her shoulders, not even trying to hide it. Well done. If he gets noticed, then by proxy I get noticed too. If he uses my gadgets, even better. Whoosh. Izuku quickly gets changed into his jogging clothes, now looking much more eager. Okay, now I'm pumped. Let's get to it, gang. Yeah, so now begins the obligatory cliché anime-style training montage, presented to you in fast-forward snippets so that the story can progress without having to resort to possibly lame filler chapters. Dagobah Beach, 9 months before entrance exams. Huff when you said, huff, that we were going to train. Please though that you were going to train too. Not be a dang gasp dumbell wait. We find our green bean carrying a large refrigerator with Mirio sitting on top of it. Hey, come now, I'm not that heavy. My crackling and possibly broken bones beg to differ, yelled Izuku before turning to Mei. And aren't you supposed to be training too? Mei looked up from her work with a disbelieving look on her face. Train? PFFD? Heck no. You guys are the ones in the hero course, not me. Besides, I'm too busy with this to help anyways. She had built herself a makeshift workbench, dismantling and organizing all scrap metal with some of the tools and equipment she brought from home. Since they were planning to clean up all the debris and trash from the beach, she figured it would be the best time to get every bit of useful scrap and other items before. In Mario's case, since he's already in UA, there really is no reason for him to even be there in the first place. Still, being the very kind and thoughtful friend he is, he wanted to help out in training him for the entrance exams, which is why he asked Izuku to start clearing up the beach without using his quirk, which to no one's surprise pissed him off. Then he easily complied when threatened with telling on his mother. You know, it really is a useful thing to use that to keep in check. Izuku hates the fact that his friends know this. What makes it worse is that his mother knows this. Who told Ms. Joke about it, who then tells the principal about it, who then tells his staff about it. Mark his words, they will rue the day they messed with Izuku Midoriya. T.O.K. Whoa, what th squish. Unfortunately, his train of thought were interrupted when he tripped over a rock. They stopped and rushed over to him while Mirio is already off and helping Izuku get up. Izuku, are you alright? Said Mirio. Izuku, a bit dazed and with a face full of sand, he only had one thing to say. Thud. The cowardly dog laugh. A classic. Mirio sighed disappointedly. This is going to take a while. UA Gym Gamma, 6 months before entrance exams. While hauling lumps of trash is fine and dandy, when it comes to actual combat training, it would be best where they could find a place less destructively conspicuous. The gang would have no trouble in doing so at the beach, but due to Izuku's unpredictability and a warning from Emi and Detective Naomasa, that did not get anywhere. Thankfully, Mirio was able to get the principal's permission to use Gym Gamma, provided that he keep an eye on Izuku and that any damage done would have to be within the gym. Mei was not allowed to join as it was only limited to the two of them, but for the most part she was okay with it as didn't have much reason to be there anyways. Bam, smack, boom, boing. We find Nejire and Tamaki at the sidelines, watching a current fight between the two knuckleheads. The fight has already gone on for more than a few minutes, but it was enough time for the gym to be littered with craters and random objects, as well as a few Izuku-shaped holes. Or to be more accurate, only Nejire is watching, cheering them on. Tamaki is just facing the wall, wanting to be anywhere but there. Whoa, let's go you two, I want to see some hustle. Meanwhile, Izuku easily dodged several punches from Mirio, his body quickly twisting and turning before turning his legs into a spring. Sproing. He jumps away from him before pulling out a Tommy gun from out of nowhere, spraying the air with bullets. However, Mirio was able to see it coming. He activates his quirk, allowing the bullets to phase through him and diving into the gym floor. This only made Izuku grin. Going for the all backstab. Tintin. His hunch became true as the buff blonde suddenly appeared behind him and he quickly turned around. Unfortunately, he appeared without his pants again. Jhh. Izuku's disgusted cry was enough of a break for Mirio to throw a punch to the stomach. Thwack, crack. The force of the punch was enough for Izuku to hit another wall, adding another to his collection. He was not hurt at all, most of his injuries just comically light scratches and bumps. In fact, he was more mad than anything else. Mirio, you clod, I thought I said I don't want chili dogs, he yelled before pulling himself off. He dusted himself off before speeding up back to him. Mirio was about to continue the fight, before he noticed that Izuku was tearing up. I told you I am not hungry, and that you must respect my wishes, he said meekly, but still you try to feed me when I said no. Mirio let out a groan. Izuku, for the last time. I am not trying to force myself on you. Sniff, how could you do such a thing? Even after what we've been through. While this is ridiculous, I'm just trying to help you with getting in. Is that what I am to you? Sob. Just a little pet project. No Izuku. I'm just trying to help you. Liar. I bet you say that to all your other tramps you call trainees. Generic soap opera music begins to play as Izuku turns around. Not wanting to look Mirio's face, he pulls a hanky out of his pant pocket, trying to wipe the tears that were flowing from his face. He tries to make himself as small as possible, not wanting to feel the blonde's intimidating aura. I know you mean well, Mirio. I would be a fool to see otherwise, but lately you've been nothing but a beast. You're insatiable. It's almost as if I was just mere prey for you. It was at this point where Tamaki decided to slowly turn around from the wall, wondering what the absolute is he listening to. What's going on? SHHH, said Nejire, waving him off. It's getting to the good part. Izuku quickly turned to Mirio again. Be honest. Did you really mean what you said when we were at the beach having the time of our lives? Did you really mean to make me happy? Mirio was speechless, his face contorted as he desperately tried to rein his emotions. He was afraid to answer. He could not trust himself to speak. It was only after a few minutes when he spoke again. I'm sorry, Izuku, but I lied. There was a loud gasp from Nejire from the background, but it went ignored. What? But why? Because I was selfish. I only thought of making myself happy, not caring to see past that and even considered your feelings. I wanted you as a trophy, a symbol of my pride. But now I see that what I did was wrong. Izuku dropped to his knees, unable to believe what he is hearing. What are trying to say, my love? Don't say what I think you might say. I'm sorry, but I must leave you. May you find someone more worthy. Goodbye. With those words, Mirio began to walk away. The generic background music reached a crescendo as Izuku let out a cry of despair. NOOO, what in the absolute is going on here? The background music suddenly cut off and everyone looked over to the new voice, who so happened to be none other than Aizawa. I thought that we were being attacked by villains with all the commotion going on. But no, all I see is a bunch of jackasses destroying one of you as faculties and making soap operas. Give me one good reason why I shouldn't just throw out all of you and ban you from entering this place again. Wow, hell just gotten a lot more colder now. Maybe it would be best to just defuse the situation before it escalates any further. Because we got permission from the principal, Aizawa-sensei. I mean, we are helping Izuku get into the hero course. Or just have Nejire dig the grave further. Bless that airhead, for she doth not know what she does. You got to be foo. Needless to say, they were no longer allowed there without adult supervision. On a more positive note, at least the two boys have a promising acting career if all else fails. Midoriya household, 4 months before entrance exams. Let's see here. If I divide this by 3, carry the 1 and square root it to the value of x, then I should get the result of. Mutter. Izuku is seen at the dinner table, a cluster of papers and pencil shavings covering the entire surface. His fingers are typing furiously over an oversized calculator while his writing hand is nothing but a blur. Now most would be shocked at this scene, if it wasn't for the fact that he was wearing clothing that would resemble that of a nerd. Meanwhile, Inko and Ms. Joke are at the living room, sharing a conversation over a cup of tea. You know, Inko, this might the first time I've ever seen him act like that. Did you threaten to ground him or something? Oh hush, I'm not that bad. Also, whenever he has to do something he normally has issues with, he usually just transforms. Wait, so if he wants to be smart he dresses up as a nerd? Yeah, pretty much. Your son's quirk makes no sense. True, but then again, since when did quirks ever make sense? Good point. I try. Anyways, would you like some more tea? Sure. WOOSH. Izuku rushes over to Ms. Joke with a cluster of papers in his hand, the smile never leaving his face. All done, Emi-sensei AI. Great job, kiddo. Let's see what you got there. Here you go, he says as he hands her the papers. It took me a while, with all the variables and whatnot, but I think I got the hang of it. Well, let's just see about that, okay? Emi lightly skims over the pages, looking over his work. However, the more she looked at it, the more she became confused. Dependents, gross income, compensation. Wait, is this? Ooh, Izuku. Are these tax income forms? Yes. And why are you filling these out? What happened to the math problems I made for you? Izuku tilted his head in confusion. But I thought those were the math problems. No, these are financial problems. Yes, but that's why I'm doing those. That's why we are learning math, right? Emi sighed in exasperation. Well, yes, but no. Izuku, I want you to do the problems I did for you. Then how am I supposed to claim my benefits? Tax season isn't even until next year. And more importantly, Wrestle, why is this under Naomasa's name? He needs to take responsibility for flirting with Mom. Clang, and nighty-night, dear Deus. Thud. Emi looks at Inko in shocked, who has a frying pan raised and a very deep blush on her face. Emi then gives her a Cheshire grin. Not that bad, huh? Inko refuses to look at Emi in the eye with a pout to her face. Shut up. Izuku is such a sweet boy for worrying about me. But he can never keep his mouth shut. Ooh, and what's this about you and Naomasa? With a complete 180, Midoriya gets in front of Emi and threateningly wiggles the pan in front of her face. Her face changed from a pout to a murderous stare. I will not hesitate to give you a punchline. Emi quickly raises her hand in surrender. And then no, that's fine. Yet again, Inko Midoriya proves to be a scary woman. 2 months before exams, at an undisclosed location. Now we find Izuku, Mirio, and Mei staring at a wall of an office building. To be more specific, they are staring at the guy currently drawing graffiti on the wall of an office building. Okay, I'm confused, said Mirio. Why exactly did you guys call me here anyway? I thought we agreed that today was a free day. It is, replied Izuku, wearing some weird artsy outfit. To be honest, I was just going to the beach again with Mei until I saw this. He motions to the graffiti on the wall, which on further examination looks like an outline of a hero in some sort of box. The motions, the blending of the colors, the abstract concepts of the futility on dependence of the hero community and society overall speaks volumes from this. Don't you think so, Mei? Mei was sitting on the ground, also looking at the image with great intent. Yes, this is very good. Although if you ask me, I have a few babies the artist could use to finish this much quicker. Not sure, but let me ask him. Hey, it was at that point when the artist took notice of the three and faced towards them. What? He said with a bit of annoyance. It was a tall, lanky guy in his mid-20s, dressed in a messy and slightly ripped white t-shirt, jacket, and pants. He had spiky black hair and several piercings on his face. The most noticeable feature, however, is the patches of gnarled, wrinkled skin that was adorned on several parts of his face and chest, as well as on his arms. If the trio became uncomfortable seeing that, they didn't show it. Whoosh! Izuku rushes over to him and immediately throws an arm on his shoulder. Hey there, buddy. That's some nice art you got there. Ever think of upgrading your gear? Sure. And so they spent the rest of the day helping him to finish the graffiti. Unfortunately, they were noticed by a sidekick, who then tried to take them in until some guy in a metal mask came up and knocked her unconscious. Then he tipped his hat in greeting and dragged the sidekick away to God knows where. The artist and the trio both went their separate ways, but not before he exchanged numbers with Izuku. The image in question. It was an image of a derpy-looking Endeavor riding shotgun on a dumpster. The wall the artist drew on was actually from Endeavor's agency. Considering everything else that happened so far, pretty tame in Coma Prison. 1 week before exams, undisclosed location. BZZZTQ. Come in, Q. There you are, Q. Before we get started, I have to ask, have you been compromised? MMPH. Excellent. I knew you were capable for the job. However, this is far from over and I have further instructions to relay to you, so listen well. As you might well know, the UA exams are nearing closer. This means that monitoring Izuku may be more challenging for you. For this, you will need the assistance of several other agents, some of which are experienced in hacking into security and the like. They will be under your command, and they will be your responsibility. NNNGH. I understand that you prefer to work alone, but our intel suggests that a certain number 1 hero will be joining UA for teaching. That's correct. Q. If our hunch is right, and I'm certain then there will be a point where others may take advantage of this and embolden themselves to take action against UA. This means that we will have to redouble our efforts to make sure he doesn't fall into the wrong hands. You and I both know what chaos would entail if he manages to obtain the power of Loki. Last thing we both want is to have a repeat of the Shimura incident. Many have died in that tragedy, and we'll be damned if we fail for a second time. So let me ask again, Q. Can I count on you to complete the tasks laid before you? HMPH. Good. I will send you further details about your briefing as well as the contacts for these agents. Oh, and one other thing. Be very careful about Izuku. If there is anything that I have learned about his heritage, his power, it's that you can never know nor trust yourself to know what he does next. The kid is an enigma, and whatever he does will no doubt have dire consequences. That is all for now. Q. Take care and Godspeed. BZZT. When a pro hero makes their debut, first impressions are everything. When a pro hero become popular enough, they get to work more out of their local area. Sometimes, when a pro hero becomes really popular to the point of being a household name, they get the opportunity to work overseas. All Might is among those who were able to gain fame outside of their country, becoming an Amory weeb in the process. However, when it comes to guys like Captain Celebrity, that is simply not the case. After having to deal with a totally rigged and obviously manipulated lawsuit involving a few angry women and husbands, our cleft-chin pretty boy hero decided it would be a good idea to take his work to Japan. Because if All Might can pull of that foreigner charm, then he can too. And so we find him patrolling the nice little town of Musutafu, waving to the raving crowd below him and flashing his best smile. Look, it's Captain Celebrity. We love you, Captain Celebrity. Like OMG, marry me you big hunk of man me. KYAYAYA. Keep in mind that some of those outbursts were not all from women. No, it is not known which said which. Regardless, our bootleg booster gold wannabe grins in satisfaction hearing his name being chanted in fanatic worship. I knew this was a good idea. He thought, pretty soon I'll be next big thing in Japan and chicks won't be able to keep their hands off me. Little did he know, he was about to learn the most important lesson about being in Musutafu. Beware of the green-haired lunatic. FWOOSH. Out of the way, pretty boy. Wait, what the? Bam. JHHH. Captain Celebrity gets interrupted by a massive smack to the face, sending him spiraling out of control until BOOM. Splash. He crashes into a water tower. The water gushes out of the tower, the force shooting his unconscious self out to the rooftop. To make matters worse for him, a random bystander at a different building managed to film the whole thing, who would later post it online for millions to see. Maybe it was best that Captain Celebrity stays unconscious for a while. Meanwhile, our favorite Greenie is seen flying erratically in the sky at high speeds, thanks to May's new jetpack he borrowed from her a few days ago. His arms are spread apart, imagining himself chasing down an enemy plane. Bogey is down, engaging another one at 12 o'clock. He dips down towards the street where he sees a delinquent about to talk to a girl, who is already feeling uncomfortable by his presence. Hey there, pretty girl. Why don't you come and have some fun wit? YOINK. Kaya. The girl becomes shocked as she sees the delinquent get hoodwinked to the sky, before taking this time to carry on with her day. It is also important to note that it was the delinquent that screamed, not the girl. Strange day today, isn't it? Izuku kept flying through the town in the direction towards UA, carrying the delinquent in his arms. The delinquent, however, was not amused. What the hell, man? Do you think you doing? Let me go. Wait, you're not the girl. Of course I quote am not. Now put me down. Okay, sure. Why no hold O land first, damn it. Target in sight. Bombs away. HLHLHLH. The delinquent screams become more quiet as he descends towards the ground, regretting ever getting out of bed today. By the way, where did Izuku drop him? Crash. Bam. WOOP. DAMMIITTTMIDORIYA. Apparently on top of Naomasa, who was just about to head inside a coffee shop. More specifically, on top of his car. Hopefully car insurance is decent in Japan. Moving back to Izuku, the Green Baron, with his arms out like the wings of a plane and the sound of a Fokker, continues on his journey through the open skies. He has fought many dogfights and even bombed an enemy vehicle, and he will do his best to arrive towards Fort UA and receive his badge of Hono. Ring ring, ring. His train of thought got interrupted with the sound of his phone ringing in his pocket. He stabilized himself before taking out the phone to answer the call. Hello, this is Izuku speaking. Izuku, where the hell are you? The exams are starting in 5 minutes and wait, what's that whooshing noise? Gasp. You have my jetpack, don't you? I don't know what you are talking about. Like hell I don't. I had to use public transportation. Public transportation. Sorry May, I overslept. Ugh, you better make this up for me, you hear? Sigh, yeah, what WHOAA mama? Izuku, what happened? What's going on? Sorry Pinky, I gotta go. Just found a UFA. UFA? What's that? An unidentified fine ass. Later Gator. HLHLHLA. Izuku, don't you da. With that he ended the call, and he descends towards the crowd where the UFA is. Upon closer inspection it appears that it is a lady hero that just fought a villain. And by God it is a mountain of a lady. Looks like we got ourselves a bunker. Time for a strike, declares Izuku as he hypes himself for the attack. Weapons check. All systems go. Fuel sufficient. Landing gear. Half chub. Preparing for the offensive. Seeing that everything is in place, he waits till he appears just above the target. Just a minute later, he quickly dives down towards her. VVVRRRRRRRRRRR. Dive. WOOHOO. Now, let's take a look at what was occurring just a few moments before disaster, shall we? A few minutes before disaster, a villain can be seen causing chaos in the city. already causing immense damage to the area including the train. A crowd of civilians stay just behind the exclusion zone set up by several pro-heroes who have arrived at the scene. Backdraft and Death Arms are keeping the crowd back while Kamui Woods engages the villain. Both are on the railways as Kamui effortlessly dodges the incoming attacks from the villain before landing on the roof of the station. You are charged with illegal use of your quirk during commuting hours as well as assault and robbery, declared the Pike Branch. Now it's time to face the music, evildoer. As much as that line was cheesy as hell, the crowd would not stop loving it. They cheered for their hero to kick ass and save the day, and Kamui wasn't one to disappoint. Lacquer Pry, Canyon Cannon, wait what the foo, FWWIP. Bam! Unfortunately, Mount Lady would be the one to disappoint him today as the villain received a vicious flying kick from the giantess, sending from the railway towards the empty street. Good thing too, since the civilians were nowhere near that area. What is it with heroes and recklessness these days? Leaving that to the side, quickly made sure that the villain would stay down, while making sure the men's spirits will stay up. Hello everyone, don't panic, I'll take care of this bum, said Mount Lady, emphasizing the pun with her assets. She smiled for the cameras that no doubt is capturing her perfect physique. And it was from this moment that she would know. She up. The RRRRRR. Dive, 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 WOOHOO. For those cameras would take one of the most scandalous images created. Later down her career she would do everything she can to get rid of those photos, with only a few existing on sale for thousands online. What kind of photo is it, you ask? KSMMMACK. A green-haired kid in a jetpack photobombing Mount Lady's photo shoot in the most perfect way possible. On an unrelated note, this was also around the time where discussions took place about her preferences, further damaging her reputation. Payload deployed, and by golly what a payoff. Izuku laughed maniacally as he heard the cameras shuttering off even quicker in the distance. The creeps will have a field day with that. Just suddenly the ground started to shake around him. Thump, 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 thump. Huh, are we having an earthquake right now? Am I The moment Izuku looks over his shoulder, he sees the heroine striding towards him with a murderous look in her eyes. AWOOGA. His eyes pop out in shock and fear and begins to go faster. Holy moly, big girl at 12 o'clock. I'll teach you to mess with me, you little. No thank you, you are too much of a woman for me to handle right now. Gruh. Mount Lady tries to snatch Izuku from the air, but fails to do so while he quickly maneuvers around in the sky. Haha, you can't catch me, big lady. Not when I have this baby in maximum OVERDRI. SWIP. Snatch. Well crap. Izuku is now face to face with the giant lady, now seething in barely repressed anger. Now then, tell me one good reason why I shouldn't squish you like the jitterbug you are. Now sweating bullets, the green bean racked his brain for a good enough answer. Because I would be late for the exams. Not good enough, dumbass. Oh, is that so? Well then, Mount Lady winds up her arm and throws him with all the strength she could muster. Whoosh, then get the hell going, you brat. On a lighter note. This actually cuts another 4 minutes into his commute. Today is the day of the practical exam at UA. And everyone is truly excited to have the opportunity to join one of the most successful schools of all Japan. Many hopeful and naive students from all over arrive to take part. And for one Ochako Uraraka, this is a dream come true as she sees the massive building in front. Even now she cannot believe what she sees. I can't believe this is happening. This is it. I'm about to take the practical exams. The little country girl thought. Oh gosh, I'm so nervous. I wonder if I can even make the bare minimum. She was quickly brought out of her thoughts by a certain blonde. Hey, get out of the fucking way. Ape. She made way before the guy could barrel her over. Sorry. You better be, fucking round face. Now fuck off. Bakugo kept trudging forward, leaving the poor girl in place. Not much of a good start, but the day is only young. All she needs to do is get by without any more problems and... wait, where is that noise coming from? Uraraka quickly looked around trying to find the source of the sound, not noticing the blonde-haired bomber suddenly stiffing up in alarm. IHH. Now even the other passers-by are stopping to look for that strange yelling. The hell is that noise? You think it's the wind? Don't be stupid, dude. What if it's a villain? Look, there he is. One of the test takers motions everyone to look up. And sure enough they see what looks like a guy with a busted and sputtering jetpack heading towards them. And by them, that means HEYYYYYTHNRUKAACHA. Bakugo turns around and steels himself for what's to come. DEKU, you fucking. Bobby OOOM. The walkway suddenly explodes in a violent manner as Izuku crashes into Bakugo, sending the students in a panic as they try to rush inside to get help. Meanwhile, Uraraka becomes slack-jawed at the massive destruction that just happened right now. The dust soon cleared, leaving behind a large crater. Izuku peers out from the rubble, now covered in soot and dirt. Ugh, note to self, invest in helmets, he said. Then he realized there was a girl in front of him, albeit still in shock. Well now, time to put on the Midoriya charm. Izuku quickly shakes himself free of grime as he flashes his best smile. Well, hello there, sweet cheeks. I was just in the neighborhood and was looking for a place called UA. You know where it is? Huh, well, Diku. What the fuck was that, you little shit? Yelled out Bakugo. He also shot out from the crater, now grabbing Izuku by his shirt collar. The green bean, however, is not fazed if his still plastered smile is anything to go by. What was what? That stupid stunt you did just now. What stunt? Oh, you mean that stunt? It all started when I found Mount Lady on my way here when she was showing of her ass. Yoom. The greenie suddenly received a punch from the blondie, sending him from the crater bam to one of the hero busts. Oh, you sure like bustin' heads, don't you, Sparky? Shut it, Budget Bosco. What I want to know is what the hell you're doing here. FWOOSH. Izuku quickly spun towards Bakugo, pissing him off with his smirk. Well, if you must know, yours truly is taking the entrance test. Like hell I will. I'm not gonna let you take my place as #1 hero. Well, I was actually going into business. Boo, what if getting in there means that I get to mess with you? Honk. Izuku quickly pinches Bakugo's nose, making him yelp in pain. Then onto the breach we go. Izuku quickly spins off into the building, leaving a furious Bakugo behind nursing his nose. Grrrr, I'll get you for that shithead. Boom. Bakugo quickly propels himself towards the building, not wanting to let Izuku get the last laugh. Meanwhile, the poor girl known as Uraraka quietly moved along towards the building, still in a bit of shock throughout the whole ordeal. I hope it's not like this all the time. Oh, of course not, my dear. Sometimes it's worse. UA Academy, Auditorium. Alright. Welcome one and all to my live show, listeners. Can I get a HEEYYYYYY? Present mic's opening is met with utter silence, except for Izuku, who is standing on his seat and applauding very obnoxiously. HEEYYYY. YAHHH. WHOOHOO. Let's get it on like. Smack. Ooh off. Shut it. Kiss ass. The mixter ignored the interruption in stride. Alright now, little listeners, you better pay attention for this next part, you dig? From there he went on a brief overview on the basis of the exams, including the rules, scoring, types of villains, and other miscellaneous things. We would go into further detail, but keep in mind that due to Izuku being, well, Izuku, he did not bother to pay attention. Instead, he poked Bakugo to further piss him off. It wasn't until another interruption rang out through the auditorium. And another thing, you there, yelled a bespectacled young man, looking at Izuku. Caught off guard by the call-out, the greenete stood up and looked around before looking at Four Eyes. Huh, you talking to me? Of course I am. Can't you stop bothering others, let alone sit still? You're distracting. He reprimanded the green bean with a glare. If you think UA is just another place for you to goof off, then leave this place immediately. That got a few snickers from the crowd, not feeling sorry for the annoying kid. Welp, he's now on his naughty list. However, Present Mike intervened before things got out of hand. Alright. No need for beef here, little listeners. Save that for the trials. Now then, after the explanation, everyone went to their designated areas, where the examiners are hyping themselves up and getting ready for the test. Izuku looked at the bunch of test takers with not so subtle pity. All would they think they got a chance? Looks like I'll have to be the bearer of bad news then. Haha. As he scanned the area, he found the round-faced girl, who was noticeably nervous as she stared at the entrance, not one to see a damsel in distress. He made his way over to her. Well now, she looks like she's about to float. Time to cheer her up. Hold it right there. Well great, so much for a good luck there. Izuku did an about-face, seeing an irritated-looking Four Eyes storming towards him. I see what you're doing. You're not trying to sabotage your fellow test takers, are you? Gasp. Moi. WHOOSH. Izuku changed into a gentleman's outfit, now with mustache and cane. The glasses guy really didn't expect that. And neither did the others as well if their jaw drops or anything to go by. Posh English accent, I say. How dare you insinuate that I will be commuting some sort of sportsmanship behavior among my fellow examiners? Well, obviously you what? I am only attempting to provide moral and emotional support to the young lady who is obviously out of her element. Now see here, you delinquent eye. Smack. The glasses guy gets interrupted by a smack across the face with a white glove. How dare you insult me? Very well, I shall defend my honor with utmost haste. Swish. Izuku quickly draws a saber from out of nowhere and points it at glasses guy. Have it the knave. Wait, don't. And start. Izuku immediately stopped his antics. Before leaving literally everyone else in the dust, choking and sputtering on said dirt. Meanwhile, at the teacher's lounge, in an area far from the action of the mock cities where the exam was taking place, the teachers of UA watched with interest as the examiners quickly dashed into the streets, eager to find their first few villains. With special cameras placed all round, there wouldn't be one single place that would be overlooked in the evaluations for the exams. However, it seems that one city in particular has gone off to a rocky start. Well then, that is quite a mighty conundrum they got themselves into, said Snipe. What makes you say that? Asked Midnight. Well, it seems that in City F, a lot of the test takers are too busy clearing their throats than getting in. Looking closely, they can all see that a lot have already began moving in, although still dealing with the discomfort. They can also see several of them suddenly falling down on their faces, before being trampled and blocked by the rest and creating more confusion in the process. Okay, what the hell is going on? Asked Vlad King exasperatedly, obviously not too amused with the sudden chain of events. Aizawa on the other hand begins to glare at Principal Nezu, who is calmly sipping tea by a very nervous All Might. Nezu ... Didn't you say that Izuku was going to the business course? The rat bear thing gently placed his tea down before responding. Well, of course, Aizawa. I personally made sure that all the necessary arrangements were made to ensure proper enrollment procedures. Then what the hell is he doing there? The hobo shouted, startling the other heroes. Then they looked back at the screen that Aizawa mentioned and saw a lone examiner quickly zooming around the city in cartoony fashion, dispatching the villain bots left and right. They were impressed at the quick efficiency the young boy presented, until it was quickly dashed away with how extremely reckless he was acting. Filling in for us about what's going on there, Principal? Asked a confused present Mike. Nezu quickly pulled out Izuku's special file on the table for everyone, prompting everyone to look into a few of its pages. Very glad you asked, Hizashi. For those who are not native to the Musutafu region, Izuku Midoriya is, by definition, a loose cannon that was recently expelled from Aldria Middle School last year, along with another troublemaker by the name of Katsuki Bakugo. Both have been part of many incidents and have dealt with authorities before, although this has not stopped them from being hostile towards each other. Looking back at the screen, they see Izuku now dealing with a three-pointer by riding the damn thing rodeo style in a cowboy costume. YEHAAAWWW. Ride MCLANKY. YOOOHHHE. The three-pointer tries to buck Jesse Jackass of its back with little luck, on causing collateral damage on the area. A two-pointer comes along and tries to come in to support its troubling ally. Plank, crash, only for it to be kicked by the three-pointer out of confusion, sending it through a building. The three-pointer bucks wildly through the streets until the poor thing manages to overexert itself, now sputtering around before collapsing into a heap of scrap. Izuku jumps from the scrap heap, dusting himself off. Well then, ain't that a kick in the head? HLHLHLAA. WHOOSH. Izuku then quickly spun off to find another victim. The teacher sat in relative silence as they slowly moved their gaze from the screen towards the principal, who continued to drink his tea. Aizawa was not in the mood to deal with this. Okay, let me ask again. Why the hell did you allow him to take the exams? Why, it's simple really. I didn't, replied Nezu. This threw them for a loop. What? Then who did? From what I've discovered, it appears that a third party altered the forms so that Izuku would be in the hero course. This third party also made sure that there was no way that the alterations would be corrected, lest the school face some sort of cyber attack. We need to end the tests immediately. That boy could be an agent of theirs trying to infiltrate the school, cried Vlad King. Principal Nezu waved of the concerns. Now, that will not be necessary. In fact, I have already decided to welcome him into UA the moment he sent his application in. Midnight is confused by the notion. If that's the case, then why does he need to take the exams? As much as I love making men work for it, isn't it a bit excessive to make him do it anyways? I'm so very glad you asked, Kayama-sensei, replied Nezu gleefully. You see, I have kept tabs on the young man for many years, and you would be surprised at the many things he can be able to do with his quirk. However, many of the incidents he has been involved with have had virtually zero casualties, with most of the injuries being mostly from those causing the commotion or by Izuku himself. Reckless and unpredictable he can be, there is no doubt in my mind that he has at least a moral compass. If we can assist him with this, we just might be able to curb some of his more erratic tendencies. The principal motioned for one of the teachers to head towards the control console, preparing the zero-pointer for deployment. Nezu continued with his explanation. As for this mystery group, whatever they have in store for us they need the boy for. We must make sure that he doesn't fall in the wrong crowd, and at the very least let him enjoy his school days before venturing out into the real world. He is still a child, after all. The button is pressed, finally releasing the behemoth at the unsuspecting examiners. The teachers went back to looking intently at the screen, eager to see the results. Now then, let us see if he has what it takes. Meanwhile, back at City F. Hehe. Oh Izuku, you sly dog you. That double shoe tie-up you did is absolutely genius. Ha ha ha. Now that he felt more comfortable with the amount of points he has, Izuku decided to take a stroll through the city, ignoring the villain bots that came by. While some of them did try to take advantage of his supposed lowered guard. Target acquired, prepared to die. Slam, crack, bash, ... They were immediately killed off by some of the examiners that were still looking for stragglers. A three-pointer was fixing its weapon towards Izuku before being completely destroyed by a massive kick by the glasses guy. Izuku quickly turned around to face his supposed savior. Whoa mama. You really know how to put your foot down, don't you, Four Eyes? Four Eyes was not having it. That is enough out of you, ruffian. We're here to test ourselves to see if we are worthy enough to be heroes in training. And yet here you are walking around as if it was just a game. Don't you have any shame? I do, which is why I'm planning to go to the business course. Shame sells, you know. Besides, I'm not using it anyways. Huh, boo I. You that sentence doesn't make any sense. If it can make money, then there is no need for logic. Four Eyes flails his arms in a robotic motion, too frustrated with his idiotic reasoning. Enough. I will make sure that you are disqualified from the exams. This struck a nerve with Izuku, now pissed off with the Wysass Wally. Ouldn't dare? Four Eyes. I am not Four Eyes. My name is Tenya Ida, and I am Shamus Msire Self, under the alias of Izuku Midoriya. Well then, Mydoria. I hope you are ready to face the consequences when I... Thum. Ground-shaking steps interrupt their argument, throwing them both off guard. Some of the buildings that were already weakened by the previous encounters collapse under the intense movement, adding to the confusion. Soon, they begin to the other examiners running away from whatever was approaching. Boom. Suddenly, a giant robotic fist bursts through a previously untouched building closely, revealing the zero-pointer in all its unholy glory. The two boys are dumbfounded by the sheer size of this absolute unit, their argument quickly dying down for now. Izuku is the first to snap back to his senses. Well now, this looks like one hell of a boss fight, ain't it, Four Eyes? Ada didn't bother to reply, already dashing away from the scene, knowing that sticking around wouldn't do any good. Izuku started to dash away from the danger as well. Suddenly a sound was heard, making him stop in place. I think I broke something. Izuku looked back and saw the girl from earlier on the ground, her feet caught in the rubble and unable to move. He looked to see if anyone was around to help, but it was only him that was close-by, not one to leave a lady in distress. He quickly zooms over to her. FWOOSH. Hello again, sweet cheeks. Seems you're a bit grounded at the moment. NNGH, I can't. Ugh, use my quirk right now. Please help. Don't sweat it, Miss Machai. I'll get you out in a jiffy. He quickly lifted up the debris with little effort, freeing her feet. Then he quickly picks her up in a bridal carry, dashing away just in time THOOM. Before the zero-pointer squished them flat. Once they were at a safe distance, he gently places her down and avoids adding additional stress to her foot. There we go, you're safe. Now if you excuse me, I have to do some recycling. Izuku quickly dashes away from the scene before she could say anything, now heading towards the remains of several bots that were already destroyed. FWOOSH. With another quick spin, he changes into his mechanic uniform and mustache. Alright, Wiz got a few jalopies and a rickety whatchamacallits over here. Gotta make sure we make a butte big enough for the tin can. From his two front pockets, he whips out two oversized wrenches. Hold on to your lug nuts, it's time for an overhaul. The area soon becomes full of dust as he quickly builds from the leftover scrap. Back at the teacher's lounge. What the hell is that kid doing now? Whatever it is, it's bound to be troublesome. I wish I could take a nap right now. I can't see anything from all that dust. Is he doing that on purpose? When the zero-pointer was unleashed, many of the examiners fled the scene as predicted. While this disappointed them, they were somewhat relieved that there was none that were foolish enough for them to actually take on the behemoth. Honestly, the machine was made in mind to withstand with a punch from All Might. There couldn't be someone crazy enough to actually try to take on one. Well, that is, until they realized what the green-haired kid is doing. The dust began to settle, finally revealing what he was up to. What the actual hell is this? Yelled Power Loader. Why, Majima-sensei, surely you know what a robotic correct, replied an amused Nezu. That's not what I meant. And you know it. How in the hell did a kid manage to construct a seemingly flawless robot in the span of 30 seconds? That's impossible. If you'd read the files then you would have known by now, said Aizawa, bringing the teacher's attention to him. He's able to do seemingly impossible things because of his quirk. His quirk is speed, or maybe some form of heightened sense. Asked 13. If that is the case, then he wouldn't have been able to do many of the things that he has done the last few years. Aizawa gestured towards the files on the desk. According to the Quirk registry, it's called cartoon logic. He is able to manipulate his body and mind in a way that appears to seemingly bypass any concrete scientific laws, instead creating his own logic. Sounds like there is more to it than that. You think he's holding back? Asked Vlad King. If that's the case, I'd hate to imagine him going all out, added Power Loader, which is why it is an excellent opportunity to have a glimpse of his abilities. I have no doubt that this boy will be resourceful, given his unorthodox ways, said Nezu. The teachers look back towards the screen, eager to see what the kid brings to the table. Meanwhile, in City F, there are only several minutes left in the exams, pushing the examiners to their limits as the number of bots have already dwindled to a very few number. Some have already opted out, unable to continue on, while others are rushing to get those last few kills before it ends. Uraraka is currently sitting down by a lamppost, already knowing that the exams is already over for her. Forcing down a bit of bile due to Quirk overuse, she makes sure to tend to her hurting foot. Ugh, I can't believe this has to happen to me. Why? Moo, I hope I have enough points to pass. Thump, thump, thump. Her thoughts are interrupted by the sound of loud, heavy footsteps coming towards to her location. Her eyes widen in alarm as she tries to find the source of the sound. What? Don't tell me that Zero Pointer is already here. Unfortunately, her worries have become a reality as the behemoth thunders through the buildings, scanning the area for more victims. Its detectors spots Uraraka closely and changes direction towards her. Hero found. Prepare to be terminated. The behemoth trudges towards the poor girl, who quickly begins to scramble back in terror. Oh no, this is it. I'm done for. Mom, Dad, forgive me. She closes her eyes, tears threatening to escape as she braces herself for the inevitable. I'm sorry, I can't be a hero. The behemoth raises its foot, about to crush the girl. MEBIIIL. Clang, bash. The Zero Pointer gets punched back, sending it tumbling towards the ground. As the behemoth struggles to get back up, a large hand picks up Uraraka, making sure she is comfortable in its metal palm. She opens her eyes wide in surprise, seeing a robot staring back at her. The robot was humanoid in shape, with a gray metallic color and a simple face on a dome-shaped head, which resembled a fuel gauge. It had 3 arms of different sizes, and a small opening on one side of his chest. The most interesting part, however, was the white and red metal tie it was wearing. Before she could even comprehend what was going on, a voice rang out. "Hiya, sweet cheeks. Got here just in the nick of time, huh?" Yells Izuku from the opening. "Wow, but where did you get this robot?" "Haha, you like it. Made it myself. His name is Bill, and he's a gentle giant. Say hello, Bill." The robot gave a friendly smile, waving at his new friend. MEBIIIL. Of course you are, buddy. Now then, let's get you somewhere safe, alright. Izuku quickly pulls a few levers from the cockpit, prompting the robot to place Uraraka on the rooftop on one of the buildings closely. After doing so, he quickly moves towards the behemoth, which has already got back on its feet and ready to tango with the big robot Bill. Now playing the Battle of Robot Bill. The behemoth's detectors quickly lock onto Bill, and ready its fists while Bill does the same. New target acquired. This town is not big enough for the both of us. Knowing the situation is about to get dicey, Bill puts up his fists and initializes his mean mode. Then he provokes the behemoth by throwing the ugliest insult known to robotkind. MEBIIIL. First blood has already been drawn, and the behemoth is now crippled by the overwhelming feeling of inadequacy of his floppy disk. Soon, its embarrassment gives into blind rage as the behemoth begins to race towards Bill. Seeing this, Bill quickly dodges to the left, barely missing the metal fist towards his face. Taking advantage of the opening, he quickly gives a left jab to the face, knocking the behemoth back. Now discombobulated, Bill quickly follows up with a right jab, left, left, then body blow, inching the behemoth back. The behemoth gets fed up and blocks the next incoming attack by grabbing Bill's fist. Seeing an opening, it delivers a massive headbutt, knocking Bill. Izuku hangs on to dear life on a lever as the behemoth begins to race towards Bill again. Knowing he wouldn't have enough time to get Bill up again, he quickly reaches out and presses a big red button labeled jump out of hole. Suddenly, Bill lifts both of his legs before 2 springs pop out of his heels, hitting the behemoth's center mass and crashing it towards an unoccupied building. With time now back on his side, he quickly gets up and straightens his tie before facing the behemoth, who is now struggling to get up again. Not one to take chances, Bill quickly jumps on the behemoth and begins to give a series of devastating punches. The situation looks dire for the behemoth as it attempts to grab both of Bill's fists again. Knowing what was going to happen, Bill decided to take the initiative and headbutts the behemoth to return the favor. The damage was too much for the behemoth as it begins to splutter and tremble. Sensing that the fight has gone long enough, Bill quickly secured the behemoth's arms in place as he brought out his third arm and clamped it on its pectoral area. Crunch. The sound of twisted metal can be heard as Bill twisted his hand around before unceremoniously ripping it off, revealing a sort of battery that powered the behemoth. With one final cry, Bill latched his third arm onto the battery and tore the meddlesome compartment straight from its chest. It was only a matter of time before the behemoth eyes dimmed, before finally letting its arms falling limp towards the ground. Thud. Bill slowly stood up and looked at the mangled and damaged corpse of the behemoth, he himself worse for wear. With his opponent now laying lifeless on the ground and with its heart in his hands, Bill raised his arms to the sky and cheered over his hard-earned victory. Me Bill. It was at that moment that the exams finally drew to a close. Things have been rather calm during the following weeks after the entrance exams. No chaos, no crazy scheme, and most notably no green-haired menace to be seen. The days where the news would hound on another incident occurred by the town idiot were soon switched to mundane, more uninteresting things. Some were overjoyed at finally having a shred of peace, before quickly devolving into a constant loop of dread and realizing that it was only going to be temporary. To the rest, however, they were for the most part very confused. What happened? Where is that green lunatic they always see on the TV? Will the narrator just shut up and move along with the story? Maybe not the last one, but it seemed appropriate at the time. Nevertheless, contrary to popular belief, Izuku is not always a raving lunatic. There are times where the insanity and the wackiness must be set aside for the rational and the more composed. Just as the saying all work and no play can also be twisted to all play and no work, there must be a time where one puts their nose to the grindstone. Although he hasn't found the time to do that just yet. In fact, the only times where he would actually be busy would be when either he is doing his hero analysis or helping someone out with their own projects, which is exactly the kind of person that May needs at the moment in her parents' garage. WHIRR. Playing, the sounds of tools can be heard as May fiddled around with a large engine, with Izuku by her side wearing his mechanic outfit and Mirio watching from a safe distance. The garage itself was big enough to house several vehicles, as both her parents were aficionados on automobiles and would use every opportunity to work on many cars of many brands and models. Knowing that their daughter would be working on machines, they allowed her to work at the garage, so long as she didn't do anything ridiculous like blowing things up or somehow creating sentient AI. Obviously, that wouldn't be the case, because any sane person would have the common sense to prevent that from happening. Not in a million years. Nope. They held a hand out to Izuku, focusing on her work. Wrench, said Izuku, handing said tool to May. Twist, torch, FWOOO. Moral support. This time Izuku hands her a blueprint of a highly complex machine, filled with measurements and calculations. Shudder yufufufufu. Oof, oh yeah, that's the stuff. If Mirio or Izuku were creeped out, they didn't show it. Suo, what exactly is this for, May? This doesn't look like any support item you usually work on, said a very confused Mirio. They looked up from the project she was working on, already covered in grease and grime and with a smile real wide. Well, obviously you can't be a great inventor without trying out a few new things. I figured, if I'm building something for the heroes, why not something for the masses? It'll be double the profits, double the exposure, WHOOSH, and double the fun. Woohoo! Yelled out Izuku, switching back to his casual clothes. Let me tell you something, guys. I wouldn't mind spending a pretty yen for this little number here. Mirio looked at the contraption with a bit of skepticism, and rightfully so. The project in question is a massive engine with 2 boosters on a sort of sleigh with a chair bolted on. While the thing wasn't a ramshackle, and knowing how this usually goes, he has more than enough reasons to feel anxious about it. I'm not sure if this is even a good idea. Are you sure Izuku can handle this? Of course. Izuku is more than capable of cheating death. Do you even hear yourself right now? Okay, you two, knock it off. Are we gonna do this now or what? Asked the green-haired test subject. May quickly turned to him, eager to get this started. Heck yes. Now get on that chair, assistant. Whoosh. Izuku quickly switched into a crash test dummy outfit and jumped on the chair. He buckled himself in before pulling out a helmet from his back pocket and putting it on. He quickly gives a thumbs up towards the other two. All right. All set and ready to go. Great. Just let me do a final check and we can begin the test run. From there, May gets a clipboard from the top of the tool cabinet nearby and begins the once-over on the machine. Mirio, seeing that the inevitable disaster is delayed for the time being, goes closer to Izuku. Okay, be straight with me here. Why are you volunteering to be the test dummy for this thing? I mean, I know how much you like to mess around a lot, but this seems a bit too much right now. Izuku was confused. The heck are you talking about? This isn't the first time I've done something like this. Besides, you and the little gremlin. I think you mean genius. The green bean waved off May's comment, much to her dismay. Yeah, sure, whatever. Anyways, it's not like the either of you do much to stop me anyways. True, but that's mostly because it ends with you being in such a ridiculous position that I can't help but laugh. You do have a point there. Yeah, but what I'm asking is, why are you doing this a day before school starts? Why else? We gotta make a good first impression after all. Are you really taking this thing to school? Playing? Oh, what was that for May? I told you that they are not things. They are my babies and you shall respect them as such. As soon as they stop combusting out of nowhere I will. Don't make me shove this clipboard down your throat, you jacked up, jerk-off jock. Up yours, little miss blow up ROBODOLL. OUSONNAVA. AWWOOGAA. The verbal fight was quickly cut off by a sudden wail, rattling the entire garage and sending several objects in disarray. Mirio and Mei can only stare at Izuku in shock, both of their hair ruffled roughly by the raging human siren. Izuku for his part looked at the two with arms crossed in a pout. As much as I love to hear you two go at it, can we get things moving now? He yelled. Mei was the first to recover. Yup. Places people. Mei and Mirio quickly gained some distance away from the contraption as Izuku got cozy in his seat. From there Mei went to her laptop where she quickly began putting in the commands to begin the test. Soon the sled began to rumble as the engine began to start, the boosters shortly after emitting flames. Alright Izuku, are you ready? Yelled Mei over the deafening noise. She got a thumbs up from Izuku. 10, 9, 8, WHIIIRRRRRR. The sled begins to hover slightly, the sudden thrust blowing everything around the garage into a jumbled mess. The rattling and rumbling begins to get more violent as the sled shakes uncontrollably. Mirio sees this and begins to hide behind a few heavy objects while Mei continues the countdown regardless. 7, 6, 5, WHIIIRRRR boom. Bang, pop. The sled now begins to sputter as a few cogs and bolts fall out from it. Smoke now emerges from the engine and blinds Izuku as he tries to wave away the fumes. Cough. Hack. Wheeze. Ugh. For all your planning I don't think eco-friendly was on the list. 4. Okay this is getting too boing THRETWOONEGO. EOOM. The sled bursts out from the garage ... now leaving a decent-sized hole on the wall, completely missing the open door. Now suddenly alarmed, the two rush out towards the open to see their green-haired lunatic leaving a trail of smoke behind him. Houston, we have lift to move. Izuku's ecstatic cry gradually went out as he was now seen as nothing more than a speck in the distance. Mirio and Mei could only watch in silence as they tried to take in all of what happened just a few minutes ago. Their faces struck deadpan. You know, said Mei, maybe you were right about doing this before school. You don't really mean that, do you? No, not really. I'm just demoralized at the fact that my baby is going to be nothing more than a wreckage before school starts. Well, hopefully it won't do major damage. Sigh, never mind. I forgot that we were talking about Izuku for a bit. Inko was in the middle of her day off, enjoying a nice hot cup of tea while watching a lovely soap opera on the TV. She loves her little boy, she always will, but there are times when she needed time for herself. After all, she did wanted a nice quiet life after spending so much time serving in TH. We interrupt this program to bring you this special news bulletin. Just a few hours ago, the heroic duo known as Water Hose was in the middle of a vicious battle against an rank villain Amasuji Goto, otherwise known as Muscular, when suddenly a large metallic contraption suddenly crashed right on top of the villain, rendering him unconscious. Both heroes are in critical condition, suffering numerous injuries, and have been rushed to the hospital. Meanwhile, the villain has been apprehended by authorities and will be brought to trial for numerous charges against him, including murder, extortion, and armed robbery. As for the contraption in general, it appears to be some sort of makeshift flying vehicle that was under testing, although the purpose of said flying contraption remains to be known. The driver of the vehicle, Musutafu's own troublemaker Izuku Midoriya, was flying from the Musutafu district before a major malfunction caused him to lose control of the flying vehicle before crash landing on the villain. We asked Midoriya to comment on the situation, and this is what he had to say. CRASSSSHHH. Authorities say that the case is still under investigation, but regardless of the outcome, there is one thing certain about this: Musutafu is absolutely terrifying. This is generic reporter girl from a random village, EXPOJPTV. Midoriya's eyes twitched as she realized that she would have to go pick up her son. Now, with the fact of her day off being ruined, she went to her room to change and gather her things before leaving. She made extra sure to bring the rolling pin with her this time. She also made a quick mental note to make a stop at both Mei and Mirio's place in the meantime. God help them. The next day, after many months of preparation, along with all the trials and hardships of going into a prestigious school such as the illustrious UA, the time has finally come to take the first few steps into greatness. While the fact that he was going into the heroics left a somewhat bitter taste in his mouth, he couldn't really deny that it did a good job of inflating his ego. In fact, he felt so ecstatic he decided to sing his way to school. Ain't nothing gonna break my stride. Nobody's gonna slow me down. Oh no, I got to keep on moving. But mother's gonna break my sides. I'm running and I won't slow down. Hell no. I got to keep on moving. Weird choice of lyrics, but okay. Ignoring the weird looks from the other students, He wandered around the hallways of the school before he found the door to his homeroom. He quickly did a mental check on his person to make sure everything was in place. The school uniform he is wearing is custom-made to his exact measurements, avoiding any sag and wrinkles. He made sure his black leather loafers were polished to perfection. Running a hand through his slicked-back hair, he also made sure that there was no strand out of place. Finally, he quickly did a breath check. With everything in place, it's time to make the scene. Hey, showtime. Damn. His sudden entrance startles the entire class, including a certain Four Eyes and Bakugo. GOODMOORNIN1AA. Today's a fabulously sunny day. No clouds on sight but very steamy later on in the afternoon. That's the humidity I'm talking about, among other things. He gives a flirty wink and grin to the girls he spotted in the classroom. A few blush while others return the gesture in kind. Some of the boys weren't too thrilled about that. Others seem amused, and the rest seem uninterested in the whole ordeal. Bakugo, on the other hand. Damn it, Izuku. I told you to not show your sorry ass here. He yelled angrily. Language. We are at the illustrious UA, and as students we must set an example. Fuck off, Four Eyes, before I kill you. Izuku just gives his frenemy a wide smug grin, further pissing him off. Oh, come on now, all buddy, all pal. I thought you would be happy to see me here. Like hell I would be. Do you have any idea how much crap I had to put up with since your little stunt back in middle school? For your information, Blondie, you were the one who wanted to, in your words, kick my loony as S back to tune TOWN. I was just acting in self-defense. Self-defense. You knocked me into the fucking sky with a wooden floor that you took from the hard tile floor. Ada took a double take. Wait, what was THA? Tomato, same difference. Honestly, man, I didn't think you would be the guy that likes to spit hairs that much. Ada took his chance to intervene. Excuse me, Midoriya, but I think what you meant was splitting hairs. Really? And what did I say? You said spitting hairs. Well, thank you, Ada, for that lovely piece of info. I'll be sure to care about it next week. He ignored his classmate's offended gasp. Now then, what was I gonna do? WHOOSH. Izuku quickly slid by a certain pink-skinned girl, who after she saw the whole ordeal just sat in amused anticipation. Johnny Bravo voice, hey there foxy mama. You from outer space? Cause I think that he, you're out of this world. PFFFFT haha. Are real smooth there, dude. Haha. Okay, not the reaction I was going for, but alright. So, you got a name, Pinky? Yeah, name's Mina. Mina Ashido. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you too, sweet cheeks. Speaking of cheeks, I wonder if she's here too. Bam! Another student bursts through the door, breathing heavily from running to class. Huff. Oh god, am I late? Please tell me I'm not late. Izuku turns around and brightly smiles upon realizing who arrived. Gasp. There you are. I was wondering when you'd show up. Oh, it's you. The crazy guy at the entrance exams. Yup, that's me. The girl bowed deeply in gratitude. I forgot to thank you for saving me during the entrance exams. I was trying to find you but you just disappeared. Well, I'm not one to miss dinner, and if mama's not happy, ain't nobody happy. Oh, well, regardless, I still wanted to let you know how much I appreciated it. Not at all. Now then, he quickly went to her and slid his arm around, earning a small eep from Uraraka and a loud cry of surprise from the class. Damn, that guy's really going for it? So manly, said Kirishima. What the hell are you doing? Think you're hot shit flirting with chicks, yelled out Minta. Zzzzz. Jhhhh. Thud. Gyro looked at the convulsing purple nurple in annoyance. Okay, I know we just got here and don't know each other, but can you please shut up? That really hurt my ears. Ignoring the minor distraction, Izuku asked, how about we ditch this classroom and head towards the infirmary? I don't mean to brag, but I'm told I can do a mean mass. FWWIP. GHHMMMPHHH. HMPH Humph 3000. The whole class suddenly gets up in alarm as Izuku is quickly silenced by what appears to be a scarf. That's enough out of you, Midoriya, says a very tired Aizawa, emerging from under the desk in a sleeping bag. He quickly switches his attention towards the rest of the class. As for you lot, it took you longer than 5 seconds to quiet down even with the problem children here. How disappointing. Aizawa took out a gym uniform from his sleeping bag. I am your homeroom teacher, Shouta Aizawa. And yes, that is how you say my name, and whoever says otherwise is an idiot. Damn idiotic hero clown. Ignoring the last part of that sentence, he went on. Now I want all of you to wear this uniform and head out towards the PE grounds. Don't bother asking me about orientation or the rest of that nonsense because this is the heroics course. I am here to teach you how to become heroes worthy of that title. From here on out, you either throw yourself into this course. SWIP. Crash. WHEHEH. GERONIMUO. Thud. I'm okay. I think ... ouch ... Aizawa's eyes become stern and calculating as he looked at the now pale white faces of his students. Or I will throw you out of this classroom, understood? Without even answering him, they all quickly raced out of the classroom, not wanting to be next target of his rage. Aizawa for his part takes a quick glance towards the now broken window before calmly walking out the classroom himself. He might be a pain in the ass, and he might also be the most annoying student I've ever have. But damn, he makes for a good stress reliever. Don't let Midoriya hear that. She might share her ways of relief. Later, at the UAPE grounds, after quickly changing into their uniforms, Aizawa briefly explained the basic rules of the quirk assessment test. When told that they were no longer required to hold back on their quirk usage, they became very excited. Really, sweet, we get to use our quirks. This is going to be so much fun. Fun you say, muttered Aizawa. Well damn, you shouldn't have said that, boys and girls. Okay then, how about I make it more fun? Whoever makes it last loses. No exceptions. What? But that's so unfair, cried Uraraka. Aizawa was quick to counter that statement. Oh, and you're saying that villains will play fair? How about accidents? Natural disasters? You think Mother Nature will just wait her turn till you show up? This is UA. Here is where you will truly learn the phrase plus ultra. This is where you and the rest of the hero course will struggle for the next 3 years. Aizawa then looked towards the rest of the class, Izuku, Midoriya, and Katsuki Bakugo. I want the both of you here front and center now. The two quickly stepped forward, with Bakugo begrudgingly looking at the teacher while Izuku shot finger guns at his teacher without a care in the world. The rest of the class seemed a bit confused as to what was going on. Aizawa ignored them, focusing on the two problem children instead. Before we begin this assessment, let me remind you too that you are here in UA only because the principal deems it illogical to deny you two and let your abilities to waste. While I concede that point, let me also remind you too that you are both already on probation. What the fuck? Wow, not an hour passed and already I'm on thin ice. Must be a new record. Quiet, Midoriya. Or should I call your mother and let her know that you were expelled because you decided to be a smartass? Shutting up now. You excuse me, Aizawa-sensei, called out Uraraka. What is it? He replied. Why are they being punished on the first day? They haven't done anything wrong. Where are you from? Oh, I'm from Yokkaichi, so not from around here then. Okay. Aizawa looks over his class once again, his expression still stern. How many of you live or have been in Musutafu? In response, several students slowly raised their hands, sort of knowing where he was going with this. Okay, those that raised their hands stepped forward. Todoroki, Takoyami, and Jiro were the ones who stepped forward. You three will explain the situation with these two after the quirk assessment. We wasted enough time as it is. Yes, Aizawa-sensei. Good, let's begin. And so begins the quirk assessment, again shortened to a simple yet efficient montage, as prescribed by your local shrink. Remember, if you or a loved one has experienced the symptoms that include but are not limited to short-term memory loss, seizures, hallucinations, diarrhea, feeling fucking invincible, depression, severe cringe, listening to Huey Lewis and the news, speaking in townges, then you may be entitled to financial compensation. Speak to your fourth-dimensional lawyer for more information. Test 1, grip test. Along with getting a grip on reality and owning up to the task at hand. This is a simple test of strength that challenges even the most hardy men. Even now the boys of 1A have mostly decided this was a way to prove their manliness. Unfortunately, mostly meant that only Izuku and Kirishima have decided to test their manliness. HGGGNNN. UUHHHGGG. HUMMPHHH. RRRRRGGGHH. By apparently doing bodybuilding poses while gripping the device. I see you're a disciple of manliness as well. You lift by any chance? RRRRAHHH, asks Kirishima as he moves into a different pose. Izuku on the other hand is now shirtless, providing a nice source of eye candy to the girls and donning sunglasses. Arnie voice, yeah. I do my best to hone this pristine temple of man called a body. Now pose with me, little man. Show me iron you're pumping. HAGGGHHH. RAHHH. HRRRRGH. HAIGAUUWHHH. Aizawa is on the sidelines watching this abomination of a show, and is currently contemplating quitting his job as a teacher. Unfortunately, Nezu has already denied his resignation. Do not ask how that is possible. Test 4, sustained side jumps. It's not unusual to be beloved by anyone. It's not unusual to have fun with anyone. But when I see you hanging about, it's called sideways jumps for a reason, Midoriya. It's not unusual to see me cry. I wanna die. That boy ain't right. Trial 5, the pitch. While the prospect of throwing a ball across the field isn't really fun or exciting, when you are told that you're allowed to go absolutely nuts with your quirk, it does put a nice twist on things. Some of the throws were more impressive than others, and some weren't able to get as far as they hoped due to their limitations with said quirks. Some of the highlights include Bakugo when he resorted to small-scale violence, as well as Uraraka practically saying screw gravity and letting the ball float off into space. However, the most impressive one was when Yaoyorozu teased the whole class by flashing them, followed by exposing her cannon and shooting her shot for all to see. When you arrange words in a certain way, you can make even the most chaste of sentences sound more dirty. While irrelevant, it is some food for thought. Each one had their turn, until Izuku came to bat. Whoosh, ahoy scallywaggs. He be about to witness the most amazing cannon shot ever seen this side of the islands. Wagahaha, yells out Izuku with the enthusiasm of Barbarossa. Who also apparently had dressed up as a pirate without anyone looking, shocking the class once more. Where the hell did that guy pull that outfit from? Asks Zero. You go, pirate dude, says Kaminari. What the actual fuck, Midoriya? We're already in deep shit as it is. Shut it tn twat. I don't need ZT start natter and utter shite to me. Now then, he gestures wildly to the class. Watch as I pull a cannon from out me pants. With that said, and with an unnecessary grand wave of his hands, he quickly shoves them down his pants. Several of the girls quickly shield their eyes. Damn it, dude. We don't need to see your junk, yells Gyro. Well, I don't mind to show. Show me some skin, pretty boy. Woo, says Mina. What the hell did I do to deserve this? Thinks a distraught Aizawa as he sees this unfold. Don't tell me this was my fault. Thinks a very embarrassed Momo, making herself as small as possible. Plunk. With a final heave-ho, our Captain Seaweed manages to produce an 18th century cannon, which is actually too comedically large for it to be practical. Don't worry, beauties. Ties as big as TH1 I pack for fun. Now we shall URKK. This causes another round of blushes for the ladies of Class 1A. However, just before he could lay any more verbal piracy, he is suddenly tied up in the patented hobo scarf made for the one and only Aizawa. As he ends up face to face with him, Izuku can see the barely restrained rage exhuming from the homeroom teacher, seething through his teeth and scarf. Okay, Midoriya, you've had your little fun. Now hurry up and do your throw before I expel you right here and now. Do I make myself clear? Izuku, for his part, was not at all fazed. Not a briny problem, Cap. I have this settled faster, you can say mercantilism. Aizawa didn't even bother to respond as he threw the boy back on the field. Bash. OWWW. Thankfully, the cannon was able to stop his acceleration. Whoosh. Not wanting to waste any more time on the test, he quickly changed his clothes and pulled out the softball. A little small for my taste. Let's fix that. And with a huff and a puff, he quickly blows on the softball like a balloon, making it grow and grow until it was just enough to fit snug in the cannon. Hey, and now for the coup de grace, he says as he takes out a match. With a stroke on his shoe, he strikes the match alight and lights the fuse. FZZZZZZ. Izuku quickly plugs his ears and braces himself, his classmates following suit. Fire in the hole. The fuse gets shorter and shorter as everyone anticipates the inevitable boom, but what they didn't anticipate. Thud. Clank. Is the cannon suddenly clunking down, pointing at the ground. Izuku the cannon. Something's wrong with the cannon, yells Ochako in horror. What? Izuku takes a look at the cannon and suddenly breaks out in sweat. Looking at the fuse, he only has a few seconds before it goes off. Without a word, he dashes towards the front end and tries to pick it up. RRRRGGG. WHEZ. Rocky, get over here and help me for Pete's sake. I'm coming, bro, replies Kirishima as he heads to Izuku and lifts up the cannon with him using his hardening quirk. Unfortunately, in his panic, he severely overshot his strength and accidentally throws the cannon backwards, throwing Izuku inside. Oh shit, teacher, look out. Aizawa, now with wide eyes and directly into the line of fire, he only had enough to say a few words. Midoriya, you fully rigged, grade A, prancing son of a B. KABOOOM. CRAASH. Aizawa was not able to finish his sentence as Izuku collided with him, sending them both into the side of the school building and leaving a massive hole in the wall. The rest of the class were stunned silent as they stared out into the debris. Not only that, but the massive noise caught the attention of the other classes and gathered by their windows to see what had happened. One of them just so happens to be Mirio, who was on the floor just above the second years. Heya, you guys all right? Mirio yelled out towards the field. The others were too stunned to speak, leaving Bakugo to answer for them. Oh my fucking, it's fine, Tin. Midoriya's just doing dumb shit again. Oh, was he dressed as a pirate again? Yeah, shot himself and hit the teacher too. Okay, I'll get Ishiyama-sensei to get that fixed real quick while you call his mom. Why the fuck do I got to tell her? Because I did that the last time something like this happened. Fuck you, Blondie, I ain't doing that. Well, May's not doing that either. She's already in trouble with that dumbass flying machine of hers. FWWIP. Playing. URKAC. Thud. A few rooms left of Mirio's classroom, we find May herself poking out of the window, looking down at the unconscious body of the boy in question after throwing the wrench. I can fucking hear you. Needless to say, class was dismissed early today. While no one was expelled, Izuku was given detention for a week and was required to clean up the mess. The sentence was extended to include May when she attempted to fix the hole using a fast-drying concrete machine, which caught on fire and caused extensive damage to the room closest to them, which so happened to be Class 1B. When he was offered a different room, their homeroom teacher graciously accepted, as he wanted to be as far away from Class 1 as humanly possible. Unfortunately, this also meant that they had to share a room with one of the general course students. As for Izuku, wait. Today was just a fluke. A snag. I promised to be good. Izuku, what did I say about causing a mess? Not to do it. But it was all that stripping girl's fault. She tempted me with her bosom when she wanted a cannon. Gasp, and you've been taking advantage of girls. This was not how I raised you. Seems like I have to teach you how to behave. Wait, no, please, I'll be good. Please, spare me, I don't want to die. Playing. Thud. We find our lovable fool crumpled on the floor of the principal's office, with Midoriya putting away the frying pan back in her purse to the horror of the principal and several teachers present. I apologize for the trouble that my son has caused today, she said with an exasperated sigh. I really wished he would at least make some friends before something like this happened. As she easily picks up her son in a fireman's carry, one of the teachers finds the courage to speak to her. As so Ms. Midoriya, are you sure he'll be alright? I mean, that was one hell of a smack you gave him, says Yamada-sensei. And Ko looks back at him, but he notices that her eyes are more distant. Of course, no matter what happens to him, he always manages to get back up again. I really don't like doing this, but there is only so much that scolding could do, and I don't want others to think of him as a menace. But surely there must be a different way of doing this. This seems a bit unhealthy, says Kayama-sensei. Well, unless you have a psychiatrist with the patience of Buddha, then unfortunately this is all that I can do. I love my son, really I do, but I don't know how much more I can take this. Excuse me. With those final words, she quietly leaves the office and makes her way out, ignoring the bizarre stares she gets from the other students. Her thoughts become more vivid as she walks through the hallways. I don't know how much more I can take of this. I thought after leaving behind the group things would be more better for me, but all it does is make me remember why I joined in the first place. Her face becomes more strained as she struggles to keep her composure, not wanting to accidentally snap her son in two. It wouldn't matter anyways. It's not like it actually hurts him. Nothing does. All he does is say no to damage. Ugh, I wish I had that power instead. There is so much I can do with it. As she reaches her vehicle, she gently places Izuku in the back seat, buckling him in. Then she makes her way to the driver's seat, still lost in thought. I shouldn't think like that. Izuku is more than capable of taking care of himself. He can always fight on and not break a sweat, but I'm not sure if he can keep himself in check. Don't worry, Izuku. I'll make sure you don't get to that point. I'll make sure you stay as my sweet young boy. She grips her steering wheel tightly, staying focused on the road. Let me do it instead. I can do it. Let me take the brunt of it. Let me get rid of them for you. She doesn't even notice how her face begins to break out in a very wide grin. Besides, I enjoyed my job while it lasted. Purge the weak. Become the hunter. We have an intruder. Take her down before she discovers our operation. Show them no mercy. Relish in their pain and suffering. A hail of bullets and more than a dozen quirks released in quick succession, ready to finish off the unknown threat. One by one they are cut down by swift, calculating and unrelenting strikes. What the hell? Come on, you idiots. We need to take her down before. A goon's ranting quickly becomes a gargled mess as his throat becomes no more than a gaping hole, its contents bursting out around the hard concrete floor. Not unlike the others, each one of their worthless lives are extinguished in the same manner. Either by Quirk, weapon, or by her own hands, she makes sure that each kill was confirmed. Bask in the chaos of carnage and slaughter of those who dare take advantage. With each passing moment, the morale of the scummy, law-breaking worms wanes, their confidence turning into shock, their shock into fear, fear into unrelenting dread. Fuck this, man. I ain't willing to die for this shit. We need to get out of here. Boss, we need to get out of here. We need to escape before SH. That was as far as another goon would say his words before a large blade pierces through the door of the boss's office, as the blade also pierces through the man's heart. The boss and the other two lackeys barely had time to register what had occurred before the blade suddenly retracts back in, letting the body drop. This was followed by a massive kick that ripped the door off its hinges. The boss lunges himself out the way. WHURK. One of the lackeys were unfortunate enough to stand in between the door and the table, as the sheer force of the impact broke his spine in two before collapsing. The other rushes in to intercept, but before he can even lay a hand on her, she quickly headbutts him. The lackey is knocked back in a daze, failing to register the blade that soon relieved his head from his body. If I am to be a monster, then I shall be a monster that preys on the wicked. The boss, now a quivering mess, begins to move away from the person who dispatched many of his men with ease. A green-haired woman, her clothes bathed with the blood of her enemies, gaze on him with dilated, hardened eyes. Her smile, however, please, I give you anything. You want money, power, I can give it to you. Her smile widens, if that's even possible. Anything? Why yes, anything, the boss says with a nervous smile. His smile quickly fades as she raises her blade with malicious intent. Then give me your best screams. N-O-O-O. B-I-P-B-I-P. B-I-P-B-I-P. Z-Z-Z-Z-Z-S-N-R-K-H. W-H-U-H. Inko's dream quickly becomes interrupted with the blaring sound of the alarm clock. As she tries to get her bearings, she looks at her clock, showing that it was already 6:30 in the morning. Ugh, why is it when I get a good dream going, I wake up? I swear. Wearing only a tank top and panties, she quickly untangles herself from her bedsheets before sitting up on her bed, the alarm clock still blaring. B-I-P-B-I-P. B-I-P-B-I-P. Inko quickly slams her fist on the clock to stop the noise, only to find that she accidentally bashed her clock beyond repair. That and her nightstand has now split in two. AGH. Damn it, that was 14,000 yen I just wasted. Of all the rotten luck. With her morning already going to a rocky start, she begrudgingly heads towards the closet to get her clothes. Afterwards, she shuffles out of her room into the bathroom to take a bath. If it is not noticeable already, it should be noted that Inko Midoriya is, in fact, not a morning person. However, she does enjoy the relative quiet of the little time she has before her son wakes up. She really loves her son more than anything, but it's also nice to have some time for yourself once in a while, which is why she takes a bit longer than usual to clean herself up, making sure to take extra care of her body. In one spot in particular, that is her scar where the lower abdomen is, she makes sure to scrub carefully there. That was when I gave birth to you, my little Izuku. With the birth of her son, she never thought there would be another moment where she would be filled with joy. While it wasn't something that she initially wanted, it felt good to be mother. It felt good to love someone and to care for them. She also realized that it felt even better to protect what was hers, and I will make sure nothing happens to him. With that final thought, she finished up her bath. There was still some time before she had to leave, so she made sure to make some breakfast for Izuku before she left for work. Izuku, time for breakfast. She hears a loud crashing noise from his room, announcing his presence. I'm up. I'd like those eggs scrambled like always. Inko let out a small giggle at her son's antics. He never fails to make her smile. Sure thing, honey. Just make sure to take a bath first before you eat, okay? 'Kay, Mom. From morning till night, the Midoriyas are always without a dull moment. When one is studying at a prestigious hero school such as UA, one would normally expect to receive heroics training as soon as possible. While that sounds like a doozy and a half, it is also highly unrealistic. When you go to school, do you take gym before math or science? Of course not. Which is why it is very important to know that while you can learn to fight villains, you would also have to learn how to read between the lines of a 250-page lawsuit against a landlord for destruction of property. What? You think that everything gets fixed up with some sort of quirk? Maybe, but then the one doing it will demand to get paid. That means that math is now involved. This is the type of example that the Japanese government comes up with in order to explain why students should waste half their day learning all the essential subject. Fortunately, with the power of fanfic bullshittery, we can quickly skim past that and move towards lunchtime, where we find our lovable green idiot chowing down on another mountain of food courtesy of the hero Lunch Rush, along with May, who is currently using her screwdriver as a utensil. Nom nom nom, you know. May munch. At first I thought the food was going to be nothing more than burrrp. Slop on a tray, but crunch. That Lunch Rush hero really knows what he's doing. I know. Munch. The last time I had something this good was when I was at your place. Your mom makes a really great katsudon. While they both continue with their conversation and meal, the rest of one remain baffled on the amount of food and utter lack of manners. Geez, I get that Lunch Rush makes great food, but do they really need to pig out like that? Wonders Gyro. With how much and how fast they are eating, I would be surprised if they weren't somehow related to fat gum, says Momo, feeling a bit inadequate for some reason. Maybe their quirks have to do with it. I know some people that have quirks that require a lot of energy just to maintain it, ribbit, says Tsu. I guess, but that still doesn't excuse them for not bothering with table manners. Suddenly a loud voice startles the class as they quickly look over to May, pointing her greasy screwdriver at them. Hey, table manners are nothing more than a hindrance to my goals. Food is only fuel, and sleep is only maintenance for the mind. I will not be dragged down by cheap, insignificant social dogma. What the hell does any of that mean? Izuku looks out from his still large pile of food, his face equivalent to that of a puffed-up chipmunk. Quickly he swallows his food before responding with a wide smile. What my partner in crime is trying to say, B-Pods, is that she doesn't care and to deal with it. Trust me, you're not the first to try it. Okay then, but was there really any need to be so loud about it? You're causing a scene, Ribbit, says Tsu. Hey, she's just being passionate about it. I for one love her enthusiasm. Some of his classmates did not like that response, especially a certain rule-abiding Four Eyes. Being passionate. If anything, she's being disrespectful. As students of UA, we must uphold the standards and expectations that our predecessors set before us. All you are doing is making a mockery of this great educational institution. Izuku's eyes widen in response before looking back at Mei. Wow, not even the end of the month and already rubbing people the wrong way. I think I'm starting to like this place already. Well, please don't get yourself expelled anytime soon, okay? I still need to have my guinea pig around for my experiments. Yeah, don't get your overalls in a twist, okay, Scope Eyes? Ada was horrified to say the least. Experiments. Are you really willing to put one of your classmates and close friend in harm's way in the way of progress? Of course, I already got his permission, so don't worry about it, says Mei. Also, since we're on the same page here. Mei got up and went to sit right next to Ada, who slightly leaned back with some apprehension. Mei positioned herself so that she would face him, head propped up by arm while looking at him with a deep stare and a lofty smirk on her face. Is there something you need, Hatsu? Asks Ada, feeling a bit intimidated. The others at the table seemed to be confused as to what was going on. Izuku, being the helpful idiot he is, decides to finish Mei's half of the food. Mei, to her credit, ignores it and hums in amusement. Just wondering about something here. You're related to that Ignium guy, right? Why, yes, I am his younger brother, but how did? So that means that you both have similar quirks, right? That's correct, except it's on my legs, but what does that have to do with? And what you have are engines on your legs, right? Yes, but? Everyone was suddenly caught off guard as she then leaned into him, latching onto his arm and pressing her figure against him. Ida, for his part, found her boldness too much for comfort as he stiffened up in surprise. However, it was nothing compared to what she said next. Then how about we both head to the workshop, big guy? I can put those legs to work while make some babies together. Then the place just absolutely exploded. Like holy mother of God, even the author himself did not see this coming. What? Ribbit. Oh my goodness, how scandalous. What in the actual fuck did I just hear? PFFFTHAHAHAHA. May you absolute madwoman, you are bold. Kudos. Now being absolutely overwhelmed by a sea of emotions, Ada decided that it was time to reboot the pirated Windows 95 software he calls a brain thud, and slumped over the table into unconsciousness. It was then and there when they realized that the friend of their unhinged classmate was, in fact, a technophile. From now on, every visit made to the workshop will forever haunt Ada, as he would now be subjected to endless jokes about Mei giving him a tune-up job. It was made worse when Mei soon called him Quickie every time they met together. And Izuku will forever deny that he suggested the name to her till the end of time. Overall, a good start to the new school life. When Inko first got a call from the principal a while back, she was only slightly worried. She knew how much trouble her son would be to those who haven't known him for long. In fact, she absolutely expected him to receive some sort of disciplinary action during the first month of school. However, she knew that nothing bad would happen. Unlike the spineless and utterly incompetent staff, she had to keep herself from doing any bodily harm to Inaldra. The staff in UA were utmost professionals. While not perfect, as they were heroes before they became educators, they knew the concept of nurturing and teaching the future generation as is their duty and would not shy away in helping students in need. Those in Aldra, on the other hand, already have their names and personal information stored away in a black notebook hidden in her room. When Izuku told her of his plans to enter UA in the business course, she was ecstatic and fully supportive of her son in becoming a businessman. In fact, she planned to celebrate a bit early with a bit of katsuden with Emi, her son, and his friends. Everything was going great, but then came the announcement. Izuku is going to the hero course. They wanted him to join the hero course. Him, a hero. They want to drag him into the hero course. They want to drag her darling baby boy into danger. They want her son to suffer at the hands of filthy, disgusting, worthless pieces of trash that plagues this god-forsaken world that deserve nothing less than cruel and excruciating. Obviously, this was not said out loud, with only a much lighter cry of surprise directed at Emi for not telling her sooner. This had greatly given her no small amount of stress, and had to keep herself from actively trying to murder some random thug off the streets. It wasn't until the incident during the exams when she voiced her displeasure of her son being in the hero course. Unfortunately, it seemed that she let out a bit too much of killing intent, because the teachers suddenly became more guarded than they expected. Once she saw the looks on their faces, she knew that she messed up. She was hiding something, and she let them know it. Thankfully, it was clear in their mind they shouldn't try to find out what she was hiding. Everyone knew it. Apparently, everyone knew except the principal, Or maybe he did know, but didn't care and dug deeper regardless, which is why she is now in the principal's office while Principal Nezu was making tea. I would like to thank you, Mrs. Midoriya, for taking the time out of your busy day to speak to me. I would have contacted you earlier before the semester began, but there were a few pressing issues that needed to be addressed beforehand, said Nezu. I understand, Principal. It must seem a lot to take care of so many students, especially when they are just getting to that age where they need to think more of their future. Although when you called me to let me know about what had happened with Izuku, I can't help but feel a bit apprehensive about what exactly they are learning for their future, replied Inko. Haha, I can assure you that while we do provide self-defense as well as other offensive lessons for heroism, we do not condone any needless violence nor do we encourage it. Glad to hear it. Now then, what was it you wanted to speak to me about exactly? Well, as you may have already noticed, there was a discrepancy when it came to your son's enrollment. When the application came to my office, I had full intention of having him enroll into the business course, regardless of potential. However, the smile on Nezu's face was gone, now frowning in concern. It appears that something or someone decided to alter the forms so that he would enroll in heroics. What? Slam! Inko slammed her fists onto the table, leaving a small crack down the middle. Her face contorted into barely concealed rage as she forced herself to keep her composure. She took deep breaths, letting the raging fire simmer until it was just as small as that of a candle. Nezu, to his credit, kept quiet, letting her cool off while he sipped his tea. After a few minutes, she took one last exhale before continuing the conversation. Sigh. I'm sorry for my outburst, Mr. Principal. I didn't mean to explode like that. It's not your fault, says Inko. I'm afraid I also have to share part of the blame, Mrs. Midoriya. Whoever made the changes were able to bypass our security system and were able to leave no trace whatsoever. We have been careless, and now I have to deal with the fact that one of our students may be in danger because of it. Still, I'm sure that you are able to provide protection regardless of the security breach. This is a hero school after all, so I doubt that they would attempt any attack with that many pro-heroes in one place. That is certainly a deterrent, I will concede on that. However, this presents another problem. Inko was confused. And what would that be? When the changes were made, this coincided with a large influx of applications that turned out to be either poorly made or downright fraudulent. This caused the enrollment process to slow down because we had to weed out the fake from the genuine. At first I believed that this was just to distract the staff while the changes were made, but then I realized that there might have been another motive for doing so. Wow, I would have been crying in exasperation in doing all that paperwork, thought Inko. Trying to skim hundreds, even thousands of forms would be exhausting. It's almost as if, her eyes widened as she came to a realization. It's as if they're finding a needle in a haystack. Precisely, said Nezu. It appears that the purpose of that stunt was to install a few spies in our network, and therefore leak information to whoever they work for. And you're saying that you can't guarantee that they would be protected, because there is a chance that it might be one of the students. Not just students, but the staff as well. While we are able to prevent any spies to be in the faculty as staff, the same cannot be said of the students. Furthermore, there is also the possibility that they would learn about both the students and the teachers themselves. This means that in the case that UA does get attacked, they have the initiative. It might not mean much, but it may also mean the difference between life and death. Inko threw her hands up in exasperation. Okay then. There are spies, UA. My son is in danger and there is nothing we can do about it without them wising up and taking drastic measures. Does that sum everything up? Nezu didn't react, taking the sarcasm in stride. Yes, that does about sums it all up quite nicely. However, there is a solution that we can pursue for the time being. This is where you come in. Inko was caught off guard with this statement, giving Nezu a confused look. Excuse me, I don't mean to disrespect you or anything, but I don't see where this has to do with me apart from my son's situation. On the contrary, I believe that you may be of great help to us, Green Emerald. Inko almost felt her heart stop. She cannot believe what she just heard from the damn rat. What the hell did you just call me? She growled. Please do not misunderstand, ma'am. I am not here to detain you or to interrogate you. I only need your help. He was barely able to finish his sentence when suddenly his small form was snatched up by Inko, her hand wrapped tightly around his neck, cutting of circulation. Her rage returned twofold. Her speech filtered through clenched teeth. And what kind of help do you want from someone like me? If you knew as much as you think you do, then you know that I don't take orders from anyone. I also don't appreciate how you think that you've got me by the proverbial balls by knowing who I am. Give me one good reason why I shouldn't just put you down like a rodent along with these so-called heroes you got under you. Nezu squirmed from her grip, struggling to make a sound as he puts his paws on her hand to alleviate some of the pain. Because hack, I see can help you from cough losing your son to HNNGH all for one. A few seconds of silence passed before Nezu was immediately released, landing on the couch and coughing violently. He looked at her, thinking that she may have been hit with surprise and dread when the name came up, only to realize that she was more confused than anything. Her head tilted as she tried to figure out how it was a problem. Wait, is that what this is about? Asked Dinko. You're telling me all that plotting and inside jobbing was coming from him? Yes, says Nezu with the biggest aw fuck he could muster. Oh, well damn it, why didn't you say so? If that's the case, then that's just him trying to keep an eye out for Izuku. Well, that and he may try to kill All Might as well, but lately he's been kind of hesitant maybe. He told me something about wanting to see shit go down or whatever what means. Okay, this was not supposed to happen. He expected to be hit, for her to have some sort of mental breakdown or something along those lines. Hell, he was half expecting her to kill him. She realized he knew her secret. He was fully prepared to enact many of his contingency plans to make sure he prevented that and that she joined up with them. But having her breathe a sigh of relief when she heard about All for one of all people to be one behind this, and admitting that she knows about his plans to kill All Might with a straight face. How the hell can he plan for something so absurd? Wait, you mean to tell me that you know All for one? Asks Nezu, trying so hard not to believe what was happening. Inko looked at him as if he was stupid. Of course I know him. I mean, if you already knew about me then you should have known about our marriage, right? Okay, what the hell is with these curveballs today? Was there some sort of memo that was missed today or something? Inko quickly sat back down and made herself comfortable today, deliberately ignoring the horrified expression on his face he had at the moment. Okay, so, what do you need me to do? Nezu the rat has nibbled the cheese, and now he's stuck to deal with whatever disaster he gets trapped in. Looks like the detective might get a new drinking buddy soon. It was another day in the illustrious school of UA, where things were now cooling down after the first few days of the semester. Or was it a week? Sometimes it's a bit jarring to suddenly forget how long ago it happens when so many things happen in such a short time. Perhaps that is the reason why Izuku tends to lose track of time often. Or maybe it's better to remember the events that happen rather than the dates that are associated with them. Time is nothing more than a construct after all. Or was that common sense? Maybe that one. Regardless, if anyone has learned anything about the Green Menace, it is that 7 times out of a quadrant of fish it is possible that he might forget one or the other. Either that or he actively ignores it as if it was neural spam. Whatever the case, it seems that today it's the time as lunch has already started and there is no sign of him anywhere. Meanwhile, Mei and Mirio are having a friendly discussion at the lunch table. What the hell do you mean you would trap it with an electrified net over a fountain? Since when do you have the time to set up a trap like that? Actually no, forget that. How the hell would you even have one on you in the first place? Wow, you might actually have a problem with your quirk if it goes through your skull instead of into it. You know I always have several of my babies with me at any time for emergencies. And what about you, Mr. Phase into every wall? Your solution was just to literally stay in the kitchen freezer until dawn. Can you even handle the cold all night? Well yeah, because while you have to actively move around and not get slammed into oblivion like a makeshift bongo drum, I can just stay there and wait till they get to me. They're cold-blooded, remember? As soon as they feel even a bit of a chill, they immediately start to lose momentum. That all the job done with the least amount of effort. But there are 30 of them. 30 of them. Do you really think you'll have enough time to even find a freezer before they find you? Of course, malls are always filled with food stores. And what do they all have? Freezers. I don't have to waste much time to find one. Well, I hope you find a way to get out of there. Because if that door closes on you, you might as well let those things bite you in the ass and call it a day. This discussion has caused a bit of commotion with the other students, but decided to ignore it soon afterwards. Meanwhile, a few of the girls from WANA are having a conversation nearby. I don't know about you guys, but I get the feeling that today is going to be weird, says Asui. What do you mean? Asks Toru, who is eating her homemade bento. Well, first Izuku gets called to the principal's office, then Aizawa-sensei, then we just spend the entire morning class doing whatever. Then when we go to lunch, and we see the entire 1B class who are looking absolutely awful. Oh yeah, I was wondering about that. Did you ask them what happened? I tried, but it seems like they were even too tired to even talk. Guess today's heroics class is going to be excruciating. Ribbit. Ugh. I hope they're at least fun like the apprehensive exams. I don't want to do any long lectures about how to properly behave when confronted with the press, says Mina anxiously. It won't be fun as it will be more interesting, I guess. Ribbit. Yeesh, that bad. You're sure they didn't just spar or something? Asks Gyro, who up until now had just been listening. Again, I wasn't able to ask, but they were really out of it. As a matter of fact, one of them was even breathing very heavily, almost like she would pass out at any moment. Who was it? It was the girl with the vines for hair. I think her name is Ibara Show something. I can't remember right now. Damn, wonder what's going on to make her stress out so badly. As lunch was nearing its end, they figured it was best to put it out of their mind for now and went back to the two idiots who were still continuing with their argument. Okay, I've just about had it with this idiocy. Am I RIO? Why the fuck would you choose black mambas over a gorilla? It doesn't make any sense. I've already told you many times why, damn it. What about you? Are you so monkey-brained that you can't see anything past just throwing hands with a gorilla? You tell me, albino. How about you put them opposable thumbs to use right fucking now? My quirk is not even monkey-related. You fucking toaster licker. For a smart gremlin, you're acting a little less moothbrained right now. Oh really? Why don't you take a look then? May quickly gets up and headbutts him on the nose, before diving from across the table. The last 5 minutes were then spent on the girls trying to pry the two off each other until a faculty member ended the fight and dragged them to the principal's office. They would both have detention for a week, doing worksheets. Meanwhile, in one of the school bathrooms, lunch period is always the best time to rest up and refresh before continuing the school day, as many students meet up and have a chat or eat in relative peace. However, for Ibara Shizaki, it is only the few times apart from being at home where she could fully give thanks to her Lord and Savior. Occupying one of the stalls in the girls' restroom, Ibara uttered her utmost thanks and worship to whom she dedicated her whole life and being to. Born into a religious family, she was quick to join many others of her congregation. Like a fish to water, she became involved in the many ceremonies and activities of the church, by which she soon gained the respect of many of her Lord's flock. While this sense of accomplishment and pride overtook her in a way she could not describe, it was not the reason why she continued her due diligence, not because it would give her prominence, but because she would soon be involved in her Lord's great plan, a plan to lay the foundation of which his divine being would build his new world order. A new world, where his children would roam in a life of complete freedom and fulfillment, where they can spend the rest of their days living the life in his example. A new world where mayhem, chaos, and the law of entropy would soon reign supreme over the folly of stagnation and order. A new world, with her at the forefront of its creation, where she would bring the vessel of Loki to their temple and prepare for his arrival. When she was told by the high priestess that she would take on this daunting task, her heart soared with righteous vigor. Oh, how wonderful to be given such a monumental task. Oh, what joy to think that she would be one to bear the responsibility. Elam, she bursts out of the stalls and almost trips towards the sink, her hands clenched harshly on the bathroom counter, trying in vain to control herself. Oh, but she was overwhelmed, too happy, too excited, so full of emotions that she just might. Now there's vomit on her blouse already, Mom's spaghetti. While she was busy clearing her stomach of any leftovers of her lunch, she failed to hear someone else walk into the bathroom. All right, why do I hear coughing? You better not be smoking unless I get a huh. Oh shit, exclaimed Inko as she quickly rushes over to Ibara, handing her a handkerchief. Cough cough. Thank burp. Thank you, Midoriya-sensei. No problem, sweetie. Was today's hero training a bit much for you? I can adjust the regiment a bit if you have any issues. No, I must have. Eaten something bad during lunch? Yeah, really. I thought Lunch Rush was supposed to be a good cook. You sure that was it? Asked Inko a bit skeptically. Shit. Well, I brought a homemade bento today. Made it myself too. Must've. Gotten the wrong ingredients ... something ... Please believe it. Please believe it. Please believe it. Sigh. Well, either way, please head on over to the infirmary and let recovery girl know. Don't worry about class either. I'll let your teacher know. Yes, I'll be on my way now. Thank you, ma'am. Ibara quickly rushed out of the bathroom, her face red of embarrassment. Inko proceeded to freshen up at the sink, trying really hard not to look at the vomit next to her. That poor girl must have gotten cold feet during the exercise. When Inko was offered the job at UA, she was at first very suspicious about the whole thing, since the principal knew more than he let on in regards to her identity. Even when he revealed the fact to her, she wanted nothing more than to personally snap his snout shut permanently. Then she realized that it would have been a bad thing to kill the principal of a hero school within the vicinity of some of the most experienced heroes in all of Japan. Still, she had to make sure that she was still under control. That is, until she was told that her husband was the one that was snooping around. While she loves him dearly with all her heart, she sometimes has to wonder how he comes up with the most idiotic ideas. Flooding their emails with applications, getting a doctor to recreate Frankenstein's monster with a quirk, abducting a fucking kid to be his supposed successor. Okay, that last one might be for the best. When he told her about what was going on with the kid's family, she was absolutely appalled. Good God, how bad is it that a kid is actually more comfortable with a high-rank villain than with his own flesh and blood? It's a good thing they decided to unofficially adopt the kid. It would be nice to have everyone live under the same apartment, but with Hisashi traveling most of the time and Tamura wanting to continue the legacy, they had to settle with seeing each other only a few weeks at best. Thankfully, they make the most out of it when they visit. Speaking of visiting, it appears that the visit this morning actually bore some fruit, as she was happy to see that her son was no longer with one More or less, that is. You see, while it is possible to transfer him to the business course, it would have to be until the next semester, meaning that he would have to stay within the hero course till then. Inko demanded that he doesn't, threatening to take him out of the school altogether. It wasn't that part that was threatening, but the fact at how All for One would react if Nezu didn't give in to her demands. Instead, they made a compromise. Izuku would still attend with 1A, but as a teacher's aide for heroics, and since Inko herself is a teacher, she gets to decide how to teach, namely, just taking the leash off and letting him go to town or fighting them herself. Is it cheap? Yes. Would this be considered a grossly abuse of power? Definitely. Will they learn something from this? They will if she has to beat every lesson into them. As a matter of fact, it is now 1A's turn to receive a lesson. After finishing up at the sink, she quickly calls for a janitor before heading out to her classroom. Bam! It's Emi, coming trough like a normal person, yells All Might as he bursts through the classroom door, startling the class. From there, the classroom bursts into a wave of excitement and awe at the #1 hero. Holy crap, it's him. That's his Silver Age costume. I can't believe it. So manly. Can you tell us your workout routine? Asks Kirishima. About right now, young Kirishima. I have a class to teach. All Might then takes out a card with the word battle written on it. I know you are all anxious to get things moving for a while, so today we are going to do some hands-on activities. This will help forge the foundation for your future, and to hone your skills to become excellent heroes. Not to mention, several cases emerge from the wall, further hyping up the students. We have taken the liberty of getting the gear you requested for this class, and one always takes time to maintain a good image, but enough talk. Go grab your cases and let's get ready to crash. Will you shut the hell up for one goddamn minute? I can hear you from the other side of the building. As fast as the students' enthusiasm rose, it dies just as quickly as a woman's scream vibrates through the classroom. The next few seconds are met with dead silence as the rhythmic sounds of footprints soon reach the classroom. As All Might forgot to close the door, the entire class sees a green-haired woman in what appears to be light tactical clothing standing in the doorway, with her arms behind her back. She gives a once-over to the classroom with a serious expression, putting the whole class on edge as they have no idea who this woman is nor her business here. They start to become more anxious as Bakugo begins to shiver with fright. Then they begin to outright panic internally when All Might begins to shiver in nervousness. Whatever the case, the woman ignores it as she smoothly walks to the desk. As she faces the class, the students pay attention as they listen intently to her introduction, only to jump in fright as she suddenly slams an object onto the desk itself. Looking closer at it, it turns out to be a stopwatch. I've heard from Aizawa-sensei that this class has an issue with wasting their time. While I could care less on this whole heroics class, I will agree to the fact that losing precious seconds is the difference between life and death. There is plenty of time to bask in your victories, but there is almost never enough time to learn from your defeats. My name is Inko Midoriya, and I will be your combat instructor. Before we begin today's lesson, I will say this now. You will be suffering many defeats, and as you are, you will not be ready by the end of the school year. The class stares at their new teacher in shock, reeling from the fact that she just admitted such a statement to them. Even All Might is wondering what the hell is the woman thinking, but wisely chooses not to interrupt. I don't care if you are a beginner. I don't care if you have fighting experience. I don't care if you had been taught by a licensed pro hero. Villains will not go easy on you. They will not be fair under any circumstance, and tutelage from a pro hero is useless if they decide the best course of action is to just punch them and hope for the best. Before you can even think of using your quirks of anyway, I will teach you how to fight. She picks up the stopwatch again and switches it to timer mode. When we get to Gym Gamma, you will all have 15 minutes to get yourselves dressed and ready to go, so there will be no talking nor messing around. Get to it. The class immediately picks up their cases and bolt out the door, making sure not to make her any more angry than what she appears to be. All Might for his part looks at Inko, a blend of anxiousness and exasperation gracing his face. Mrs. Midoriya, is it really necessary for that kind of method? You know they are heroes, not soldiers. First years no less, he asks. Inko looks back at him deadpan. Like you have a right to ask me that. Do you even have any teaching experience? Well, not really, but then please let me take care of this, just for today. I know they have you to teach heroics as well, but I want to make sure they get to learn something. Okay, now you're just being mean. Just because I have no teaching experience doesn't mean that I don't have anything to teach them. Yes, but they just barely starting to get to the nitty-gritty of things. And I want to make sure that I know what I'm dealing with before anything else. What was wrong with my teaching plan for today then? That's exactly what I was going for. Putting children into a cheesy hero-villain scenario with them beating the crap out of each other for several minutes does not count for a good idea. All Might. Neither does having you systematically doing the same to them. Yes, it does, and you want to know why. Inko asks as she makes her way towards the door. She looks back with a very wide grin. Because before they can learn how to win, I have to teach them what it means to lose, she replies before heading out to ground beta. All Might could only sigh in defeat as he trudges alongside her. He knows how she can keep Izuku in check, but he can't help but feel sorry for the students. The only thing he can hope for at this point is to make sure she doesn't go overboard, which he'll probably fail at soon if her temper is anything to go by. The entire class of 1 are currently waiting in Gym Gamma, all dressed in their costumes and idle conversations until their teacher arrived. Even then, the atmosphere is more tense due to their first impression with Mrs. Midoriya. Few in particular are still anxious about what the lesson will be about, given the teacher's short speech. Man, Midoriya-sensei really is terrifying, isn't she? Asked Zero. She is. She might be a gorgeous woman, but that look. I thought I was going to get a heart attack, replied Kaminari. Gentlemen, both of them looked at Ida. We are not here to ogle the female teachers here. We are here to learn from them. She might be intimidating, but she is here to teach us the ways to defend ourselves. Minda butted into the conversation. Speak for yourself. Did you not see her ample chest? Her slender legs? I wouldn't mind being dominated by such a... Thwack. Bakugo drove his fist down his head, quickly shutting him up. Shut the fuck up, ball handler. I don't need to know your damn fantasizes. He yells, quickly getting the class attention. Hey Bakubro, what do you think we'll be doing today? Asks Kirishima. How the fuck shall I know? Well, you know Izuku, right? That means you know Midoriya-sensei too. I'm not his friend, damn it. Then how the hell you know about Izuku then? Bakugo gave him a harsh glare, like I'd fucking tell you, Rocky. Well, if you're not gonna spill anything, then I might as well do. The boys as well as the rest of class wanna turn their attention to Gyro. You fucking better naughty. Either I say it or I get Midoriya-sensei to do it. Well, that shut him up quickly. Okay, so what's the deal with those two? I know they got some sort of history going on, but that's about it, says Kaminari. Gyro took a deep breath and began to explain. So essentially their rivalry began right when they got their quirks at the age of 4. They got into a disagreement over whose was better, and it got out of hand. Next thing you know, the entire playground and the area around it was trashed. But that can't be it, right? There has to be more than just one fight, asks Asui. You're right, and there was more than one. As a matter of fact, there is a whole catalog about all the incidents that took place there from then to now. The locals started calling it the Musutafu misadventures, but it's also referred to as just the incident. Good lord, so much delinquency from these two and nobody saw fit to solve the situation? Asks Ida. Fuck you, Four Eyes. You would think that, but no, says Gyro, confusing the class. What? How? Surely they must have some extensive records within law enforcement or other authorities, even if they aren't arrested, right? Asks Yaoyorozu. It is because of the strange happenings that occur within their borders, says Takoyami. Now joining into the conversation, they stayed quiet, prompting him to continue. For reasons that no one could fathom, strange and mysterious events happen whenever the one called Izuku is involved. Whenever he is around, the area bends to his will regardless of what reality dictates. So things just happen, because he makes it happen, asks Kirishima. Such as the darkness surrounds the lone flickering light, so does reality around an anomaly such as Izuku. From that statement, there were no further inquiries. Not that they could anyway, as Inko had finally arrived at the area. I apologize for the delay, as there were some last-minute changes to our routine, says Inko as she took her place within the other side of the field and took a stance. Now then, Bakugo. He immediately stiffened up in fear when his name was heard, already dreading the upcoming fight. The rest of the class quickly went to the sidelines. Do you remember what my quirk is? Telekinesis, ma'am. What is your quirk then? I can make explosions, ma'am. Then which of us has the stronger quirk? I have strongest quirk. The class cried out in protest over that statement, but was quickly shut down by a glare from Inko. Then that is your first mistake, because your quirk is only one part of your overall strength. What is the point of punching if you can't land a hit? What's the point in being fast if all you do is avoid and dodge? More importantly, what's the point of having a quirk if an enemy can quickly learn how to disable and counteract it? I want to make this clear, and I want to make sure that all of you remember this. A quirk is only as useful as the individual that wields it. No point in having a quirk if it makes you stagnant. Inko now faces Bakugo, who immediately grits his teeth in painful anticipation. Boom. Then pales in horror along with the class as she suddenly throws a punch to the ground, cracking the hard concrete and causing a shockwave. Now then, Katsuki, says Inko, a feral grin growing on her face. Show me how useful you are. Oh fuck. If you were to ask Minoru Minto his reason for wanting to join the hero course, he would tell you straight up and without hesitation that bitches love heroes, which is somewhat true, depending how good and or popular you are. Another thing that should be regarded as true is the fact that Minto is neither good nor popular. As an example, Mount Lady is a competent hero and has nice assets that make her a nice hero. Midnight is a dom that even villains would want to be defeated by. Endeavor, even though he is a flaming bag of dicks, has women constantly wonder if he is actually able to light a fire in their belly. Minta, however, does not possess those qualities. He is not ugly, mind you. While he doesn't have the jock bod nor the slender model type, he can still try to go for aggressively sifts through papers. Well, he has something that doesn't make him completely hopeless. Unfortunately, he has the same popularity as the purple stuff you see in the fridge before you push it aside for the sunny tea. Regardless, none of that has stopped Minta in his overall quest to become the most popular hero. Even with the disgusted glares, the slander behind his back, and the circumstance of being shunned by the female populace, he still struggles forward to eventually become the hero they will crawl back to. This is his destiny, and nothing could ever change his mind. Absolutely nothing. Until he became a student at UA. Thwack. Minta bounces across the concrete floor as another plan of attack failed. With Midoriya-sensei virtually untouched. You didn't think I would know about what you're planning, Minta? He couldn't answer, the pain too great for him to allow it. You didn't think I would figure out what your game is, Minta? Inko calmly walks over to him, the boy in question retreating back in kind as his self-preservation overrides his love of women. Crack. He suddenly stops as her fist cracks the floor again, right next to his pelvis. And you certainly didn't think that you would cop a feel with that last attack, did you, Minta? His stomach drops as his hidden motive was revealed. The disgust and exasperation of his classmates on the sidelines could not compare to the murderous glare in front of him. Well, if you're that desperate for attention, her hand raised, an open palm ready to meet his cheek, then I'll give you an experience you'll never forget. Smack. Get it together, Minta. Thwack. Stay with me, damn it. Now we find our elusive green-haired student in the infirmary, where we find him trying to knock some sense into a bed-ridden Minta covered in bruises. No, it is not a metaphor. Wait, ho, slap. Izu plap. I'm go thwack. I said I'm okay, damn it. Oh, slap. Oh, what the hell was that for? Sorry, Fruity. Had to get that last bit out, says a grinning Izuku, looking anything but sorry. But glad to have you back from the dead. When they brought you in, I thought that someone let their intrusive thoughts win and try to juice you. Juice me? What the hell happened? Asked Minta. Well, my mom sort of went a bit overboard with today's class and had to bring a few of our classmates into the infirmary. That's where you are, by the way, so yeah. Oh, okay, but where were you? We all got our asses kicked and here you are playing doctor. Well, this is my mom we're talking about here, so she's not inclined to do any sparring with me soon, replies Izuku. Also, she already does enough damage with the frying pan. Shiver ugh. Be thankful you never have to worry about it. Oh, okay then. Alrighty then. Time to take care of the next patient, says Izuku before darting off somewhere else. At that moment, Minta finally takes notice of 3 other students that are in the infirmary with them, that being Bakugo, Todoroki, and Momo. Bakugo seems to be worst of the bunch, as his arms are bandaged and his cheeks swollen. Todoroki doesn't look like he was hurt much with the ice pack on his head, but then saw the thermometer and chicken soup in his hand. Must have overused his quirk, although he doesn't think that translates to being down with the flu. As for Mom, danger, avert your eyes immediately. Huh, what happened? Is there something on my face? Asks Momo worryingly. Stay away. Don't come any closer, yells Minta in fright. The sudden fright causes him to jolt back and fall off the bed. What does that mean? Bakugo. Todoroki, is there something wrong with me? Todoroki looks at Momo, quietly scanning her form before shaking his head. Bakugo, on the other hand, jib a ship, is of no help. Meanwhile, Minta picks himself off the floor, taking deep breaths. What the hell was that? Why did I just felt utter fear when I looked at her? Did Mrs. Midoriya do something to me? Just then a voice from behind quickly sent shivers down his spine. Hello, Izuku, are you here? I need to talk to you about. With his fight or flight instinct kicking in, he quickly dashes out of the infirmary, nearly shoving Inko, who was just arriving. Gosh, wonder what happened to him. In many realities, Minta was a constant. Ever the failed playboy, ever the short creep, the degeneracy of this boy was unforgettable. Yet out of many realities, this one seems to be the curveball that changes Minta forever. The gods have decided to play a joke on him, and now he will be suffering the full brunt of the punchline. Speaking of practical jokes, if he screamed at the sight of Momo, then how bad will it be when he gets to his room? Exactly as bad as you would think it to be. Wonder what else will be in store for Minta. Meanwhile, in an abandoned building on the other side of town, it goes without saying that villains are the antithesis of heroes. One is a paragon of society and order, the other is nothing more than the means to end it. A modern paradox. One cannot exist without the other. Regardless, that doesn't stop them from making sure one is wiped out from existence. It is a never-ending war that predates centuries. And for Tamura, he is another follower of the side of evil. He is currently having a soda at the bar with his loyal henchman who is manning the bar itself. Kurogiri, is everything set for the mission? He asks. A tall, slim figure looks up from cleaning his glass at the bar. Of course, young master. Jiren was able to contact the usual urban rabble, and was able to provide for us a Namu he claims can kill All Might. Really, a bold claim to have a cheat code ready for our game today. So is the claim that you are able to speedrun it, as it were. Tamura just looks back in mild surprise. Wow, okay then. Way to shit on my confidence there, man. You know, if I were less tolerant of you, I would have turned you to dust already. Of course you would, young master. You have mentioned this the last 15 times, if I remember correctly. Wait, you keep track. That is correct. I have also counted the many times you executed an NPC to make an example of in front of the others, which I have to say, if you are going to do it again, please do so. That is not where the carpet is. I have to spend hours trying to get the stains out. Oh, sorry about it. I'll keep it in mind next time. Thank you, young master. RRRIING. The sound of the phone on the far side of the counter is brought into attention, prompting Kurogiri to answer. Hello. Hello, Lady Midoriya. It's so wonderful to hear from you again. Oh, the young master is doing quite well right now. What about young master Izuku? Splendid. Yes, MHMM. Quite right. Oh dear. That's very unfortunate. Huh, what's going on? What's mom saying? Asks Tamura anxiously, not liking the worrying tone of his right-hand man, butler. Young master, I'm sorry to say that the attack will have to be postponed until next week. What? He rushes over towards Kurogiri and snatches the phone from his hands. Mom, what happened? Are you all right? Everything is all right, sweetie, says Inko from the other side. I just got a little too excited today, and well, they won't be able to attend the USJ this week. I thought you were going to take it easy today. I even got the special Namu and everything. Whines Tamura. I know. I'm sorry. Ugh, can't recovery girl just heal them up again? Normally yes, but through some strange stroke of bad luck she's out on vacation right now, so they got a replacement for now. And who the hell do they have as replacement? Mom, please don't tell me it's Izuku that's in charge of the infirmary. As if to confirm that statement, a sudden crash is heard from Inko's end. Kaminari, I need your hands. We need to revive Katsupustat. What the get the hell off me, Midoriya. But he's unconscious. That's because you keep fucking with the beta-adjust remote. And when the hell is it a sin to make someone comfortable? Get over here. Hey, wait. Stop. Clear. Crash. GIHHH. IMMAGONAILLUPHUCKINCUAC. The next few minutes resulted in a cascading noise of punches and thrown objects, with a good amount of yelling from all sides. From Tamura's end, he can hear his mother trying to calm herself down. Well, they couldn't find any other alternative. Sure, there are other healing heroes, but either they're too far away to respond or they just didn't respond after knowing where it is. What do you mean by that? You mean that they already know Izuku's there? You already know how word gets around when your brother's involved, so now they're most likely to stay like that at least until tomorrow. Okay, so if they are going to be okay tomorrow, then why have the trip next week? That doesn't make any sense. Oh well, that would be the principal's doing. What? Says Tamura. Yeah, well, he already knows about me and your father, so he decided to ramp up security for the USJ, stating anonymous call from someone. Tamura's face fell upon hearing that. Sigh, so then this whole thing was a bust from the beginning, huh? He says dejectedly. Inko did not like hearing her son like that. Oh, Tom, don't be so sad. You'll get your chance, I promise. Besides, this just means that you get organize yourself a little better. And just what is that supposed to mean? I'll have you know that I have everything under control. If that's the case, what were you planning to do then? Because from what your father told me and the list he gave me, that was supposed to be a secret. It's cute that you think you can hide stuff from me, but I digress. Tell your father I need to talk to him later. Anyways, from what I've gathered, you were just planning on getting a bunch of delinquents together and attack them head on with this Namu thing you got, without looking into what quirks they had. Am I right? And no, thank goodness that you didn't, because I would have had to do another lecture about proper operation planning. Why yeah, of course. Good, now I'll have to go now. The students are starting to get a little antsy, considering the fact that the fight has escalated to an all-out patient brawl between some of the students. That is a bit of an understatement. Uwak then, bye mom. Bye sweetie, I love you. Love you too mom. Teehee. Alright, I want everyone to calm the fuck down, no BF. Hearing that last sentence before the call cut off made Tamura shiver, knowing the times when she got mad at someone for whatever reason. Hanging up the phone, he went back to the bar to finish his soda. Alright, so UAS on to us. Everybody is virtually indisposed because of mom going overboard, and now I have to make phone calls to a bunch of criminals to let them know that the job's off for now. Just great, he says with no small hint of sarcasm. Technically you don't call them, Jiren does. Young master, don't be a smartass right now. I'm really not in the mood. Understood, master, but I hope you are in the mood to speak to your father as he's asking for you in the briefing room. Briefing room. You know that's just an oversized storage closet, right? Oh, so that plan wasn't just you trying to wing it. Okay, you know what? Touche and fuck you, says Tamura, ending the conversation, gulping down the rest of his soda. He quickly excuses himself and heads over to the briefing room, where a large monitor resides showing absolutely nothing at all apart from the weird sound waves that keep reading. Hey Dad, you still trying to go for the whole mysterious benefactor thing? Son, I just spent a lot of money trying to get this set up. I had to get Kurogiri to distract your mother from me so I can order this thing, so the very least thing you can do is play along. Very difficult to do that when you look like the bad Chinese knockoff of a MGS Codex screen. Also, Mom already knows and wants to talk to you after work. Wait, she knows already. Yup, Sai F. Fuok. I'm definitely sleeping on the couch tonight. Yup, Suo, you wanted to talk to me about something. What? Do I need to have a reason to talk with my wonderful and evil son? I'm hurt. Dad, you only ever speak to me like this whenever you have another one of your evil schemes. Hey, don't just pin this all on me, mister. Remember you said you were going to continue the family legacy. Well, yeah, but I thought it was for something else like taking up an instrument or running a business. You are running a business, and that business is crime. Now where have I heard that before? Here's a hint, you're 12% British. Moving on. All for one clears his throat before moving on. Son, I know the USJ thing didn't really go exactly as planned, but there is still a way to salvage this. Okay, look, right now they are diverting security for the USJ, right? That means they are leaving areas of opportunity for us, such as, well, we have received reports that Ketsubutsu Academy is doing something similar at some stadium this week, so we'll go ahead and do it there instead. Ugh, might as well the wait you said Ketsubutsu Academy, asked Tamura. Yes, isn't that where Ms. Joke works at? Yes, and we're not going after her class, right? What? No, we're going after the other class. I'm not stupid enough to go after your brother's tutor, and your mother would kill me if I did that to her drinking buddy. Oh, thank God. Okay, yeah, we can do this then. Good. I'll go ahead and have Jurin make a few calls, then have the nice doctor bring you the Namu when it's time. Shiver ugh. Dad, do I have to meet him face to face? That guy really creeps me out. Yeah, I know, he really is creepy. I'll have Kurogiri make a portal to send him through. Thanks, Dad, you're the best. No problem, kiddo. Just get out there and the best evil bastard you can be. Ha ha ha. Soon, the world will see the folly of heroes, and we will be the ones to bring society to their knees. There you go, son. Make those heroes tremble from the weight of their hubris. Say what you will about good and evil, but a good parent is always nice to have. Meanwhile, back in UA, in the support department, Mei is currently in the school's workshop, currently working on her latest invention. At this point, class was already dismissed and many of the students have already left for home. Not her though, since she always has to be working on something. Is she obsessed with tinkering? Definitely. Is she a workaholic? Only when it matters, which in that case is basically when working on machines and support gear. More specifically, at the moment she is working on the support gear for Class 1A. Following the Disastrous training session with Midoriya sensei, her class was tasked with fixing up and improving the damaged support gear they were given to. Each student was assigned the support gear on one of the hero students, and Mei just so happened to get Ida's gear. She remembered how flustered he was when he gave the hero gear to her, probably thinking about their previous encounter. The various jeers and teasing from Ida's classmates didn't make it any better for him, but why would that matter? All she did was ask him if he would like to join her and add some input into making her babies. Oh, that's right. She was just talking about her inventions, although for her it felt wrong just saying it like that. Of course, people would get the wrong idea and immediately assume she would want to take him on top of the workbench table and make him rev it up until she screamed in absolute. And I think I'll stop for today. Can't let my babies see me like this, she says as she carefully begins to put away the support gear she was working on. From there she begins to put away her tools and clean her workstation. Not that she makes a habit out of it, cause why make your bed if you're only going to make it messy again? But she really needs the distraction right now. However, a strong knock is heard from the large metal doors. Pausing in her cleanup, she heads over and opens the door, finding none other than Ida there. So much for a distraction. Oh, hey Quickie, what brings you over here? Oh, I did not expect to see you. Hatsum, I was just looking for Power Loader Sensei in regards to my support gear. Is he here right now? He asks, avoiding her gaze. Well, he's not here right now, but I can talk to you about it. He assigned me to work on fixing your gear, and I was just about to clean everything up for today, replies Mei, gesturing to the current mess at the moment. I see. Can I take a look at it? I understand you were just getting ready to leave, but sure, I'm more than happy to show my babies off when I can. Without further comment, she suddenly grabs Ida's hand and drags him to the workbench where she was working on his gear. Most of the mess has already been cleared, but some of his gear was still out on the table. May grabs one of the pieces and shows it to Ida for examination. So looking at these babies here, they might look like there wasn't much done at first glance, but I actually had to replace a good chunk of parts to these boots here. As a matter of fact, I was fighting tooth and nail just for these things to not die out on me. Well, yes, they were definitely worse for wear when I dropped them off here earlier. You see, we had hero training earlier and, oh, now it all makes sense. You has that session with Izuku's mom, didn't you? Why, yes, of course, but, how do you know about Midoriya's mother? I know our schedule isn't exactly a secret, but I wasn't aware that everybody knew her already. Is she a hero of some sort? No, not really. I just know her because me and Izuku are good friends. He always helps me with my babies. He helps you, so does that mean he also builds support gear? Well, it's more like he makes stuff that tickles his fancy. I remember one time he actually built a cat launcher because of some song he heard in Spanish. What? That's animal cruelty. How dare he make something like that? Says Ida, his arms chopping the air in indignation. Don't get your lug nuts too tight, quickie. The cats were actually having fun. They weren't in pain at all. Now that officer, in the other hand, assaulting a police officer too. I'm sorry, but I'm not sure how you can be friends with a delinquent like that. That did not get a good reaction with May, her face now bearing a scowl. And I don't know how you'll be able to get any friends if you keep acting like a stuck-up little prima donna. That caught Ida off guard, getting the wind knocked off his sails. Excuse me. Yeah, you heard me. I don't know where the hell you come from or who you are. And quite frankly, I don't care. If you are going to keep talking to me, I will ask you to put some respect on his name, delinquent or not. Am I clear? But am I clear? May stares at Ida for a full minute, its intensity not faltering in the slightest. Ida, for his part, took a moment to take a deep breath, as he realized his folly in this conversation. Sigh, I understand. I see I went a bit too far, and I do deeply apologize for that. Apology accepted. I know he's a bit out there sometimes, but he's a good guy. If anything, he's much better than many other people I've known. Of course, I can relate to that. I know I would absolutely be upset if someone were to be talking ill of my brother, and if anything, I think he would berate me for something like this. Hey, at least you have a brother. I'm an only child, so I've wondered what it's like to have a sibling. Well, as a younger sibling, you are not really missing much. Only thing would be to live up to the examples he sets. Expectations. I'd rather work on my babies a bit more. Thank you very much. That I can agree on. Now then, it's starting to get late, so I would like to offer to walk with you until you get home. Well, aren't you a gentleman? Okay then, just help me with the cleanup too, will ya? Of course. It didn't take long to clean up. So soon enough they left UA and headed over to May's home. It was mostly quiet during the majority of the trip, with only some small talk here and there to break the awkwardness on the way. However, by the end of it, it quickly settled to a moment of comfortable silence. As they arrived to May's place, he quickly said his goodbyes and made his way back, but not without getting her number, of course. When he got back home, he went with his usual afternoon routine before bed. The only difference is, he decided to spend a little bit more time with his conversation with May. Isn't that precious? Meanwhile, at an unknown location, a little girl sits at a large desk, dressed up in a cute pink dress. At her desk sits a teacup playset, a stuffed bear, several pictures, and a map of the city where the Takoba National Stadium resides. As she is a child, she cannot smoke, so she is currently chewing on a carrot provided by one of her subordinates. About 10 of them are in front of her, giving her utmost attention. Here he gives them what was supposed to be a scary look, but in actuality is more like an over-exaggerated pout, which made her look cute. A little birdie says that the meanies are going to play here. She says as she points to the location of the stadium. I won't let them have fun. They hurt my mommy and daddy, and grandpa and Uncle Kai too. You are going to find them and hurt them too. Her subordinates simply nod in agreement, also wanting to hurt them for daring to come against the shy Hasekai. Here he then points to the photos, which are actually of the Midoriyas. More specifically, she points to the photo of one Tamura Midoriya. Find him. He will be in big trouble, and I want to punish him myself. Again, her subordinates nod silently. Ever since the death of their boss and his immediate family, along with the death of Kai, the organization had fallen from grace. Well, even more so than it did previously. It tore them that their only reason for being alive was gone, and were not sure where to go from there. However, the person who was the most was Iri herself. For a girl of only 6 years old, losing her family is something that would bring any other child nothing but despair and hopelessness, but not Iri. When she attended the funeral, she only felt one thing: anger. Anger at losing her family. Anger that she could do nothing about it. Anger that she was not able to be with them anymore. Most of all, she was angry at the one who did this to her. At this point, there was only one thing for her to do, and that was to let them know of her anger. I don't care who gets in the way. I don't care what happens, I just want to make them hurt. When you go there, make them hurt, and bring the crusty meanie to me. I want hurt him myself. Do you understand? Yes, mistress. With that, it would be a fateful day at the stadium. regardless of the outcome. The divergence has been made and the die has been cast. Okay, sadly the chapter is over. And if you enjoyed the video, just leave a like and subscribe with post notification, so when the next chapter is ready, you will be notified. Okay, see you in the next video. Bye.